Chapter 1. Master, I am preparing to sell the sect. Zheng Yi traversed into the realm of cultivation, enduring a decade of hardship. Yet his progress remained stagnated at the fourth layer of qi refinement. As his master's life drew to a close, he bequeathed the dilapidated Tianyun sect to him. But Zheng Yi was already contemplating selling it off and departing. Unexpectedly, after taking in a rootless street urchin, he inadvertently activated the Sect Settlement System. On the verdant Qingstone Mountain, within the Tianyun sect, light streamed through the gaping holes in the hall's ceiling, while chunks of plaster peeled away from the walls, permeating the air with the scent of decayed wood. At the center of the hall sat a gaunt elder, cross-legged upon a crumbling mat, his withered fingers engaged in some cryptic calculations. Suddenly, he halted, his murky gaze drifting towards the entrance. "Here," he rasped, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm here, master," Zheng Yi exclaimed, hastily entering the hall with a bowl of freshly brewed medicinal soup. The bowl was still scalding in his hands, yet he remained oblivious to the heat. "Master, your calculations are truly accurate. The medicine is perfectly ready. Please, take it while it's hot." Before he could finish his sentence, the elder slowly raised a hand, beckoning him closer. Zheng Yi promptly set down the bowl and knelt by the mat, grasping the elder's bony hand. The touch was cold, devoid of any warmth, sending a chill through Zheng Yi's heart. "Here, my time has come," the elder uttered, each word laden with exhaustion. "I fear I can no longer teach you." A thunderous silence engulfed Zheng Yi's mind. In the next moment, tears cascaded down his cheeks, and he fell to his knees with a thud. "Master, you cannot leave us. Without you, I would have perished in the mountains 10 years ago. It was you who saved me, gave me food, and taught me the ways of cultivation. I have yet to repay your immense kindness." His wails were heart-wrenching. A decade prior, he had crossed into this world, rescued from the depths of the wilderness by his master, who had provided him shelter. Despite his poor aptitude and slow progress, the master never uttered a word of reproach. In this decaying sect, the master was his sole kin. The elder gazed at him, a faint smile gracing his sunken features. "Foolish child, our bond as master and disciple is both fate and destiny. Do not weep." Gently patting Zheng Yi's hand, he drew a breath and continued, "From this day forth, the Tianyun sect shall be entrusted to you. You are now the new sect leader." Zheng Yi's sobs abruptly ceased. He lifted his head, tears still staining his face. Yet his expression was one of utter bewilderment. "What? Sect leader? Me? Master, are you jesting?" he stammered. "I am but a dullard with a false spiritual root, laboring for a decade, and still trapped at the fourth layer of qi refinement. I cannot even defeat the wild boars at the foot of the mountain. How could I possibly qualify to be the sect leader?" This is not humility, it is the truth. For a decade, he had cultivated to the fourth level of qi refinement, a level that would render him a mere failure in any sect, destined for dismissal. To appoint him as the sect leader was nothing short of absurd. Moreover, given the current dismal state of the Tianyun sect, even a rat would depart with tears in its eyes. However, the elder raised a hand, interrupting him. "My disciple, I do not misjudge character. I perceive that you possess great fortune." "Great fortune? Master, your rhetoric resembles that of those salon directors from my past life who coaxed people into signing membership cards. If I truly had great fortune, how could I have languished for a decade at the fourth level of qi refinement? Do you perhaps misunderstand the concept of luck?" Zheng Yi opened his mouth, a torrent of grievances lodged in his throat, yet he found himself mute. He could only watch his master intently. "You shall surely revive the Tianyun sect." "Alas, I am too unfortunate to witness that day," the elder lamented, his brilliance swiftly dimming. He exerted his last ounce of strength, tightening his grip on Zheng Yi's hand once more. "The Tianyun sect is entrusted to you." Upon uttering these words, the elder's head gradually bowed, his hand slipping from Zheng Yi's grasp. He had passed away, a serene smile gracing his countenance. The hall fell into a profound silence. Moments later, "Master, master, please do not hurry." Zheng Yi collapsed onto the elder's body, sobbing uncontrollably. "Where is your coffin? Without spirit stones, how can I procure one for you? I cannot bury you here. That would be the height of disrespect." His cries echoed throughout the mountaintop, evoking sorrow in all who heard and tears in the eyes of those who beheld. After a prolonged period, his weeping gradually subsided. The newly appointed sect leader of Tianyun, Zheng Yi, wiped his tears and rose slowly. Gazing at the elder who had passed with a smile, his heart was a tumult of emotions. Reviving the sect? With what means? With his mere fourth level of qi refinement, or this dilapidated hall that let the wind through? What a farce. "Master, you have truly bestowed upon me a formidable task. With my mediocre spiritual root, I struggle to cultivate alone, yet you expect me to bring glory to the Tianyun sect? All the true spiritual root brothers have deserted. What can a mere pseudo-spiritual root accomplish? Remaining here would only lead to my demise alongside this broken sect. Lost in these wild mountains. No, absolutely not. I did not traverse realms to endure such abject poverty and despair. Suddenly, a bold idea surged within Zheng Yi's mind. He resolved to contravene his ancestors. No, to defy his master. Reviving the sect was out of the question. However, the elder's final rites must be conducted with dignity. He had toiled his entire life. He could not depart without a proper resting place. Surely, a fine Nama coffin was necessary. A suitable burial site must be sought. A proper funeral service ought to be arranged. Yet, which of these does not require money? Which does not demand spiritual stones? Zheng Yi possesses no spiritual stones. However, he does have the Tianyan sect. Though this sect is in a state of disrepair, it still occupies a mountain. Despite the thin spiritual energy of Qingshe Mountain, the mountain gate plaque and the beams of the Grand Hall can be dismantled and sold as timber, yielding a few coins. And then there is the land deed. Yes, the land deed. The Tianyan sect, regardless of its current state, is still a legitimate sect with a land deed. Selling this mountain could provide a considerable sum of spiritual stones. Subsequently, he could arrange a dignified funeral for his master, allowing the venerable elder to have a grand burial. With the remaining funds, he could find a modest dwelling in Immortal City, marry a lovely wife, and live as a wealthy gentleman, enjoying a stable life. Surely, this is 100 times better than being a destitute sect leader, right? As for cultivating immortality, to hell with cultivation. The pain of a pseudo-spiritual root. Let those who wish to experience it do so. Zheng Yi carried his master back to the bedroom, gently laying him upon the creaking wooden bed. He carefully covered him with a thin blanket, faded from many washes, and gazed upon the elder's smiling face. Zheng Yi wiped away his tears. Master, you hope for the Tianyan sect to endure, do you not? If I sell it to a wealthy and influential individual, allowing them to carry on its legacy, would that not be another form of inheritance? Surely, it is better than having the legacy extinguished in my hands. Yes, that is it. I am doing this for the future of the Tianyan sect, to fulfill your wishes more effectively. Once this resolution was made, Zheng Yi instantly felt a weight lifted from his shoulders. It was settled. He rose, brushed off the dust from his robes, and strode purposefully towards the temple's exit. The immediate priority was to locate the sect's land deed and then find a reliable buyer. Chapter 2. This wretched sect, not even worth a free offer. The marketplace beneath Qingshe Mountain is known as Qingshe Town. The town is modest in size, yet due to its location at the crossroads of several trade routes, it frequently attracts wandering cultivators and mortals for transactions. Dressed in a faded Taoist robe, Zheng Yi navigated through the crowd, clutching the land deed. He approached a stall in the corner of the town, marked with a sign bearing the character Virtuous. The stall owner was a lean middle-aged man, casually reclining with one leg crossed over the other, idly fanning himself. Zheng Yi adjusted his robe, mustered a humble smile, and approached. Sir, I would like to inquire about something. The stall owner barely lifted his eyelids, responding with a dismissive grunt. I would like to ask, what might the land of the Tianyan sect be worth? As soon as the words left his mouth, the stall owner halted his fanning. He slowly raised his head, regarding Zheng Yi with an expression of incredulity. The Tianyan sect? Are you referring to that dilapidated temple on Qingshe Mountain? Feeling somewhat embarrassed, Zheng Yi waved his hands dismissively. Ahem, it is not abandoned. I am indeed a member of the Tianyan sect. The stall owner burst into laughter. Little Taoist, are you still asleep? A voice mocked. In that desolate place, the spiritual energy has nearly depleted. It's so poor that even rats wouldn't go there. Who would buy it? Not even if it were given away for free. Zheng Yi's heart sank heavily. Was there truly no value at all? After all, it did occupy a mountaintop. A burly man passing by laughed heartily, accompanied by several similarly attired wanderers. Kid, there are plenty of barren hills around Qingshe Town. Who would covet your dilapidated spot? Another jeered, malice dripping from his tone. I've heard the old Taoist of Tianyan sect is on his last breath. Is he really gone? Are you the new sect leader? Ha ha ha, what is this? Just became the leader and already want to sell the sect? With your mere qi refining stage cultivation, you dare call yourself a sect leader? Truly, Tianyan sect has fallen to such depths. Laughter erupted around him. Zheng Yi clenched his fists, his body trembling with humiliation and rage. The ruffian, noticing his distress, waved dismissively. Enough, enough. Let me tell you the truth, little Taoist. Tianyan sect is worthless. No one wants it. Just give up. The last glimmer of hope was utterly extinguished. Zheng Yi, feeling lost and despondent, turned to leave. At a street stall, he spent the last few copper coins he had, left over from buying medicine for his master, on 3 steamed buns. The sect was unsellable. It seemed he would have to return and dismantle the old signboard inscribed with the characters for Tianyan sect, fashioning it into a makeshift coffin for his master. Then he would find a scenic spot on the back mountain to bury him. As he walked, thoughts of despair and desolation filled his heart. Just as he reached a shadowy street corner, The sounds of fists and kicks, accompanied by vile curses, broke through the gloom. Damn it! Stealing food, huh? Spit it out. I'll beat you to death, you little brat. Zheng Yi looked up to see several ragtag thugs surrounding a scrawny beggar boy, pummeling him mercilessly. The boy, no more than 7 or 8 years old, was filthy and skeletal. He clamped his hands tightly over his mouth, desperately chewing and swallowing something, enduring the blows in silence. One thug, seemingly enraged, kicked the boy hard in the stomach. Pooh! The boy could no longer contain himself and expelled the remnants of food mixed with saliva, coughing violently. The thugs, seeing this, grew increasingly brutal, their intent clear. They meant to beat the boy to death. Witnessing this scene, Zheng Yi's mind involuntarily flashed back to a snow-laden day a decade ago. He too had huddled in the woods, cold and hungry, believing he was on the brink of death. Then, his master had appeared. All emotions erupted within him in that instant. Without a second thought, Zheng Yi dashed forward. Although he was merely at the 4th level of chi refinement, he found it more than sufficient to handle a few ruffians. Furthermore, he possessed a wealth of combat experience accumulated from his past life. With a swift punch, he struck the lead thug squarely on the nose, eliciting a pained cry as blood streamed forth. Following this, a well-executed side kick sent another would-be attacker sprawling to the ground. His movements were precise and unembellished, each strike infused with his meager spiritual energy. In mere moments, he had dispatched the entire group of thugs. Damn it, he's a cultivator. You wait, they shouted, retreating hastily. Scrambling away at the alley's end, Zheng Yi took a few deep breaths, feeling a measure of the pent-up frustration within him dissipate. Turning his gaze, he noticed the young beggar. The child was crouched on the ground, extending a grimy little hand to carefully gather the remnants of food he had just spat out, slowly putting them back into his mouth. Zheng Yi's heart tightened painfully. He approached, squatted down, and placed the 3 steamed buns he had just purchased into the beggar's embrace. Here, eat, he urged. The beggar froze, lifting his head to gaze at Zheng Yi in astonishment. Despite the filth covering his small face, his eyes shone with remarkable brightness. Zheng Yi said nothing further, standing up and brushing off the dust from his clothes, wandering aimlessly toward the mountain gate. Upon reaching the entrance, he lifted his gaze to the weathered plaque, nearly illegible from the ravages of wind and sand. An unprecedented sense of helplessness engulfed him like a tidal wave. Forget it, he murmured with a bitter smile. Let this Heavenly Fortune Sect be buried with me. He stepped back, propelled himself forward, and grasped the plaque. With all his strength, he forcibly pried it from its mount. With a resounding crash, the plaque hit the ground, sending up a cloud of dust. Zheng Yi stumbled upon landing, looking at this emblem of the sect's identity with a mournful smile. Master, oh master, you devoted your life to this sect. Now, let it accompany you into the grave. Perhaps this was the most dignified end for the Heavenly Fortune Sect. He bent down, struggling to hoist the heavy plaque onto his shoulder, making his way toward his master's resting quarters. However, after taking just a few steps, he heard a faint, delicate patter of footsteps behind him. Turning, he saw a small figure racing toward him, clutching 3 steamed buns. It was the beggar he had saved earlier. Why have you followed me? He asked. The beggar remained silent. Under Zheng Yi's astonished gaze, he placed the buns on the clean stone steps, bent his knees, and knelt down. With a resounding thud, his forehead struck the cold bluestone slab. Zheng Yi set down the plaque resting on his shoulder and inquired, "What are you doing? Please rise." Yet the beggar remained on the ground, merely lifting his gaze to meet Zheng Yi's. In that moment, Zheng Yi suddenly comprehended something and, with a hint of resignation, asked, "Are you seeking to take me as your master?" Indeed. The beggar nodded vigorously. Zheng Yi, taken aback by the response, could not help but let out a bitter smile. He gestured towards himself and then at the dilapidated temple around them, saying, "Do I appear to be a master in such a state? Following me, you might find yourself wandering the world come tomorrow. What do you hope to gain?" He shook the plaque beside him. "I am so impoverished that I cannot even afford a coffin for my master. I can only dismantle the sect's plaque to serve as his coffin lid. If you accompany me, you will become a wandering Taoist, or rather, a vagabond beggar." Zheng Yi spoke the truth. He had no desire to deceive the child. Life was already fraught with suffering, and he did not wish to add to anyone's burden with illusory hopes. However, upon hearing his words, the beggar did not flinch. Instead, he bowed his head again, his resolve unwavering. "I am unafraid. I can endure hardship." Zheng Yi felt a stir within his heart. He regarded the small yet tenacious figure kneeling before him, and memories long buried surged forth. 10 years prior, he too had been in such a position. Very well. One more person merely means an additional pair of chopsticks. After all, I have already sunk to the depths. Can it possibly worsen? With a long sigh, Zheng Yi conceded. "Since you are determined, then stay." He bent down, extending his hand to help the beggar rise. "Come, from this day forth, you shall be my disciple." Before Zheng Yi could finish speaking, the beggar once again bowed his head to the ground with a resounding thud, his voice tinged with both joy and tears. "Thank you for taking me in, master." At that very moment, a succession of clear and melodious electronic tones unexpectedly erupted in Zheng Yi's mind. Ding! Detected that the host has successfully recruited the first disciple, ensuring the continuation of the sect's legacy. Sect Settlement System is being bound. Binding in progress. 105-0100. Binding successful. Welcome to the final position of Sect Master of Tianyan Sect. As the electronic tones ceased, a faint blue light curtain materialized before Zheng Yi. Upon it, lines of concise text appeared, radiating a gentle glow. Boom! Zheng Yi's eyes widened in astonishment, rendering him immobile. He swore that this was the most beautiful and melodious sound he had heard in 2 lifetimes. "Finally, you have arrived. Master? Master, what is wrong?" The beggar, noticing Zheng Yi's prolonged silence, hurriedly rose and anxiously tugged at the hem of his robe. The sound of the call pulled Zheng Yi from the depths of his overwhelming joy back into reality. He took a deep breath, suppressing the urge to laugh heartily towards the sky, and slowly crouched down. "What is your name?" The young beggar shook his head. "I have no name. They all call me Little Beggar." "Little Beggar?" Zheng Yi chuckled. He extended his hand and gently brushed away the pebbles clinging to the boy's forehead. "How can one be without a name? From this day forth, you shall be the eldest disciple of my Tianyan sect. I bestow upon you a name. Henceforth, you shall bear the surname Zheng and the given name Xiaobao. Zheng Xiaobao, do you accept?" Zheng Xiaobao silently repeated this name in his heart, a veil of mist rising in his eyes. It was the first time he possessed a name of his own. "Yes, master. The disciple is named Zheng Xiaobao." Observing the excitement radiating from Zheng Xiaobao, a broader smile spread across Zheng Yi's face. He rose to his feet, no longer glancing at the plaque that lay abandoned on the ground. A coffin board? What a jest! This is the face of Tianyan sect, destined to hang high in the skies, an existence that the entire realm of immortals shall look up to. He patted Zheng Xiaobao's head and pointed towards the direction of the back mountain, brimming with enthusiasm. "Come, Xiaobao. Let us head to the back mountain and seek a prime location for your ancestral master's south resting place. We must ensure that he watches over how Tianyan sect, under my guidance, shall regain its former glory." Unable to contain his excitement, he cast a glance towards his master's chamber. "O master, you truly possess divine foresight. You foretold that your disciple would have great fortune. I had doubted before, but now, I believe." Although Zheng Xiaobao was puzzled by his master's sudden transformation from despair to exuberance, he too felt a surge of joy and nodded vigorously. "Yes, master." As they ventured towards the back mountain, Zheng Yi eventually selected a sunlit slope halfway up the hill, where they could overlook the quaint Qingshi town below. The scenery quite pleasing. "Master, do you wish to bury the ancestral master here?" Zheng Xiaobao inquired softly. Zheng Yi shook his head, gazing into the distance. The earlier despondency replaced by a newfound calm. "No, not yet. Remember, Xiaobao, your ancestral master is a benefactor of the Tianyan sect. His funeral must be grand beyond measure, so that the surrounding villages, nay, the entire realm of immortals, are aware. To hastily inter him now would be a sign of disrespect." Zheng Yi spoke with a grave expression. Yet in his heart, he was calculating. What a joke. With the system present, how could my master be laid to rest beneath a mere broken plaque? It simply cannot be. He resolutely decided that his master deserved the utmost VIP treatment, even in repose. Let us return. Upon returning to the great hall, the plaque he had pried off still lay on the ground. Zheng Yi cast a fleeting glance at it before proceeding directly to the center of the grand hall, where he settled himself upon the worn mat that his master had often occupied in life. Imitating him, Zheng Xiaobao found a relatively intact mat nearby and, emulating Zheng Yi's posture, straightened his diminutive spine. Zheng Yi closed his eyes, allowing his consciousness to delve deep within his mind. The faint azure light screen continued to hover, displaying text that was straightforward and unembellished. Sect Settlement System. Function. At midnight each day, it calculates all positive sect actions performed by the host, returning rewards at a 1,000-fold multiplier. Actions eligible for settlement include accepting disciples, providing guidance, assigning tasks, transforming sect environment, issuing sect decisions, etc. Zheng Yi pondered the phrase positive sect actions. What had he accomplished today? Contemplating the sale of the sect certainly did not count. He had dealt with a few ruffians and rescued a child, which were personal endeavors. The only action that could be tied to the sect was accepting Zheng Xiaobao as his disciple. This was a continuation of the Tianyan sect's lineage. A surge of excitement quickened his heartbeat at the thought. 1,000-fold return. What rewards would the system bestow upon him for taking on a disciple? Enhanced cultivation? Extended lifespan? Or perhaps a new technique? Suddenly, an important realization struck Zheng Yi. He had yet to assess his precious disciple's aptitude. Xiaobao, come here. Zheng Yi opened his eyes and directed his gaze toward Zheng Xiaobao, who was sitting upright and imitating him with an earnest expression. Zheng Xiaobao immediately opened his eyes and scampered over to Zheng Yi. Master. From the pitifully deflated storage pouch at his waist, Zheng Yi retrieved a palm-sized, dull gray stone. This is the spirit testing stone, the last remaining one in the sect, used by my master to assess my spirit root back in the day. He instructed, place your hand upon it and grip it firmly. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao extended his small, dark hand and tightly clutched the spirit testing stone. 1 breath. 2 breaths. 10 breaths passed. The gray stone lay quietly in Zheng Xiaobao's palm, showing no signs of glowing, nor had its color altered in the slightest. The hall was enveloped in silence. Zheng Yi's brows gradually knitted together. Something was amiss. Even a pseudo-spirit root with elements of all 5 attributes would at least emit a faint glow, albeit dim and mixed. Yet, the current situation. Try exerting a bit more strength. At his words, Zheng Xiaobao summoned all his might, the veins on his tiny arms standing out in stark relief. The spirit testing stone remained unresponsive. A troubling thought surfaced in Zheng Yi's mind. He took the stone back and held it himself. Buzz. The stone illuminated with a mottled, dim glow of 5 colors. The stone was intact. Thus, the issue lay with. Zheng Yi gazed at the anxious Zheng Xiaobao and let out a regretful sigh. Does he truly lack a spirit root? Chapter 4. Today, I shall demonstrate to you what it means to take matters into one's own hands. Upon hearing this, Zheng Xiaobao's countenance turned ashen. In the next moment, he fell to his knees with a thud. Master, please, do not cast me away. I am capable of enduring hardship. I can do anything. I can wash your clothes, cook your meals, and tidy the grand hall. I implore you, do not drive me away. The child was genuinely terrified. In this world, lacking spiritual roots signifies being an ordinary mortal, akin to an ant, destined to struggle at the bottom of society for a lifetime. Having finally found someone willing to take him in, he did not wish to return to a life of hunger and humiliation. Seeing his disciples' tears fall, Zheng Yi was momentarily taken aback, then burst into hearty laughter. He reached out and ruffled Zheng Xiaobao's hair. Why the tears? It's not such a grave matter. I am taking you as my disciple, not based on your spiritual roots. He pointed to himself. Do you see? I am a pseudo-root, recognized as a waste in the cultivation world. You lack spiritual roots, meaning you aren't even classified as a waste. We are a perfect pair. A waste and a mortal. Neither of us should disdain the other. Zheng Xiaobao's cries gradually subsided as he lifted his tear-streaked face, sobbing as he asked, Master, you truly will not cast me away? Cast you away? Zheng Yi's expression turned serious. Since I have taken you in, you are now the eldest disciple of the Tianyan sect. No one can change that. Is it impossible to cultivate without spiritual roots? Who says so? Today, I shall show you what it truly means to take matters into one's own hands. Zheng Yi stood up and led Zheng Xiaobao to an open space outside the grand hall. The Tianyan sect was destitute and its lineage severed. The master had left behind no formidable cultivation techniques. However, this did not hinder Zheng Yi from instructing his disciple. Xiaobao, pay close attention. Zheng Yi cleared his throat, assumed a bowing stance, and donned an enigmatic expression. Our sect's techniques emphasize surprise and attacking when the opponent is unprepared. Today, I shall impart to you 3 of our most revered skills. The first move, the hungry tiger pounces. As soon as he finished speaking, Zheng Yi lunged forward, arms outstretched. Although his form was not particularly graceful, the momentum was undeniable. Zheng Xiaobao's eyes widened in astonishment, completely captivated. The second move, the black dog darts through the legs. Zheng Yi lowered his body, mimicking the action of darting through an enemy's legs with remarkable swiftness. The third move, the immortal kneels. He glided forward, executing a swift motion of pushing the opponent's knee backward with both hands. These 3 moves were simple, crude, and effective. Yet, to the eyes of the 7 or 8-year-old Zheng Xiaobao, they appeared to be the techniques of celestial beings engaged in combat. Did you remember them? Zheng Yi relaxed his stance, placing his hands behind his back, embodying the demeanor of a master. Zheng Xiaobao nodded vigorously, his face alight with adoration. The disciple remembers. Excellent. Then practice here. Rest only when you have mastered them. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao promptly dashed to the center of the open space, meticulously imitating the movements. A hungry tiger pounces on its prey. The black dog darts through the legs. Observing his earnest yet comical demeanor, Zheng Yi smiled with satisfaction. He had successfully guided a disciple and accepted an apprentice. 2 commendable actions for the sect had been accomplished. Now, only the midnight tally awaited. He returned to the grand hall, resuming his seat on the meditation mat, closing his eyes in concentration, and embarked on his slow-paced cultivation, a routine he had adhered to for a decade. Time gradually slipped away. The sun descended in the west while the moon ascended to its zenith. The chilling moonlight streamed through the aperture in the hall's ceiling. In one corner, Zheng Xiaobao lay against the mat, fast asleep from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Zheng Yi's focus intensified. He was in anticipation. The hour of the rat was approaching. A crisp electronic chime resonated in his mind, akin to celestial music from beyond the heavens. Ding! The hour of the rat has arrived. The Sect Settlement System begins its assessment. Settlement commencing. Detected today as commendable actions by the host. Accepting an apprentice. Action evaluation. Continuation of the lineage. Infusing new hope into the sect. Immeasurable merit. Detected today as commendable actions by the host. Guiding a disciple. Action evaluation. Imparting knowledge, though elementary martial arts. It has opened the path of cultivation for the disciple. Performing 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for attaining the martial prowess of a grandmaster. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the complete version of Basic Body Refinement Technique X1. Before Zheng Yi could fully comprehend the first reward, a second notification followed swiftly. Detected the host has meditated and cultivated for 2 hours today. Action evaluation, diligent and persevering. Performing 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for advancing to initial foundation establishment. Boom. A cascade of notifications erupted in Zheng Yi's mind, leaving him utterly astonished. Foundation establishment? Me? In the next moment, a surging and pure warmth surged forth from deep within his dantian, instantly coursing through his limbs and bones. Crack, crack. His skeletal structure emitted a series of explosive sounds akin to popping beans. The meridians that had been blocked for a decade were forcefully shattered by this overwhelming energy. The bottleneck of the fourth level of Qi refinement, which had plagued him for 10 long years, crumbled in less than half a second. Qi refinement level 5. Qi refinement level 6. Ultimate completion of Qi refinement level 11. The force did not relent. Rather, it intensified, converging into a torrent within him. Crashing against the invisible barrier above his dantian. A soft pop resonated, as if piercing through a sheet of paper. Suddenly, his entire aura transformed, unleashing an overwhelming spiritual pressure far exceeding that of the Qi refinement stage, radiating uncontrollably from his being. He had succeeded. Foundation establishment. Zheng Yi abruptly opened his eyes. An overwhelming astonishment reflected in his gaze. 10 years. A decade of arduous cultivation, yet his progress had been as sluggish as a snail's pace. Now, with a mere calculation from the system, his cultivation speed, previously hindered by his pseudo-spiritual roots, had skyrocketed. He couldn't help but muse. If only he were one of those prodigies with true spiritual roots, this tenfold return would surely catapult him directly into the golden core stage. This enhancement seemed utterly absurd. No, this was not mere enhancement. It was the culmination of a decade of relentless effort that had birthed such a remarkable breakthrough. Simultaneously, a vast and intricate understanding of martial arts surged into his mind. The techniques of fists, palms, fingers, and legs, every muscle and meridian in the human body, suddenly coalesced within him, and he grasped their essence fully. At that moment, he was akin to a martial arts master, steeped in the ways of combat for decades. Standing at the pinnacle of mortal martial arts, Zheng Yi slowly rose to his feet, feeling the ceaseless flow of spiritual energy within him, along with the potential for terrifying power residing in his body. A sense of unreality enveloped him. Instinctively, he raised his hand and gently waved it towards the empty space before him. Without employing any spiritual energy, he merely executed the techniques befitting a martial arts master. Bang! A muffled explosion resonated through the hall. The air before him seemed to be instantaneously vacated, creating a visible wave of energy that crashed against the opposite wall. Chapter 5. A foundation established overnight. This enhancement is astonishing. With a thunderous crash, the already loose plaster and several tiles from the wall were dislodged by the force of the wave, tumbling to the ground. Master? Master? What happened? Was there an earthquake? In a corner, Zheng Xiaobao, blissfully asleep, jolted awake in fright, sitting up abruptly on his straw mat, eyes wide with trepidation as he scanned his surroundings. Zheng Yi's heart raced. He promptly suppressed all his aura, restoring the enigmatic expression to his face. He turned around, his voice steady. Nothing to worry about. I merely experienced a moment of insight, and the resulting energy was a bit excessive. Return to your slumber. It is still dark outside. Rubbing his eyes, Zheng Xiaobao gazed at his master, who stood tall and composed in the center of the hall, his initial fear swiftly replaced by deep admiration. His master could create such a commotion with just a casual insight. How incredible. Yes, master, he obediently replied, lying back down, soon drifting into a rhythmic breathing pattern. Zheng Yi exhaled in relief, suppressing the surging excitement within him, and once more delved into the recesses of his mind. He focused his attention on the newly acquired Basic Body Refinement Technique. Basic Body Refinement Technique. Perfect addition in ancient entry-level heart method from a body refinement sect. Optimized by the system to eliminate the superfluous. No spiritual roots are required. Even mortals may cultivate it. Mastering it to profound depths enables one to confront magical treasures with sheer physical strength, shattering mountains and rivers with a fist. No need for spiritual roots. Upon reading those 4 words, Zheng Yi's heart skipped a beat. This is undoubtedly a cultivation method meticulously tailored for Zheng Xiaobao. Initially, he was troubled, pondering how to instruct a mere mortal without spiritual roots. However, the dilemma has now been resolved. The Heavenly Fortune Sect has finally acquired a technique that can genuinely be passed down through generations. Although it currently remains a rudimentary body refining method, Zheng Yi firmly believes that, with the sect's development, more advanced techniques will undoubtedly emerge in the future. The ecstasy of sudden wealth gradually subsided, and Zheng Yi's thoughts became clearer. His consciousness expanded, surveying the still dilapidated Grand Hall, which appeared even more shattered due to his earlier sweeping gesture. Although he had stepped into the foundation establishment stage, the fundamental issues of the sect remained unresolved. The sect was impoverished, and the environment was deplorable. The disciples' talents were abysmal, nay, they possessed no talent whatsoever. To continuously receive substantial returns from the system, it was imperative to enhance the sect's infrastructure and cultivate the disciples effectively. Both aspects were indispensable. Having just begun to establish his foundation, he knew he must persist in his efforts. System, reveal your limits to me. The following day, as dawn broke, Zheng Yi opened his eyes and rose from his meditation mat. After a night of deep contemplation, he felt invigorated, devoid of any weariness. Exiting the Grand Hall, he extended his consciousness outward. Now that he had become a foundation establishment cultivator, his perception of the external world had become extraordinarily acute. He could vividly perceive that the spiritual energy surrounding the entire Qingstone Mountain resembled a pool of nearly dried-up stagnant water, devoid of vitality. It was not merely unsuitable for cultivation. Even a mortal would fall ill from prolonged exposure to the chilling aura of the mountains. Master, Zheng Xiaobao had already awakened and was laboriously sweeping the fallen leaves in front of the Grand Hall with a broom taller than himself. Zheng Yi retrieved a steamed bun from his storage bag and offered it to him. Eat this before you continue. Yes. Zheng Xiaobao accepted the bun and devoured it ravenously. Observing his frail figure, Zheng Yi approached, ruffled his hair, and earnestly advised, Xiaobao, what I taught you yesterday was merely external martial arts. True cultivation lies in nurturing the heart. The sect is our home and our sanctuary. To calm the heart, we must maintain our sanctuary in pristine condition, free from any dust. When the heart is tranquil, myriad laws will flourish. Your task for today is to sweep the entire sect, from the mountain gate to the back mountain. Once you have done so, I shall impart to you the genuine methods of cultivation. Upon hearing of the authentic cultivation methods, Zheng Xiaobao's eyes instantly sparkled. He forcefully swallowed the last bite of his bun and thumped his chest with determination. Rest assured, master, I will ensure that the sect is spotless. Seeing his enthusiastic disciple, Zheng Yi nodded with satisfaction. After settling Zheng Xiaobao, he turned and descended the mountain. The construction of the sect required spiritual stones, and organizing a grand funeral for his master would necessitate even more spiritual stones. Relying solely on passive returns from the system was inadequate. He needed to take proactive measures. Zheng Yi descended the steps of the Qingstone Mountain, glancing back at the plaque of the Tianyun sect that he had rehung. Master, O master, during your lifetime, your benevolence knew no bounds. You never pursued those who owed the sect offerings or favors. Yet now, you are gone. This sect, I have inherited. It is my duty to reclaim every debt on your behalf, one by one. The town of Qingstone below remained bustling as ever. Zheng Yi still donned the faded Dao robe, his demeanor restrained. Yet, despite the unchanged attire, he was no longer the same man. He did not visit the stall of the toothless vendor who regarded him as a fool, nor did he linger on the streets. Instead, he proceeded directly to the grandest residence at the eastern end of the town. The Vermilion Gate, guarded by stone lions, bore a plaque with gilded characters proclaiming Wang Mansion. This was the abode of Wang Fuguei, the wealthiest man in Qingstone town. Stop! Just as Zheng Yi was about to ascend the steps, two burly attendants crossed their wooden staves to block his path. One of them scrutinized Zheng Yi with disdain. Who is this wild Taoist? Our Wang family does not offer charity. Beg elsewhere. The other attendant scoffed. Do you even know where you are to dare ask for alms? Zheng Yi halted, his expression placid. He even bestowed a benign smile upon the two attendants. I am not here to beg. He adjusted his robe's collar, his voice soft yet clear, reaching their ears effortlessly. I am Zheng Yi of the Tianyun sect. Today, I have come to seek an old debt owed to my master from your esteemed household. The attendants exchanged glances before erupting into raucous laughter. Seek a debt? Ha ha ha, did I hear that correctly? A destitute Taoist has come to our Wang family to demand payment? Boy, has your cultivation muddled your mind? Begone, or do not blame us for the consequences of our sticks. Their raucous shouts drew the attention of numerous passers-by. The Wang family ruled Qingstone Town, and no one dared provoke them. The onlookers wore expressions of amusement, eager for the spectacle. What is all this commotion? A voice of irritation resounded from within the mansion. A middle-aged man clad in a brocade robe and wearing a square cap emerged. He was the steward of the Wang family. Upon witnessing the scene at the entrance, a flicker of impatience crossed his face. But as he recognized Zheng Yi, a momentary flash of contempt appeared in his eyes, quickly replaced by a facade of insincere smiles. Ah, if it isn't the young Taoist Zheng from the Tianyin sect. What brings you here? As he spoke, he waved for the attendants to step aside. He approached Zheng Yi with deliberate slowness, his words dripping with condescension. It has been years, you still possess the same charm. I wonder how your master, the venerable old sect leader, is faring? My master has passed on. Zheng Yi replied calmly. Chapter 6. The debts of my Tianyin sect, those who owe must repay. The steward's eyes flickered with understanding as he instantly discerned Zheng Yi's intentions. He sighed, rummaging through his sleeve to produce several pieces of broken silver, which he casually tossed at Zheng Yi's feet. The old patriarch has passed on, and it weighs heavily on our master's heart. However, our household has recently suffered a shortage of resources. Otherwise, I would have certainly paid my respects. Young Taoist, it is not my intention to speak ill of you, but these days are indeed challenging. Your Tianyin sect, alas, the old patriarch devoted his life to that dilapidated temple, which was no small burden. You are still young. It would be wise to make plans for the future. Take this as a small token from the Wang family. Buy yourself a few buns to stave off hunger. The disdainful attitude was more wounding than the sticks wielded by the guards at the entrance. The crowd surrounding them erupted in muted chuckles. The amiable smile on Zheng Yi's face gradually faded. He did not bend down to retrieve the pieces of silver. Instead, he lightly lifted his foot and stepped upon them. Without a sound, without any ethereal glow, those decent pieces of silver silently transformed into a delicate cloud of silver powder. Swept away by the wind, the steward's smile froze in place. He felt his legs weaken, nearly collapsing to the ground. Go inform your master. Zheng Yi's voice remained calm. Yet it struck the steward's heart like a heavy hammer. My master's debts cannot be evaded. Yes, yes. The steward dared not utter another word, scurrying back into the manor in a state of panic. Master, master, it's terrible. Inside the study, a portly official adorned in silks was enjoying a performance by two beautiful maidens. However, the steward's frantic cries disrupted his enjoyment. Wang Fugui's face flushed with anger. He kicked the steward away and impatiently scolded, What are you wailing about? Did your father or mother die? The steward, crawling and kneeling on the ground, with a mournful expression, recounted the events that had transpired at the entrance. What? A demand for payment? That old codger from the Tianyin sect once helped me with feng shui. I gave him 10 taels of silver back then, and we are settled. Now his disciple dares to come demanding payment? This is outrageous. Infuriated, Wang Fugui smashed the teacup in his hand onto the ground. And to dare destroy my silver. Does he think of himself as someone significant? He shouted towards the door, Zhou Gongfeng. Where is Zhou Gongfeng? Come out. No sooner had the words left his mouth than a figure gracefully descended from the courtyard wall. The newcomer, appearing to be in his 30s, donned a blue outfit and bore an arrogant demeanor. Zhou Tong, a wandering practitioner of the 7th layer of qi refinement and a devoted member of the Wang family. Master Wang, what is your command? Zhou Gongfeng. There is a young rascal from the Tianyin sect causing a ruckus at my Wang family. I need you to intervene, break his legs, and throw him out. Tianyin sect? Zhou Tong scoffed. Isn't that the waste who has been stuck at the 4th layer of qi refinement for 10 years? He had long heard of Zheng Yi's reputation and dismissed it entirely. Rest assured, Master Wang, I shall return shortly. Zhou Tong strode confidently towards the entrance of the mansion, hands clasped behind his back. With his chin slightly raised, he regarded Zheng Yi with an air of condescension. You have quite the audacity to cause a commotion at the Wang family estate. I shall grant you 3 breaths. Kneel, bow your head in repentance, and sever an arm. Perhaps then I might spare your wretched life. Otherwise, do not expect to leave Qingstone Town on your feet today. His voice dripped with arrogance. To him, a mere cultivator at the 4th level of qi refinement was not even worthy of his attention. Furthermore, the decline of the Tianyin sect was common knowledge. He dismissed the insignificant sect with disdain. It appeared the Wang family had no intention of repaying their debts. Zheng Yi seemed unfazed by the threat, merely letting out a soft sigh as the smile vanished from his face. Zhou Tong's brow furrowed, sensing his authority had been challenged. Seeking death, he scoffed, channeling his internal energy as his right hand morphed into a claw, conjuring a fierce wind as he lunged toward Zheng Yi's shoulder. He exerted 50% of his strength, enough to shatter the shoulder of a 4th-level Qi refinement cultivator. Wang Fugui, who had come to witness the spectacle, wore a cruel smirk. The surrounding onlookers instinctively closed their eyes, unable to bear the impending brutality. However, the anticipated scream never came. Just as Zhou Tong's talons were about to graze Zheng Yi's robe, the latter moved. His actions were not swift. Rather, they possessed a languid grace. He stepped forward as if strolling in a tranquil garden, slightly lowering his stature before deftly maneuvering to Zhou Tong's side. Zhou Tong's heart raced in alarm. His claw had grasped nothing but air. Before he could comprehend, a subtle force surged from the back of his knee. The impact was not great, yet it was alarmingly precise, striking the critical point of his energy flow. Kneel before the immortal. With a thunderous crash, Zhou Tong felt his legs buckle, as though his internal energy had been instantly siphoned away, and his knees fell uncontrollably onto the unyielding stone pavement. The sound of shattering bones echoed clearly. A heart-wrenching scream erupted from Zhou Tong's lips as he realized in horror that his kneecaps had been utterly obliterated. Even more terrifying was the invisible force that sealed his meridians, rendering him incapable of wielding even a fraction of his energy. How could it be that he, a 7th-level Qi refinement cultivator, was so easily incapacitated? With a single move, just one, the street fell into an eerie silence. All eyes wide with disbelief as they beheld the scene before them. Wang Fugui's expression of delight froze, replaced by an overwhelming terror. The guards, armed with clubs and knives, trembled in fear, their weapons clattering to the ground. Zheng Yi, offering no glance toward the wailing Zhou Tong, slowly approached Wang Fugui, towering over him with an air of dominance. Master Wang, 2 decades ago, you encountered bandits while trading and suffered grave injuries. It was my master who, with a century-old spiritual herb, sustained your life. 8 years prior, when your business faced ruin and bankruptcy loomed, my master personally escorted your merchant convoy, ensuring your safe passage, allowing you to rise again and achieve your current prosperity. Do you recall these events? My master, being benevolent, refrains from quarreling with mortals. His voice, though soft, resonated clearly in the ears of everyone present. However, I am different. The debts of the Tianyin sect must be repaid by those who owe them, with both principal and interest. Upon hearing these words, Wang Fugui was struck with terror, his spirit fleeing as he fell to the ground, prostrating himself before Zheng Yi, fervently begging for mercy. Great Immortal, spare me. I am a fool who failed to recognize your greatness. I deserve to die. He dared not conceal anything, spilling forth the names of the prominent families in Qingshi town whom the old sect master had aided, revealing who owed favors and who had promised offerings. Immortal, I am willing to atone. I would even exhaust my fortune to drag those heartless individuals along, only pleading for you to spare my life. Zheng Yi did not cast a glance at him, speaking calmly. Before noon today, I demand to see a high-quality Namo coffin at the mountain gate, and you must repay the spirit stones you owe to the Tianyin sect, not a single one less. Should you fail to meet the deadline, or if the items are not as required, the Wang family shall cease to exist in Qingshi town. Wang Fugui, trembling with fear, did not utter a word of protest, nodding fervently. Yes, I will see to it. I shall accomplish this. Zheng Yi paid him no further heed, turning away amidst the eyes filled with reverence and dread, vanishing around the street corner. All that remained at the Wang family's entrance was chaos and the lamentations of a broken man. The news spread like wildfire throughout Qingshi town. The wasteful sect master of Tianyun, at the 4th level of Qi refinement, had incapacitated the Wang family's elder in a single move. Wang Fugui, terrified beyond measure, was frantically seeking to procure the finest Nanmu coffin. The other affluent families who had once benefited from the old sect master's kindness, yet had acted insincerely, now found themselves in a state of panic. The Li family, the Zhao family, the Sun family. Suddenly, all the wealthy households of Qingshi town sprang into action, fearing they might be the next to face ruin. Chapter 7. Is the senior a foundation establishment practitioner? When Zheng Yi returned to the Tianyin sect, the sun had only just begun to rise. He appeared as if he had merely taken a stroll, his expression revealing no signs of turmoil. In front of the main hall, Zheng Xiaobao was diligently sweeping fallen leaves with a broom taller than himself, his small figure appearing especially earnest in the morning light. Zheng Yi did not disturb him and walked straight into the hall, resuming his place on the worn mat to continue his cultivation. Every moment must be seized to enhance his strength. As noon approached, a long procession was making its way up the mountain path towards Qingshi Mountain. At the forefront of the procession stood Wang Fugui, the wealthiest man in Qingshi town. His face was ashen, beads of sweat cascading down his brow, as he, alongside several attendants, struggled to carry an enormous coffin, entirely black and exuding a faint fragrance. The exquisite materials and craftsmanship of the coffin spoke volumes of its considerable worth. Following closely behind were a dozen prominent heads of families from Qingshe town, individuals accustomed to a life of luxury and authority. Yet, at this moment, they appeared dejected, each clutching ornate boxes or storage pouches of various sizes, filled with spiritual stones they had collectively gathered. When this peculiar procession finally arrived before the dilapidated gates of the Tianyun sect, all were taken aback by the scene before them. Inside the drafty hall sat the young sect master, clad in white robes, quietly meditating on a mat. Beside him stood a grimy little beggar, straightening his back and mimicking the master's posture with a serious expression. One resembled a deity, the other a humble servant. In that moment, the crumbling temple possessed an air of solemnity akin to a sacred sanctuary. Wang Fugui could no longer maintain his composure. His legs buckled, and he knelt on the ground. Trembling as he spoke, "Immortal Master, I have brought the Nanmo coffin you requested." The wealthy patrons behind him promptly followed suit, kneeling in unison and raising their ornate boxes high above their heads. "Immortal Master, this offering is from my family, the Li, and mine, the Zhao family." Zheng Yi slowly opened his eyes. He did not glance at the gathered individuals or the boxes brimming with spiritual stones. His gaze was fixed upon the Nanmo coffin. "Indeed," he uttered softly. It was evident that several families had contributed substantial amounts of spiritual stones, clearly hoping to avert disaster through their generosity, seeking a measure of peace. The atmosphere in the hall grew increasingly oppressive. After a prolonged silence, Zheng Yi finally spoke, his tone remarkably calm. "Today marks the day of the grand burial for my master, the previous sect master of Tianyun sect. Your attendance at this funeral reflects your intentions." Upon hearing this, the crowd felt a slight sense of relief, believing they were about to pass this trial. However, Zheng Yi's next words plunged them into despair. Since it is a funeral, there must be proper customs to observe. He gestured toward a pile of rough, coarse mourning garments that had inexplicably appeared nearby. "Put these on. My master was compassionate in life. You shall honor him as his unworthy disciples, donning mourning attire to send him off on his final journey." "What? Don mourning clothes?" The wealthy patrons were left stunned, their minds swirling. They were esteemed figures in Qingshe town, and now they were expected to act as filial sons and grandsons for a deceased old Taoist priest? What would become of their reputations if this were to spread? A wave of humiliation and anger surged within them, and some instinctively opened their mouths to protest. Yet, upon seeing Zheng Yi's calm and resolute countenance, all words lodged in their throats, leaving them utterly speechless. They could only humbly don the coarse hemp garments over their splendid silks. Zheng Yi rose, making his way to the bedroom, where he gently lifted his master's lifeless body, handling it with utmost care and solemnity, before placing it reverently into the exquisite Nanmo coffin. With a decisive command, the coffin was raised. In that moment, the esteemed figures of Qingstone town, Wang Fugui, the head of the Li family, and Zhao Yuanwei, bent their proud backs. Their faces flushed as they collectively hoisted the heavy coffin. They followed the silhouette in white, step by step, towards the rear mountain. There, on the sunlit slope halfway up the mountain, a freshly dug grave awaited. Wang Fugui and the others were already breathless, their fine garments soaked with sweat and muddied, appearing quite disheveled. Yet it was the weariness of the heart that weighed more heavily upon them. At Zheng Yi's signal, they cautiously lowered the heavy Nanmo coffin into the grave. The moment the coffin settled, a collective sigh of relief echoed among them. Zheng Yi did not instruct them to fill the grave. Instead, he stood silently before it, gazing at the coffin with a complex expression. After a long pause, he turned to face the trembling descendants behind him. "My master devoted his life to safeguarding the Tianyun sect and the Qingstone mountain. Today he rests here." Zheng Yi's voice resonated through the mountains, imbued with an undeniable authority. "This place shall henceforth be a forbidden ground for the Tianyun sect. No one shall encroach upon it or disturb my master's peace." The moment those words left his lips, an overwhelming surge of spiritual pressure erupted from Zheng Yi, far surpassing that of the Qi refinement stage. This pressure descended upon the hearts of all present like an invisible mountain. The mortal wealthy families could hardly withstand it. Collapsing to the ground in a chorus of cries, their disgrace laid bare. Among the group, several Qi refinement cultivators, including the now dispowered Zhou Tong and other family offerings, turned ashen, trembling uncontrollably. They felt it most acutely. The aura was beyond that of any Qi refinement practitioner. The purity and profundity of that spiritual force. The overwhelming dominance. It was as if a foundation establishment master had emerged. A rogue cultivator at the 6th level of Qi refinement screamed in terror and despair. Foundation establishment? The very mention of those words detonated in the minds of everyone present. Zhou Tong lay on the ground, gazing up at the figure in white before the grave. His eyes filled not only with fear, but also with profound regret. How could he have dared to provoke a being of Foundation establishment? He truly had a death wish. No wonder, as a 7th-level Qi refinement cultivator, he could not withstand even a single strike in the presence of a Foundation establishment practitioner. His meager abilities were akin to those of an ant. This revelation was 100-fold more shocking than Zheng Yi's incapacitation of Zhou Tong with a single blow. The once derided waste of Tianyun's sect, mocked for a decade, has unexpectedly revealed himself as a concealed powerhouse at the Foundation establishment stage. In an instant, all remnants of luck, resentment, and discontent were utterly crushed beneath the weight of this undeniable strength. Zheng Yi retracted his oppressive aura, casting not a single glance at the wealthy individuals sprawled on the ground, their disgrace laid bare. "Begone," he commanded, and it was as though a pardon had been granted. The group scrambled away in a state of utter disarray, fleeing the back mountain in a haphazard manner. Soon, only Zheng Yi and Zheng Xiaobao remained on the hillside. Zheng Yi personally took up a shovel, methodically covering the coffin with fresh earth. Zheng Xiaobao, emulating his master, diligently assisted in the task. As the final shovelful of soil was laid, a new grave emerged upon the slope. Chapter 8, Immortal Master. A humble soul has come, seeking a favor. Standing before the new grave, Zheng Yi felt the mountain breeze stir his white robe. He lingered no longer and turned to descend the slope. With Zheng Xiaobao closely trailing behind, a solemn expression adorning his youthful face. Upon their return to the main hall, the numerous brocade boxes and storage bags presented by the affluent families of Qingstone Town were carelessly piled in a corner, starkly contrasting the dilapidated state of the sect. Zheng Yi casually opened the largest brocade box, revealing a neatly arranged collection of low-grade spirit stones, each exuding a faint aura. A rough count revealed no fewer than 100 pieces. He then opened a storage bag, probing within with his spiritual sense, and found it similarly filled with spirit stones. Alongside several vials of elixirs, Wang Fugui and the others had truly invested heavily in their survival this time. "Xiaobao," Zheng Yi said, taking a handful of silver coins and handing them to Zheng Xiaobao. "Use this money to go down to the town and buy some rice and grains, along with several sets of clothing. Spend the remaining coins on whatever you desire. Do not feel compelled to save for your master." Zheng Xiaobao clutched the silver tightly, his hands trembling slightly. It was the first time in his life that someone had permitted him to buy whatever he wished to eat. "Master." Zheng Yi waved his hand. "From now on, you shall be my foremost disciple of Tianyun's sect and must no longer wear tattered garments. Go now." "Yes, master." Zheng Xiaobao nodded vigorously, carefully tucking the silver into his robes before sprinting toward the backyard well. Before long, a clean and freshly attired young acolyte, albeit in somewhat oversized but tidy old robes, emerged from the back courtyard. These were the very garments Zheng Yi had received from his master when he first ascended the mountain a decade ago. This scene left Zheng Yi momentarily lost in thought. Watching Xiaobao's retreating figure as he dashed down the mountain, Zheng Yi turned toward the back mountain, seeking out a patch of overgrown wasteland. The soil here was relatively fertile. Now a Foundation establishment cultivator, he could manipulate objects with his spiritual sense. In less than half an hour, a plot of land measuring half an acre was cleared. The soil turned soft and even. Henceforth, this shall be the medicinal field of our Tianyun sect. Although not a single seed of the elixir herb was in possession, the premises needed to be prepared first. After completing these tasks, Zheng Yi returned to the main hall. Before long, footsteps and voices echoed from outside the mountain gate. With a sweep of his divine awareness, Zheng Yi discerned that Zheng Xiaobao had returned. As expected, the boy was obedient, his hair neatly combed and his entire person meticulously cleansed. Yet, why was there a middle-aged man carrying a yoke behind him? Zheng Yi fixed his gaze and recognized the man as Zhang the butcher, the vendor of cooked meats from Qingshi town. The man bore 2 heavy loads brimming with grains and dried meats, sweat pouring from his brow as he followed closely behind Zheng Xiaobao, his face adorned with an obsequious smile. Upon sighting Zheng Yi, he promptly dropped his burdens, smiled broadly, and rushed forward, prostrating himself with a thud. "Your humble servant Zhang Defa pays respects to the immortal elder," he exclaimed. Zheng Yi raised an eyebrow. "What is the meaning of this? Immortal elder?" Zhang the butcher blushed deeply with excitement. "I have heard that you are a genuine, living immortal. Your humble servant was previously blind to your true stature and has been remiss in his conduct. I beg your pardon." He then gestured toward his burdens. "Young Xiaobao purchased goods from your humble servant, yet I dare not accept payment from the immortal elder. Please accept these provisions as a token of filial respect for you and your senior disciple." With that, he produced the silver coins paid by Zheng Xiaobao and offered them with both hands. Zheng Yi cast a glance at him, then at the somewhat awkward Zheng Xiaobao, and seemed to understand. The incident at the Wang family's gate that morning had evidently spread throughout Qingshe town. Not a single coin shall be withheld. We shall purchase your goods at full price, Zheng Yi stated calmly. Rise, for my Tianyun sect forbids such acts. Yet Zhang the butcher refused to stand. Instead, bowing deeply once more. Immortal elder, I have one more humble request. He implored. Speak. Your humble servant dares to beseech that my son be accepted into your tutelage. Even if only as a registered disciple, to serve tea to the senior brother, to toil as a beast of burden, I would be willing without hesitation. Zhang's face was filled with earnest supplication. In these times, mortals are as insignificant as grass and weeds. To seize even a sliver of an opportunity for cultivation is akin to ancestral blessings rising from the grave. Though the Tianyun sect is in decline, the sect master is a formidable foundation establishment cultivator. This news alone is enough to send the entire Qingshe town's mortals into frenzy. Zheng Yi remained silent. Taking disciples? The system might favor it, but he could not accept just anyone. Gazing at Zhang the butcher kneeling below, eyes brimming with hope, he spoke slowly. My master's remains have yet to grow cold. During the mourning period, the sect must not admit new disciples. If you truly hold such intentions, bring your son up the mountain after 100 days. I shall know at a glance. Zhang was momentarily stunned, but soon overjoyed. The immortal elder has not refused outright. This is an opportunity. Thank you, immortal elder. I understand. After 100 days, I shall bring my son to pay respects. He then knocked his head against the ground several times in gratitude. Zheng Yi instructed Zheng Xiaobao to settle the meal expenses. Zhang the butcher, unable to decline any longer, gratefully accepted the offering, shouldering the empty burden and departing with a heart full of joy. The grand hall once again fell into tranquility. The master and disciple savored the delectable braised meat and steamed buns, with Zheng Xiaobao indulging to the point of grease on his lips, his face radiating an unprecedented happiness. After their meal, Zheng Yi presented Zheng Xiaobao with the system's reward, the basic body refinement technique. Xiaobao, from this day forth, you shall cultivate this technique. He meticulously taught Zheng Xiaobao the first layer of the heart method, word by word, and personally demonstrated several accompanying body refinement movements. Although Zheng Xiaobao lacked a spiritual root, his memory was exceptional, and he listened with utmost seriousness. Very well, practice here. If you have questions, come and ask me. Yes, master. Once his disciple was settled, Zheng Yi returned to the cushion in the grand hall and sat cross-legged. It was time for him to add to his own achievements for the evening's assessment. With his eyes closed, he immersed his consciousness into his dantian, allowing the foundational spirit energy to flow slowly through his meridians. As the night deepened, the moonlight poured like water over the dilapidated sect. In the open space outside the grand hall, Zheng Xiaobao practiced until he was drenched in sweat, and finally, unable to continue, returned to the corner of the hall where a straw mat lay, succumbing to a deep slumber. A satisfied smile lingered at the corners of his mouth in his dreams. Zheng Yi remained in his meditative posture, resembling a stone statue, patiently waiting. At last, as the clock's hands quietly passed that significant juncture, the hour of the rat arrived. A familiar electronic tone resonated in his mind. Ding! The hour of the rat has arrived. The Sect's assessment system is commencing. Assessment begins. Detected host's actions today. Assigning disciple tasks. Cleaning the sect. Behavior evaluation. The sect is my home. Cleanliness depends on everyone. The disciple has developed a sense of belonging to the sect, resulting in a slight increase in sect cohesion. Initiating 10,000-fold assessment. Congratulations, host. You have gained. Sect's spiritual energy concentration increased by 100-fold. Congratulations, host. You have gained. Earth Elemental Spirit, Juvenile Form, X1. Boom. The first reward materialized. Chapter 9. Elevated to the pinnacle of foundation establishment. 100-fold increase in spiritual energy concentration? The spiritual energy of this dilapidated mountain was already so sparse that it was nearly negligible. An increase of 100-fold would indeed signify a qualitative leap. Before Zheng Yi could ponder further, an indescribable mystical transformation enveloped the entire Qingshe mountain in an instant. The once stagnant and thin spiritual energy seemed to be infused with boundless vitality at that moment. The air grew thick in an instant. Visible strands of white spiritual energy surged from the depths of the earth, swirling like ethereal mist, enveloping every corner of the Tianyun sect. The holes in the grand hall's roof were inundated with rich spiritual energy, forming small vortices of spiritual energy. In the courtyard, the withered yellow weeds rejuvenated at a visibly rapid pace, with a few wildflowers quietly blooming in the depths of the night. Even more astonishingly, in the very center of the grand hall of the Tianyun sect, directly before Zheng Yi, countless points of light converged. A crystal, about the size of a fist and emanating a gentle, earthy yellow glow, slowly took shape. Earthly primordial spirit, a miraculous entity birthed from the confluence of celestial and terrestrial energies, capable of significantly enhancing the spiritual energy concentration of a specific area and improving the ley lines. It is the ultimate treasure of the sect's blessed land. Zheng Yi's breath caught momentarily. What a revelation! From this day forth, the Tianyun sect would no longer be a desolate wasteland devoid of spiritual energy, but rather a cultivation haven that would evoke envy in any wandering practitioner. In a corner, the slumbering Zheng Xiaobao turned comfortably, letting out a satisfied murmur. He felt as if he were immersed in warm water, a gentle warmth enveloping him, even his breaths tinged with a hint of sweetness. The system's notification continued. Detected today as actions of the host towards the sect, guiding disciples. Action evaluation, teaching and enlightening, paving the way for the disciples' physical refinement, a great virtue indeed. Commencing 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for gaining insight into martial Tao. Congratulations to the host for acquiring complete version of Dragon Elephant Suppressing Hell Technique X1. A torrent of profound insights surged into his mind, this time transcending mere martial techniques to encompass a higher understanding. If the previous martial masters represented skill, then the essence of martial Tao embodied the true path. His comprehension of power instantaneously ascended beyond a single tier. Just a glance at the description of the Dragon Elephant Suppressing Hell Technique sent waves of shock through Zheng Yi's heart. Dragon Elephant Suppressing Hell Technique, an ancient body refinement divine art, when cultivated to perfection, grants one the immense strength of a dragon and elephant, capable of moving mountains and filling seas, achieving sanctity in flesh, and subduing hell. This was exponentially more powerful than the basic body refinement technique. Zheng Yi forcibly suppressed his excitement, awaiting the final settlement. Detected that the host meditated for 6 hours today. Action evaluation, rising at the crow of the rooster. The king within the scroll, commencing 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for achieving peak of late foundation establishment. Boom. A torrent of pure spiritual energy erupted within him, even more magnificent than during his previous foundation establishment. The recently stabilized initial foundation realm felt as fragile as paper before this surge of power. Mid-foundation establishment. Late foundation establishment. Progressing with unstoppable momentum. He broke through without encountering any bottlenecks, ultimately stabilizing at the peak of late foundation establishment. The surging power filled his limbs and bones. Now, he was but a step away from the golden core stage. Zheng Yi exhaled a long breath, the exhalation coalescing into a white mist that lingered in the air, refusing to dissipate. Feeling the ceaseless flow of spiritual energy within him, complemented by the almost tangible aura surrounding him, Zheng Yi could not help but murmur in awe. Truly, diligence is rewarded, the ancients do not deceive. After a brief moment of elation, as he meditated, Zheng Yi could distinctly sense the rich spiritual energy of his sect being absorbed. Is the concentration of spiritual energy increased 100-fold? He frowned slightly. The spiritual vein of the Qingshi mountain had been depleted, the energy so thin it was nearly non-existent. Even if it were to multiply 100 times, it would likely dissipate before long. He then raised his gaze to the earthy yellow crystal suspended in midair. The essence of the earth, enhancing the ley lines. Yes. This is the crux. A thought sparked in Zheng Yi's mind. The fist-sized crystal seemed to respond to his call, transforming into a stream of light and gracefully soaring towards his forehead. Without any hindrance, the crystal gently integrated into his brow, coursing through his meridians, ultimately settling securely at the center of his dantian. An indescribable coolness radiated from the depths of his dantian, nurturing the newly opened sea of qi. What had initially felt somewhat tenuous due to his rapid advancement now became solid and substantial under this soothing force. To Zheng Yi's astonishment, his dantian was being gradually transformed and fortified by this essence of the earth. Suddenly, he recalled the system's prompt that this entity was a juvenile form. In other words, it is a living being? He cautiously extended a thread of his consciousness, delicately probing into his dantian to touch the earthy yellow crystal. Can you enhance the ley lines of this mountain? The essence of the earth emitted no sound, yet a clear intention, tinged with affection, resonated within his mind. Yes. Zheng Yi's heart soared with joy. With this entity, the spiritual energy of the Tianyun sect would have a foundation. This dilapidated mountain could genuinely transform from a desolate wasteland into a sanctuary for cultivation. However, he quickly regained his composure. As the saying goes, a common man is innocent, but possessing a treasure can lead to disaster. Currently, the Tianyun sect resembled a dilapidated temple, lacking even a decent protective formation. As the sect leader at the foundation stage, he was, in essence, a large ant. If he were to bury this essence of the earth directly into the ley lines, The surge of spiritual energy would surely attract all wandering cultivators within 100 miles by the next day. At that point, he would not only struggle to protect the treasure, but might also endanger his own life, and that of Zheng Xiaobao. This entity must remain nurtured within his dantian for now. Once the sect establishes the most fundamental defensive capabilities, only then should it be utilized to nourish the ley lines. That is the most prudent strategy. With this realization, Zheng Yi withdrew his focus from the dantian and turned his attention to another reward in the system's repository, Dragon Elephant Suppression Technique. With a thought, an ancient tome of cultivation techniques materialized in his hands. As he turned the first page, the intricate and profound techniques alongside the astonishing diagrams of human meridian flows instantly captivated his full attention. Having recently grasped the true essence of martial arts, his understanding had ascended to an entirely new echelon. In this moment, as he perused the tome on body refinement, many seemingly obscure aspects began to subtly resonate with its core. This technique was truly born for the purest physical strength, should one cultivate it to a profound level. Every punch and kick would embody the formidable might of a dragon or an elephant. Its power would likely surpass that of ordinary spells, inciting a sense of dread. Zheng Yi closed the manual, a plan forming in his mind. Zheng Xiaobao's foundation was still too weak. He had yet to even embark on the basic body refinement technique, making the Dragon Elephant Suppression Technique premature for him. Once he solidified his fundamentals, it would not be too late to impart this divine skill. What if he lacked spiritual roots? The path in the realm of cultivation is not solely confined to ascension. With a master as exceptional as him, Zheng Xiaobao's future would undoubtedly surpass that of so-called geniuses, traversing further and broader. Chapter 10. I shall introduce you to the world. After safely storing the technique, Zheng Yi closed his eyes once more. The earth's primordial spirits within his dantian continuously emanated pure earth vein energy, merging with the heavenly spiritual energy he absorbed from the outside world. His pseudo-spiritual root absorbed spiritual energy with even greater efficiency. Yet, reaching the pinnacle of the late foundation establishment stage was still insufficient. This world was too profound. Only by ascending to a high vantage point could one truly safeguard all they possessed. Early the next morning, as dawn barely broke, Zheng Xiaobao's excited and somewhat astonished shouts echoed from outside the great hall. Master! Master, come quickly! Zheng Yi rose and stepped out of the hall to find Zheng Xiaobao crouched in the corner of the courtyard, pointing at a patch of weeds, his small face brimming with disbelief. Master, this grass was clearly withered and yellow yesterday. How has it transformed to such vibrant green today? The few once half-dead wild grasses in the courtyard now appeared lush and verdant, glistening with dewdrops and bursting with vitality. Not only the grass, but the very air surrounding the Qingshe mountain had taken on an extraordinary freshness, invigorating anyone who inhaled it. Zheng Yi approached with a smile, ruffling his hair. Because our Tianyun sect is a blessed land of immortals, rich in spiritual energy, the flora and fauna of the mountains naturally flourish with life. Focus on diligently practicing the technique I taught you yesterday. His expression turned serious as he regarded Zheng Xiaobao. Once you master it, I shall impart to you an even more formidable technique, allowing you to possess the strength of a dragon and an elephant, capable of shattering a mountain with a single blow. Possessing the strength of a dragon and an elephant, Zheng Xiaobao's face flushed crimson, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Although he did not fully comprehend what a dragon elephant entailed, the mere mention of it suggested an unparalleled might. Yes, master. I will certainly practice diligently and never disappoint your expectations. He leaped from the ground and dashed to the open space in the center of the courtyard, immediately assuming a stance to diligently practice the basic body refinement technique. The youthful shouts echoed through the serene morning mountains like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey, or a black dog burrowing beneath. Observing his disciple's spirited demeanor, Zheng Yi nodded with satisfaction before turning back to the hall. He piled up the spiritual stones and elixirs he had collected from various families in Qingshe town on the ground. In an instant, the dilapidated hall was aglow with treasures, and spiritual energy wafted through the air. Nearly 1,000 low-grade spiritual stones, along with several bottles of blood-replenishing pills and other low-tier elixirs, were akin to a fortune for the once impoverished Tianyun sect. Yet, it was still insufficient. He needed to continue amassing wealth. Zheng Yi casually picked up a spiritual stone, feeling the pure energy within, and was filled with myriad reflections. In the realm of cultivation, the importance of wealth, companionship, laws, and land, with money reigning supreme, was not without reason. He carefully categorized the elixirs. Although he had no immediate use for them, they would come in handy when new disciples were recruited in the future. As for the spiritual stones, he retained only about 100 for emergencies, storing the remainder in a storage bag. After completing these tasks, he settled back onto the meditation cushion. Currently, The sect's spiritual energy was surging but could dissipate at any moment. Even with the Earth Yuan spirit present, he dared not bring it out for fear of attracting unwanted attention. After all, this crumbling temple had gaps on all sides and lacked even a proper door, let alone a protective mountain formation. Should an unobservant rogue cultivator pass by and notice the unusual concentration of spiritual energy, they might harbor ill intentions, and he and Zheng Xiaobao would likely be unable to defend their modest possessions. It was imperative to establish the protective mountain formation swiftly, Zheng Yi contemplated. Directly requesting a reward from the system seemed unrealistic, as the system rewarded actions rather than wishes. He speculated that if he researched formations and set up some basic gathering formations and obscuring formations, it should count as an action to improve the sect's environment. When the midnight calculations occurred, perhaps he would receive a tenfold return. Wouldn't that result in a top-tier mountain protection formation? With this thought, Zheng Yi's mind became invigorated. However, the art of formations was vast and profound. In a mundane place like Qingshi town, it was unlikely he would find relevant texts. It seemed he would need to venture to a true cultivation market. He stood up and walked outside the hall, observing Zheng Xiaobao, who was sweating profusely in the open space. Although the child lacked spiritual roots, his tenacity was remarkable. He had already mastered several moves of the basic body refinement technique, and a faint trace of energy had begun to manifest within his small frame. Zheng Yi had initially planned to go alone, leaving Xiaobao on the mountain. However, upon further reflection, he deemed this unwise. While the spiritual energy of the mountain posed little concern for him as a foundation-building cultivator, it held a deadly allure for mortals, especially for a child without cultivation. Some sensitive beasts or ill-intentioned individuals could easily be drawn here. Leaving Xiaobao alone here is far too perilous. Xiaobao, cease your practice. Zheng Yi spoke. Master? Zheng Xiaobao halted his movements, wiping the sweat from his brow with his sleeve, breathlessly rushing over. Pack your things, accompany me down the mountain. Down the mountain? Zheng Xiaobao's eyes sparkled immediately, nodding eagerly like a chick pecking at grains. Are we going to the town to buy meat? Observing his gluttonous demeanor, Zheng Yi couldn't help but chuckle. He patted his disciple's head, a hint of mystery crossing his face. I will take you to broaden your horizons. To a place 100 times larger than Qingshi town, where true immortals soar through the skies. Zheng Xiaobao's mouth gradually formed an A-shape, his eyes filled with wonder. Wow, really? Master. Having grown up, the furthest he had ventured was Qingshi town, which he regarded as an immensely prosperous locale. A place 100 times larger than Qingshi town, with immortals flying about. What a spectacle that must be. Would I deceive you? Zheng Yi laughed heartily, leading the exuberant Zheng Xiaobao back into the hall. The master and disciple changed into clean Taoist robes, Zheng Yi fastening the storage bag containing spirit stones around his waist, rehanging the plaque of the Tianyan sect, and locking the rickety wooden door. Though it served little purpose, a sense of ritual was essential. Let us go. The duo descended Qingshi mountain. The foliage along the mountain path was even more verdant than the day before. The air was infused with a refreshing sweetness. Upon re-entering Qingshi town, the atmosphere was noticeably different from a few days prior. The shopkeepers lining the streets and the passers-by all lowered their heads respectfully upon seeing Zheng Yi in his distinctive white robe, stepping aside in deference, not daring to breathe. The news of Zheng Yi's decisive action against the 7th-layer Qi refining Zhou Feng, followed by the affluent families of Qingshi town donning mourning attire for his master, had spread to every corner. A useless sect leader? Who would still dare to think such a thing now? That would be a true folly. He was evidently a cunning tiger in sheep's clothing, a formidable foundation-building expert. Chapter 11. Welcome to Yinshui City. Butcher Zhang was chopping bones in front of his meat shop when he caught sight of Zheng Yi and his disciple from the corner of his eye. He hurriedly approached with a beaming smile, bowing deeply. Immortal, are you embarking on a long journey? Zheng Yi nodded slightly. I have prepared some fine marinated meats and jerky for you to take on your travels. Butcher Zhang exclaimed, turning to fetch them. There is no need. Zheng Yi waved his hand, leading Zheng Xiaobao straight through the town. He could sense the gazes cast upon them, filled with reverence and fear. This feeling was not unpleasant. After leaving Qingshi town, Zheng Yi chose a seldom-trodden mountain path instead of the official road. After becoming a foundational cultivator, his speed was no longer comparable to his former self, yet he still moved swiftly to accommodate Zheng Xiaobao. Master, what is the name of the place we are heading to? Zheng Xiaobao, embarking on his first journey, wore a face brimming with uncontainable excitement and curiosity. Yinshui City, Zheng Yi explained as he walked. It is the largest cultivation market within a radius of 300 miles, governed by several cultivation families. It is far larger and more complex than Qingshi town. Regrettably, despite being a late-stage foundational cultivator, he possessed no decent flying artifact. Alas, master, If only you had left me even a single artifact. Zheng Yi couldn't help but grumble internally as he gazed ahead. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, nearing evening, Zheng Xiaobao came to a complete halt upon cresting the final mountain. He tilted his head back, his mouth agape in awe, unable to close it for quite some time. In the distance, a magnificent giant city stood silently on the horizon. The city walls rose dozens of meters high, constructed of massive azure stones, their surfaces inscribed with profound runes that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Occasionally, streams of light darted across the walls, with figures of various colors flying in and out on flying swords or artifacts. The city was filled with towering buildings and ethereal palaces, barely visible, yet exuding an air of grandeur that left Zheng Xiaobao breathless. Is this Yinshui City? Zheng Yi observed his apprentice's wide-eyed wonder with a faint smile, guiding him towards the city gates. The closer they approached, the more palpable the city's imposing presence became. At the city gate, a constant flow of people bustled about. There were affluent merchants clad in luxurious garments, wandering cultivators bearing long swords, and practitioners riding various spirit beasts, creating a lively atmosphere. The guards at the gates were no longer the burly commoners of Qingshi town, but rather a uniformed cadre of cultivators at the mid-stage qi refinement level. Zheng Yi took Zheng Xiaobao's hand and positioned themselves at the end of the line. When it was their turn, a gate guard extended his hand to stop them. His voice stern. To enter the city, each must pay 1 low-grade spirit stone. Zheng Yi retrieved 2 low-grade spirit stones from his storage bag and handed them to the guard. The guard, expecting a protracted encounter with a seemingly impoverished Taoist, was taken aback by the swift transaction. Instinctively, he cast a glance at Zheng Yi, feeling a sudden shiver of realization. A foundational cultivator. Consequently, his demeanor shifted, becoming notably more courteous. Welcome to Yinshui City, esteemed guests. Zheng Yi grasped Zheng Xiaobao's hand and stepped through the city gates. The grand walls insulated them from the external winds and clamor, and a wave of spiritual energy, far richer than that of Qingshi Mountain, enveloped them. Zheng Xiaobao's little mind struggled to comprehend the overwhelming sensations. The broad streets were teeming with pedestrians. A figure gracefully soared overhead, stepping upon a resplendent flying sword. Another rode a peculiar spirit beast, weaving through the throng. The shops lining the streets resembled ethereal palaces, adorned with intricate carvings and paintings, and the banners hanging at their entrances fluttered without wind, emanating a faint, luminous aura. All of this made Zheng Xiaobao feel as though he had stumbled into a celestial abode. Zheng Yi paid no heed to his apprentice's astonishment. His consciousness had already expanded, swiftly searching through the city. His master had once mentioned that in grand cultivation cities like Yinshui City, there were designated places for renting temporary caverns to facilitate the coming and going of cultivators. Soon, he pinpointed a 9-story edifice situated in the heart of the city, Sihai Residence. The plaque, adorned with elegant script, exuded an extraordinary grandeur. Zheng Yi guided Zheng Xiaobao inside. The lobby was opulent, and a young cultivator clad in azure robes, at the 6th level of qi refinement, promptly approached them, his face adorned with a professional smile. Esteemed friend, are you here for lodging or to rent a cave? Renting a cave, Zheng Yi replied straightforwardly. I require tranquility, with robust defensive formations that can isolate inner and outer energies. The young cultivator's smile broadened. But when his consciousness brushed against Zheng Yi, discovering the profound depths of his cultivation that seemed unfathomable, the professional smile morphed into genuine reverence. A foundation establishment cultivator. Senior, you have arrived at an opportune moment. We have just the perfect top-tier cave available that will undoubtedly meet your requirements. He bowed deeply, leading the way with utmost courtesy. The top-tier cave was located at a spiritual vein node in the eastern part of the city, equipped with a spirit gathering array, boasting a concentration of spiritual energy thrice that of the outside world. The cave was protected by 3 layers of defensive formations, sufficient to withstand the full force of a golden core cultivator's attack, ensuring that no one would disturb the senior's quiet cultivation. How many spirit stones? For your benefit. It is merely 100 low-grade spirit stones per day. This price would deter the vast majority of qi refinement cultivators. However, Zheng Yi did not even furrow his brow. The spirit stones he had obtained from the wealthy Wang Fuguei and others amounted to over 1,000, enough for some indulgence. Let us rent it for 3 days. He produced a storage pouch containing 300 low-grade spirit stones. The young cultivator accepted the pouch, and upon scanning its contents with his consciousness, his respect deepened further. He hastily retrieved a jade token and presented it with both hands. Senior, here is the token for the cave. Please take it. Under the guidance of the young cultivator, Zheng Yi and Zheng Xiaobao traversed a teleportation array, arriving directly at a secluded courtyard in the eastern part of the city. Upon opening the gate, Zheng Xiaobao's mouth fell agape once more. The courtyard was adorned with pavilions and towers, with flowing streams and even a small waterfall formed by gathered spiritual energy atop a rockery. With each breath, they inhaled the refreshing, pure spiritual energy. This was not merely a cave. It was evidently a celestial palace. Master, are we staying here tonight? Zheng Xiaobao's voice trembled with excitement. Yes, Zheng Yi nodded, though his mind was already calculating. After tonight's settlement, it is likely that the process of forming the core will commence. He had heard from his master that the commotion during this pivotal moment is extraordinary, necessitating thorough preparation. The master and disciple circled the cave dwelling without pausing for even a moment. Come, I shall take you to a livelier place, he said, leading the way to the bustling marketplace of Yinshui City. This locale was even more vibrant than the main street of the city, filled with the continuous sounds of vendors calling out and haggling. Zheng Xiaobao closely followed Zheng Yi, his curious eyes surveying the surroundings. Yet he exhibited restraint and did not wander off. Zheng Yi had a clear objective. He entered the largest bookstore, Hanmaxuan. Chapter 12. Did our sect not possess such techniques previously? The shop assistant, noticing the modest attire of Zheng Yi and his disciple, did not treat them with disdain, though his enthusiasm was somewhat limited. What would you like to purchase, esteemed friend? Our latest Yinshui chronicles and several renowned masters' insights on sword techniques are selling quite well. I seek some foundational texts, Zheng Yi replied. Array formations, alchemy, artifact crafting, talisman making, anything basic would suffice. The assistant's expression turned peculiar. Foundational texts? My good friend, you jest. Such items are typically sought after only by those newly entering the qi refinement stage. What we offer here are advanced texts intended for cultivators of a higher caliber. He paused, gesturing towards another direction in the marketplace, a hint of superiority in his tone. If you truly wish to find those, you might explore the scattered stalls over there. The wandering cultivators sell a variety of items, and you may uncover what you desire. Zheng Yi remained silent, merely smiling. Thank you. He turned and led Zheng Xiaobao away from Hanmaxuan. The so-called scattered market was, in fact, an expansive open-air trading area, where hundreds of wandering cultivators set up stalls, selling an assortment of peculiar items. The atmosphere here was far more liberated and raucous than in the shops. Freshly crafted fire crow talismans. Don't miss out. Centuries-old ironwood heart. An exceptional material for crafting artifacts. Prices are negotiable. Zheng Xiaobao was utterly captivated by the lively scene. Yet he continued to firmly grasp Zheng Yi's clothing. Unmoved, Zheng Yi strolled past each stall with composure. Before long, he discovered what he sought in a nondescript corner. A stall run by an elderly cultivator was filled with various yellowed old books. Detailed explanation of artifact crafting, introduction to spirit herbs, preliminary exploration of array formations, key techniques for talisman drawing, and even a thin booklet titled A Brief Discussion on Qi Observation. What the assistant at Hanmaxuan deemed inconsequential trash were, in Zheng Yi's eyes, the very foundation upon which the future of the Tianyun sect would rest. I will take them all, Zheng Yi stated, pointing at nearly 20 foundational texts on the stall. The elderly cultivator's murky eyes brightened upon realizing he had encountered a significant customer. You are quite generous. That will be 23 low-grade spirit stones, but for you, I shall make it 20. Zheng Yi readily paid with spirit stones and purchased a large bag of spirit plant seeds of varying grades from a nearby stall, leaving with a sense of satisfaction alongside Zheng Xiaobao. The master and disciple found a restaurant in the market, indulging in a hearty meal. It was the first time Zheng Xiaobao savored dishes made from spirit rice and beast meat, his cheeks flushed and his mouth greasy with delight. Upon returning to the cave dwelling named Heavenly Number, Zheng Yi waved to activate the dwelling's protective array. A veil of hazy light enveloped the entire courtyard, shielding it from external scrutiny. Master, will I sleep in that large house tonight? Zheng Xiaobao asked, gazing at the house larger than the main hall of the Tianyun sect, his voice trembling with excitement. Yes, Zheng Yi nodded, though his mind was occupied with calculations. After tonight's settlement, his cultivation was likely to reach the golden core stage. He had heard from his master that the commotion during the formation of the core was significant, necessitating thorough preparation. In the bustling Yinshui city, despite the multitude of eyes and ears, this top-tier cave-dwelling array provided far greater safety than a drafty sect. Zheng Yi set aside his thoughts and retrieved the stack of tomes he had purchased at the market, placing them on the stone table to ensure nothing was missing. Titles such as An Introduction to Arrays, A Beginner's Guide to Spirit Plants, and a detailed explanation of refining tools were among them. He casually picked up An Introduction to Arrays and began to browse through its pages. Zheng Xiaobao leaned in, his large eyes brimming with curiosity. Master, didn't our sect have these techniques before? Although he was unfamiliar with the concept of arrays, he understood that a sect should possess some means of protection. At this mention, Zheng Yi's fingers paused on the pages. His gaze became somewhat complex as he looked at the books. Yes, of course, we once did, he sighed. Pouring himself a cup of spirit tea, he continued slowly. I've heard from my master that during the peak of the Tianyun sect, once the mountain protection array was activated, even golden core cultivators found it difficult to breach our defenses. Within the sect, we had a repository of scriptures, alchemy rooms, and refining chambers. What happened to those things? Zheng Xiaobao pressed on. They're gone, Zheng Yi replied softly. All sold. He drained his cup of spirit tea. Your great grandmaster was a kind-hearted man, too soft. Ever since the spirit vein began to wither a century ago, the sect has struggled financially. To sustain operations and provide cultivation resources for my senior brothers and sisters, my master first sold the alchemy furnace, then the refining platform, and finally exchanged even those tomes in the scripture repository that did not involve core teachings for spirit stones. Zheng Yi's tone was calm, as if recounting an old tale unrelated to himself. He always thought that if he could endure this challenging period, everything would improve once he made a breakthrough. He had poured all his resources into the disciples he deemed talented. Zheng Yi smiled bitterly to himself. And what was the result? The disciples, upon whom he had placed his great expectations, took the resources acquired through the sale of his possessions, and, once they attained their cultivation, departed one by one, leaving not a single one behind. Zheng Xiaobao listened quietly, the excitement and curiosity that once animated his youthful face gradually fading away. Zheng Yi continued without pause, saying, Later, upon hearing of the opening of a certain secret realm, your ancestral master sought to seize an opportunity, only to find that the last remnants of the sect's resources had been plundered, and he himself suffered irreparable injuries. From that moment on, the entire sect was left with only him and me, the one deemed the least gifted, a discarded waste. This is the true reason why the Tianyun sect fell into ruin, reduced to a dilapidated hall with winds whistling through its cracks. It was not destroyed by war, nor did it perish at the hands of enemies. Rather, it was gradually dismantled by its own members. Zheng Xiaobao clenched his small fists tightly, a fire of indignation igniting in his eyes. How could they do this? His master had treated them so well. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. In times of great calamity, each seeks their own escape. Such is human nature. It is hardly surprising. Zheng Yi reached out, gently patting his trembling shoulder. Therefore, Xiaobao, you must remember, the sect can be good to you, but you must also be worthy of the sect. From now on, those who betray their own will find no refuge in the Tianyun sect. Zheng Xiaobao straightened his small chest and proclaimed resolutely, the disciple understands. In life, I am a person of the Tianyun sect. In death, I am a ghost of the Tianyun sect. Enough with the oaths. Zheng Yi chuckled at his earnest demeanor, the shadows in his heart lifting considerably. Quickly return to your cultivation, having consumed so many spirit foods, if you do not exhaust them soon. Your small frame might just burst. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao nodded vigorously and dashed to a corner of the courtyard, promptly commencing his practice of the basic body refinement technique. Observing his spirited figure, Zheng Yi smiled faintly, his gaze returning to the stack of foundational texts on the table. Chapter 13. Is this the celestial phenomenon of foundation establishment? With less than 2 hours remaining until midnight, sitting in meditation now yields little benefit. Zheng Yi casually extracted the thinnest volume from the pile of recently acquired old books, a brief discussion on chi observation. With his peak comprehension and awareness at the late stage of foundation establishment, reading such introductory texts was akin to skimming through, retaining every word. In less than half an hour, he had thoroughly absorbed the contents of the slender booklet, though only a preliminary understanding. He had already grasped some basic methods of chi observation. He raised his head, directing his gaze toward the courtyard where the small figure, drenched in sweat, persisted with gritted teeth. A faint shimmer of spiritual light emerged in Zheng Yi's eyes. In the next moment, the world through his eyes transformed. Though Zheng Xiaobao bore no aura of a cultivator, his vitality surged like a small furnace. Each bone subtly emanates a resilient glimmer, its meridians far sturdier and more robust than those of an ordinary child. Such a physique is indeed a rare find for physical cultivation. Zheng Yi withdrew his gaze, gently placing the tome of brief discussion on chi observation upon the stone table. He observed his disciple, panting yet persevering through the final movement, and a genuine smile spread across his face. It dawned on him that he had truly stumbled upon a treasure. As the moon ascended to its zenith, Zheng Yi sat cross-legged on the meditation mat within the quiet chamber, attuning his mind to its optimal state. At the stroke of midnight, a familiar electronic chime resonated in his consciousness. Ding! Midnight has arrived. The Sect Settlement System begins its calculations. Settlement initiated. Detecting host's actions directed towards the sect today. Studying sect literature. A brief discussion on chi observation. Behavior evaluation. Knowledge is boundless. The foundation of the Great Tao begins from the minutiae. The host has accumulated the first knowledge reserve for the sect, conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host. Proficiency in Qi observation has elevated to mastery of the Great Tao. Congratulations to the host for acquiring high-level I technique breaking illusions I. Congratulations to the host for obtaining celestial ranked Qi observation method 9 nether cave profound scripture. Boom. Almost instantly after the system's notification, an overwhelming sense of profound insight surged into Zheng Yi's mind, like the Milky Way flooding his consciousness. In that moment, all matters concerning Qi became astonishingly clear. He did not even need to open his eyes. With a mere thought, the entire world transformed before his vision. In the courtyard, the small figure, exhausted to the point of slumber, was no longer merely a corporeal body. Zheng Yi beheld the vibrant Qi and blood within Zheng Xiaobao, nourishing every sinew and bone. Each bone glimmered with a jade-like luster, and the meridians appeared resilient and broad, akin to hidden dragons lying in wait. Is this the foundation laid by the practice of fundamental body refinement techniques? His gaze shifted once more. The entire cave abode pulsed with spiritual energy like the ebb and flow of tides. Under the influence of the spirit-gathering array, it formed a vortex invisible to the naked eye, yet crystal clear in his perception. He could even discern, deep beneath the city of clouds and waters, several colossal spiritual veins coiled like great dragons, forming the very foundation of this celestial city. The mastery of Qi observation was indeed terrifying. This transcended mere technique. It was a principle. Zheng Yi suppressed the shock within and concentrated on the two new techniques. Breaking illusions I, an ancient I technique, when cultivated to its depths, can pierce through all illusions, mirages, and formations. 9 Nether Cave Profound Scripture. A celestial ranked secret canon, attainable only by those with great fortune. It allows one to observe the fate of individuals, discern the dragon energy of the land, and predict life and death, fortune and misfortune. Goodness. One primarily for breaking illusions, the other for discerning fate. These are essential skills for traversing the world, whether at home or on the road, for both combat and commerce. Zheng Yi's heart skipped a beat in excitement. The system's prompt sound continued. Detected that the host is currently guiding disciples in the sect, instructing them in fundamental body refinement techniques. Behavior evaluation, imparting knowledge, the disciples' foundations grow increasingly solid, ensuring the sect's legacy endures. Commencing 10,000-fold settlement. Detected that the host's current cultivation has reached a bottleneck, with part of the rewards converted into special rewards. Congratulations to the host, your understanding of martial arts has transcended, and you have acquired a fragment of primordial battle intent. An ancient, domineering battle intent suddenly manifested in Zheng Yi's consciousness. Though merely a fragment, it fortified his mental resolve, rendering it as unyielding as rock. It seemed that with merely a thought, his every strike could invoke this battle intent, unleashing a terrifying power far beyond his current realm. Zheng Yi could no longer contain his elation, a blissful smile gracing his face. In the next moment, the final settlement arrived. Detected that the host meditated and cultivated for 3 hours today. Behavior evaluation, last-minute preparations, though not swift, still yield results. Commencing 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations. The host's cultivation has surged, breaking through the foundational stage bottleneck. The golden core path lies before you. It has come. Boom. A torrent of spiritual energy, more magnificent and tumultuous than ever before, suddenly erupted from the void, flooding into his limbs and bones. The overwhelmingly solid barrier of the late foundational stage crumbled before this force, as fragile as a mere sheet of paper. With a soft pop, it shattered. Zheng Yi's dantian began to spin wildly, compressing intensely. Not good. His expression changed. He could no longer afford to relish his joy. He abruptly opened his eyes, his hands forming seals with lightning speed. Rise. A low shout echoed. Buzz. The heavenly cave he occupied erupted with 3 layers of differently colored barriers. One layer was azure, another golden, and the last transparent, resembling 3 overturned giant bowls, securing the entire courtyard within. Having completed this, Zheng Yi could no longer suppress the rampant spiritual energy within him. An endless flow of spiritual essence surged towards his dantian, compressing, and compressing further. Meanwhile, above Yinshui City, the once tranquil night sky suddenly transformed. A colossal, multicolored auspicious cloud, composed of pure spiritual energy, appeared out of nowhere directly above the city, expanding at a visible rate. To the east of the city, atop a 9-story star-picking tower, an elderly man clad in a starry robe, with hair and beard as white as snow, suddenly opened his eyes wide. With a single step, he materialized on the terrace of the tower. He gazed at the awe-inspiring phenomenon in the sky, his murky eyes filled with astonishment. Is this the phenomenon of forming a golden core? No. The old man exclaimed in disbelief. When I formed my golden core, the auspicious clouds spanned merely a 10-mile radius. Such a spectacle blankets half of Yinshui City. He was fixated on the vibrant, conflicting, yet reluctantly merging clouds of spiritual energy. The chaotic and turbulent amalgamation of the 5 elemental energies, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, was a clear portent of a false spiritual root achieving the golden core. How could this be? For those with false spiritual roots, merely establishing a foundation is a monumental fortune. How could they possibly form a golden core and invoke such a terrifying celestial phenomenon? At that moment, the entire Yinshui city was stirred. Countless cultivators rushed out from their caves, taverns, and shops, gazing skyward, their faces etched with astonishment. Heaven! Which great power is breaking through? A golden core. Undoubtedly, it is the manifestation of a golden core. But the scale of this event is utterly outrageous. I have witnessed the eldest son of the city lord's mansion reach his golden core, and even then, the celestial phenomenon was merely a fiery cloud enveloping the city lord's residence. This is an unfathomable difference. Look, the center of that vortex of spiritual energy seems to be near the Sihai residence to the east of the city. Countless streams of consciousness surged toward the eastern part of the city like a tide. Chapter 14. Truly, I am remarkable. However, when the collective consciousness of the cultivators touched that secluded courtyard, they were repelled by layers upon layers of formidable barriers. Who would have thought that the defenses of the Sihai residence would be so formidable? It seems that this individual has rented the heavenly sovereign cave dwelling. Such expenditure is certainly not that of an ordinary loose cultivator. Could this be a true disciple from a grand sect, here to undergo training? Regardless of which sect's true disciple dares to reach the golden core within the city, unaccompanied by protective guardians, it can only be said that they possess extraordinary courage. The cultivators in the city fervently speculated about the identity of this mysterious breakthrough artist. Within the Sihai residence, Zheng Xiaobao, who had been soundly asleep in the courtyard, was jolted awake by the tremendous commotion. Groggily, he sat up, rubbed his eyes, and was instantly astonished by the sight before him. The quiet room where his master resided was radiating brilliant rays of light, with torrents of colorful spiritual energy converging from all directions, flooding into that small chamber. Above, the magnificent and awe-inspiring rainbow clouds hovered, their center aligned with his master's room. Master, Zheng Xiaobao murmured, his eyes filled with worry and shock. Yet, he recalled his master's instructions at the end of their evening lesson. Xiaobao, I shall enter seclusion tonight. No matter what you hear or see, do not leave your room. And especially do not approach my quiet room. Do you understand? Zheng Xiaobao clenched his fists tightly. He must not cause trouble for his master. He straightened his small frame, his gaze resolutely fixed on the quiet room enveloped in radiant light. Inside the quiet room, Zheng Yi had reached the most critical moment. All the spiritual power within his dantian had been compressed to its utmost limit, forming a swirling liquid sphere the size of a fist. At the center of this sphere, an ethereal, multicolored elixir was slowly solidifying. It did not shine with the golden brilliance typically associated with such legends. It was imperfect and unrefined. Instead, it presented a chaotic hue, with the elemental energies of the 5 elements colliding and intertwining within it. The surface was even adorned with fine cracks, as if it were on the verge of shattering at any moment. The golden elixir, formed from the pseudo-spiritual roots, was indeed extraordinary. As the final thread of spiritual energy was infused, a barely audible crackling sound emerged from Zheng Yi's dantian. The vibrant elixir, adorned with delicate fissures, showed no signs of healing. Instead, the cracks appeared to be expanding rapidly. The tumultuous energies of the 5 elements clashed violently within, seemingly poised to explode at any instant. A flicker of enlightenment flashed through Zheng Yi's sea of consciousness. The formation of the elixir from pseudo-spiritual roots, after all, was an act of defiance against the heavens. The failure of this elixir seemed all but inevitable. Yet, in this critical moment, the earthy crystal spirit, which had been quietly suspended at the center of his dantian, akin to a stabilizing force, stirred. A profound, warm essence, reminiscent of Mother Earth herself, emanated from the earth spirit. Rather than forcibly suppressing the rampant elemental energies, it gently enveloped the cracked elixir. Following this, a wondrous attraction emerged. The chaotic torrent of energy from the outside world, potent enough to obliterate any foundational cultivator, seemed to find an outlet at that moment. Instead of flooding in haphazardly, it was orderly guided, purified, and transformed by the earth spirit, becoming the most primal energy. Carefully mending the cracks upon the elixir, the chaotic elemental energies, under the influence of this profound essence, gradually quelled their tumult, beginning to harmoniously merge. The process of fusion felt as though it spanned a century, yet it was but a fleeting moment. A sound, more delicate than any that had preceded it, echoed within Zheng Yi's dantian. The once cracked, kaleidoscopic elixir, under the Earth Spirit's restoration, had all its fissures vanish in an instant. Within the dantian, an extraordinary elixir, round and smooth as a mirror, finally took shape. The colors of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth flowed gently within, no longer clashing, but achieving a mysterious dynamic equilibrium. It was complete, a surge of overwhelming energy, far surpassing the foundational stage and exuding an indescribable might, erupted from Zheng Yi's being. Golden Elixir Realm. The defensive array of the Heavenly Cave, with its 3 layers, shimmered intensely under the onslaught of this energy, emitting a mournful cry as it struggled to withstand the pressure. Fortunately, the array of the Four Seas residents was robust and well-constructed, managing to endure the spread of this overwhelming force. Even so, all cultivators in the eastern district of Yunsui City felt a fleeting yet terrifying presence. Those who had previously attempted to probe with their consciousness, regardless of their cultivation level, simultaneously let out muffled groans. The consciousness was forcibly shattered, and the weaker individuals were immediately left bleeding from their mouths and noses, their faces ashen, their spiritual seas already harmed. What an overwhelming aura. This is undoubtedly not an ordinary early-stage golden core. Who is this person? Atop the star-picking tower. The elder clad in celestial robes felt his pupils constrict suddenly, his face etched with disbelief. He succeeded, he truly succeeded. The elder murmured in astonishment, his voice trembling. With the talent of a pseudo-spiritual root, he defied the heavens to form a golden core. The aura of this elixir is far from that of an ordinary 5-element golden core. Having lived for centuries and being one of the true masters of Cloudwater City, he had encountered countless prodigies. Yet, the scene before him completely overturned his understanding of the cultivation system. This is unreasonable. In the quiet chamber, Zheng Yi gradually opened his eyes. 2 streams of 5-colored divine light flickered briefly in his gaze, and the air within the room seemed to be sliced apart, emitting faint crackling sounds. He lowered his head to introspect. The energy within his dantian had vanished, replaced by a chaotic golden core that quietly floated and slowly rotated. A surging power filled his limbs and bones. Every inch of flesh and every cell rejoiced exuberantly. This sensation was worlds apart from the foundation establishment stage. He could feel that with just a thought, this golden core could unleash earth-shattering power. My golden core is indeed extraordinary, Zheng Yi mused. He attempted to channel a wisp of golden core power, letting it flow through his fingertips. With a soft crackle, a slender thread of multicolored energy emerged, causing the surrounding space to exhibit a slight distortion. Zheng Yi was taken aback. The 5-element spiritual energy within his pseudo-spiritual root golden core had achieved a higher level of fusion. Though it was merely a wisp, its power undoubtedly surpassed any single attribute spiritual energy of the same rank. Remarkable, truly deserving of my efforts. After 10 years of arduous cultivation, enduring hardships, I have finally forged a 5-element golden core. Zheng Yi forcibly suppressed the elation surging within him. He lifted his gaze to the night sky outside, now restored to tranquility. The 5-colored auspicious clouds had dissipated, as if they had never existed. However, the commotion just now had been far too significant. This could pose a problem. His brow furrowed. In a place like Cloudwater City, creating such a commotion was akin to fireworks in the night, making it nearly impossible to avoid drawing attention. Forming a golden core with a pseudo-spiritual root and triggering such an anomaly. If this news were to spread, he would surely be besieged by countless individuals. A solution must be devised. At that moment, as Zheng Yi pondered his countermeasures, a decision had already been made for him at the highest point of Cloudwater City. At the star-picking tower, the elder in celestial robes retracted his gaze, the shock on his face slowly giving way to an unprecedented gravity, accompanied by a hidden fervor. In my city, a cultivator with a pseudo-spiritual root has successfully formed their golden core. What does this signify? It indicates that this individual is a rogue practitioner, and one of considerable fortune at that. Indeed, how could an ordinary major sect possibly expend such vast resources to nurture a practitioner of a pseudo-spiritual root? Come forth. He spoke casually to the emptiness behind him. A shadow emerged, ghostly and silent, kneeling on one knee. Master, prepare a generous gift by dawn tomorrow, and deliver it to the Four Seas residents. The elder's voice was calm and devoid of any emotion. Convey that the master of the star-gathering tower wishes to engage in discourse with the newly ascended golden core friend. Understood. The shadow uttered no further words, vanishing back into the darkness as if it had never existed. The elder lifted his gaze once more, peering toward the east of the city. his eyes shimmering with an enigmatic light. Chapter 15. I am the master of Qingstone Mountain, of the Heavenly Fate Sect. As dawn broke, a subtle disturbance rippled through the restrictions of the cave dwelling. Zheng Yi opened his eyes from meditation. A night of solidifying his power had afforded him an initial mastery over the Golden Core realm. Rising to his feet, he waved his hand to dispel the wards at the entrance. Outside stood a middle-aged steward clad in splendid attire, flanked by two servants carrying a redwood gift box. Upon seeing Zheng Yi, the steward was momentarily taken aback. But he quickly sensed the residual golden core pressure emanating from him, and his face transformed into a mask of respectful smiles. I am the steward of the Star-Gathering Tower, sent by the Master to pay my respects to you, esteemed senior. He bowed deeply, embodying the utmost humility. Your recent achievement in forming the Golden Core has stirred the heavens and is indeed a momentous event for our Yinshui city. The Master has expressed great admiration and prepared a humble gift, wishing to invite you to the Star-Gathering Tower for a discussion and tea. As he spoke, he presented a warm and smooth white jade slip with both hands. Zheng Yi accepted the slip, probing its contents with his consciousness. A gentle yet authoritative voice resonated within his mind. Dear friend, the Star-Gathering Tower of Yinshui City extends its heartfelt congratulations on your successful attainment of the Golden Core. I have prepared fine tea and await your esteemed presence to discuss the path of the Golden Core. Refusal? Zheng Yi did not even contemplate such a notion. To reject the invitation of a local powerhouse, a Golden Core master, would not be a display of integrity, but rather folly. Moreover, the Heavenly Fate Sect's revival could not rely solely on his solitary efforts. Cultivating a favorable relationship with the ruler of Yinshui City would yield only benefits. Yet, how could he explain his status as a pseudo-spiritual root cultivator? That was the crux of the matter. The tenfold return system was his greatest secret, one he could never divulge. He needed to devise an impeccable narrative. In a flash of inspiration, a tale woven with themes of sorrow, sacrifice, determination, and luck rapidly took shape in his mind. Whether or not it would prove effective, he decided to proceed with it. Xiaobao, Zheng Yi called out into the room. Zheng Xiaobao rubbed his eyes as he stepped outside, feeling a tinge of anxiety as he hid behind Zheng Yi upon witnessing the commotion. Stay here in the cave. Do not wander off, and focus on your cultivation, Zheng Yi gently reassured him. Yes, master, Zheng Xiaobao nodded earnestly. Zheng Yi then turned to the steward and calmly instructed. Lead the way. The Zhaixing Tower, the tallest edifice in Yinshui City, truly lived up to its name. As Zheng Yi followed the steward onto the terrace of the top floor, he encountered the tower's master. The elderly man, with hair and beard as white as snow, donned a robe of celestial patterns, exuding an aura as profound as the ocean. Friend, please take a seat, he said with a warm smile, personally pouring Zheng Yi a cup of tea infused with spiritual energy. The moment Zheng Yi settled down, a surge of inspiration coursed through him, prompting him to quietly activate his newly attained mastery of the gaze of Qi. The world before him instantly transformed. He perceived that the elder's aura was harmonious, with spiritual light contained, devoid of any hint of malice or murderous intent. A formidable figure, yet not a villain, Zheng Yi felt reassured. I am Zheng Yi, honored to meet the Tower Master. He introduced himself. Too kind, I am Xingqinzi, the elder replied, waving his hand dismissively. Are you a solitary cultivator? Zheng Yi shook his head, stating, I am the sect master of the Tianyun sect from Qingshe Mountain. Tianyun sect? Sect master? The elder's hand holding the teacup froze, and his smile faltered. Genuine astonishment and shock flickered in his murky eyes. You are the sect master of Tianyun Daoist? Indeed, Tianyun Daoist is my master. Xingqinzi regarded Zheng Yi, his voice turning somewhat hoarse. I have met him on a few occasions. He is a true gentleman. Many years ago, I heard he suffered severe injuries. Is he well? Zheng Yi fell silent for a moment, then lifted his teacup and took a gentle sip. My master has passed away a few days ago. A heavy silence ensued, abruptly shattered by a deep sigh. Alas, a person of such caliber as Tianyun Daoist. He lamented, shaking his head repeatedly. After a long while, he regained his composure and cast a complex gaze upon Zheng Yi. The deceased are gone. Zheng Daoist, please accept my condolences. After a brief pause, he finally steered the conversation back to its course, his tone becoming exceedingly grave. I have a matter I do not understand, and hope you can enlighten me. The celestial phenomena accompanying your alchemical success yesterday were vividly apparent to me. The chaotic and volatile five-element spiritual energy clearly indicates the characteristics of a pseudo-spiritual root. He inquired, articulating each word carefully. I have practiced for 500 years and have never heard of a pseudo-spiritual root being able to successfully form a Dan. How did you accomplish this? Here it comes. Zheng Yi set down his teacup, his expression revealing a blend of reminiscence, sorrow, and trepidation. He slowly recounted the explanation he had long prepared. Do you know why my master sustained such grievous injuries? Zheng Yi was taken aback and shook his head. Because my master expended his entire life as cultivation. Along with a secret treasure he obtained in his youth, the 5 elements unification lotus, entirely on me. Zheng Yi's voice trembled slightly. Before my master passed away, he performed a secret ritual of life exchange for me, utilizing his own golden core as a conduit and employing a treasured artifact as a furnace. He forcibly amalgamated the chaotic spiritual powers of my flawed spiritual root within my body. The ordeal was fraught with peril. My master exhausted his final breath. And although my spiritual root remained unchanged, my constitution underwent a remarkable transformation, enabling me to tenuously accommodate the tempestuous force of the 5 elements fusion. The formation of my golden core yesterday was, in truth, a gamble of great magnitude. Fearing unnecessary troubles at the sect, I recklessly ventured into Yinshui City. Zheng Yi chuckled self-deprecatingly. I had believed my demise was inevitable, that the core would shatter and my life would end. Yet, unexpectedly, at the moment the golden core was on the brink of destruction, the force of the 5 elements, which my master had forcibly imbued within me, miraculously reassembled the fragmented core, culminating in a fortunate success. He raised his gaze to meet the astonished eyes of Zheng Yi, articulating each word with clarity. Thus, this golden core is not a result of my own cultivation, but rather a life exchanged by my master for mine. Upon finishing his statement, the rooftop of the star-picking tower fell into silence once more. Zheng Yi stared blankly at Zheng Yi, his mouth agape, unable to utter a word for a long while. The phrase echoed repeatedly in his mind, exchanged for his life. After a considerable time, Zheng Yi finally exhaled a long breath, his face a canvas of shock and reflection. So that is how it is. His gaze towards Zheng Yi transformed entirely. No longer was there an air of scrutiny and inquiry. Instead, a profound respect and a hint of sympathy took its place. Truly, my friend Tianyun is a noble individual. Such audacity to undertake such a defiant act. And you, he looked at Zheng Yi in admiration, surviving such a perilous ritual and daring to wager your life on this golden core. You are indeed formidable, truly formidable. This discourse was both rational and compelling. It elucidated why a flawed spiritual root could form a core and explain the tumultuous celestial phenomena. Moreover, it vividly portrayed a self-sacrificing master and a resolute disciple, bound by gratitude. Zheng Yi was convinced. Chapter 16. What a brother Zheng, loyal and righteous. Brother Zheng, if you do not mind, henceforth you may call me Elder Xingqian. His demeanor instantly softened, drawing him closer. Brother Xingqian, Zheng Yi responded amiably. Excellent. Zheng Yi laughed heartily, the last remnants of his reservations dissipating into thin air. He no longer fixated on Zheng Yi's background, but began to engage in earnest discussion. My brother, though your golden core of the 5 elements was fortuitously formed, its foundation must inevitably be unstable. The power of the 5 elements, while seemingly balanced, harbors turbulent undercurrents. One misstep could lead to chaos. Conventional stabilization methods may prove futile for you. In the opinion of the elder brother, what you presently require is not merely to further enhance your cultivation, but rather to discover a technique that can genuinely harmonize the 5 elements, thereby completely eradicating the potential dangers associated with this golden Dan. Stardust, indeed a formidable figure at the golden dance stage, possesses a discerning eye, and his words struck directly at the heart of the matter. Zheng Yi listened intently, nodding in agreement, yet internally he remained unconvinced. Potential dangers? With a settlement system nurturing him and the Earth's primordial spirit safeguarding him, his golden Dan was more stable than anyone else's. Nevertheless, he appreciated the elder's goodwill. After an enlightening discourse, Zheng Yi gained profound insights into many critical aspects of the golden dance stage. What are your plans moving forward, Brother Zheng? Stardust inquired. To restore the Heavenly Fate Sect, Zheng Yi replied without a moment's hesitation, feeling the weight of his master's dying wish. Upon hearing this, Stardust expressed his sentiments more deeply. In the past, the Heavenly Fate Sect had produced several talented disciples, and I had the privilege of meeting them. It is unexpected that the one to ultimately uphold the sect's legacy would be you, who once seemed the least remarkable. He felt a tinge of regret, but extinguished his desire to recruit Zheng Yi into the star-gathering tower. A person as loyal and righteous as him would undoubtedly never abandon his sect. However, this was fortuitous. The Heavenly Fate Sect was merely a few hundred miles from Cloudwater City. If it could indeed thrive under his leadership, it would mean a formidable ally for the city. This was a wise investment. Rebuilding a sect is no simple feat. How many disciples remain in the Heavenly Fate Sect today? Currently, there are only myself and a newly accepted disciple. Oh, Stardust's interest was piqued. To be chosen by you, He must possess exceptional talent? Zheng Yi shook his head, chuckling lightly. He has no spiritual root. He is merely immortal. Stardust's smile faltered once more. A master with a pseudo-spiritual root has taken on a disciple without any roots? What a peculiar sect. Zheng Yi recounted his encounter with Zheng Xiaobao and how the little beggar had sought refuge at the mountain gate. With my master's remains scarcely cold and the sect in such decline, he is willing to stand guard at the mountain gate alongside me, a seemingly useless sect leader. Even if his lifespan does not exceed a century and he can never embark on the path of immortality, as long as I, Zheng Yi, live, he shall be the foremost disciple of the Heavenly Fate Sect. His words resonated with conviction. Stardust was deeply moved, gazing at Zheng Yi with admiration. Bravo! What a noble-hearted brother you are, Zheng. I am truly impressed. He suddenly struck his thigh with fervor, exclaiming, as you endeavor to rebuild the sect, I must make my contribution. You must frequently visit Cloudwater City. It is not feasible to perpetually rent a cave dwelling. He retrieved a purple golden jade tablet from his storage ring and presented it to Zheng Yi. This is a permanent token for one of the cave dwellings under the Star Gathering Tower, located at the main spiritual vein node. From now on, this shall be your home in Cloudwater City. Zheng Yi gazed at the invaluable jade tablet without decline. He understood that this was a gesture of goodwill from the elder, as well as a significant investment. He now similarly requires time, and even more so, a stable foundation. Thus, I extend my gratitude to you, my dear brother. He graciously accepted the offer. He understood this exchange of benefits. Once I cultivate to the nascent soul stage, your investment will yield tremendous returns. Ha ha ha, just so. Stardust observed his acceptance with increased delight. He promptly commanded, bring forth my esteemed disciple Zheng to the building. Tonight, I shall host a welcoming feast for Brother Zheng. The banquet was arranged on the top floor of the star-picking tower. When Zheng Xiaobao was respectfully invited, he had already donned a perfectly fitting new Taoist robe. Having witnessed the splendor of Yanshui City and resided in a celestial cave dwelling, his horizons had broadened significantly. Faced with this celestial banquet and the formidable Stardust, despite his nerves, he exhibited no signs of timidity, quietly following behind Zheng Yi, offering his greetings. Stardust scrutinized Zheng Xiaobao, a glimmer of astonishment flickering in his eyes. He discerned at a glance that although this child lacked a spiritual root, the vigor of his vital energy surpassed that of ordinary individuals, and his sinews and bones were as resilient as uncut jade. What a remarkable lad! Truly a natural prodigy in martial cultivation. Stardust stroked his beard in admiration, pondering that with the guidance of a renowned master, this child's future achievements would not be inferior to those of any cultivator. A martial master among the mundane could easily shatter stone and contest with foundational cultivators. Zheng Yi merely smiled mildly at these words. A martial master? My dear brother, your vision is limited. My disciple's ambition is to attain sanctity through the physical body and to quell the depths of hell with his fists. The evening banquet was a joyous affair. After 3 rounds of wine, Zheng Yi stood to take his leave. My dear brother, the hour grows late, and we shall not impose further. Very well. Stardust offered no insistence, personally escorting Zheng Yi and Zheng Xiaobao outside the star-picking tower. Brother Zheng, do visit often. As he watched the pair fade into the night, the smile on Stardust's face lingered for quite some time. Out of respect for Stardust, Zheng Yi did not take to the skies, but instead walked back to the cave dwelling at Yunhai residence with Zheng Xiaobao. With only 2 days left in their rental period, they could not afford to waste time. Under the night sky, Yanshui City sparkled with lights, bustling with extraordinary activity. Zheng Yi walked ahead, his expression calm, yet his mind raced as he rapidly recounted the entire encounter with Stardust. This meeting had been fraught with surprises, yet ultimately fruitful. Not only had it dispelled the other's doubts, but it had also successfully established a foundation of goodwill. However, it also revealed a significant issue. The commotion of forming the Golden Core was too great. Had Stardust not been a formidable figure and of good character, today's events would have surely ended poorly. Henceforth, must every breakthrough stir such turmoil in the city? No, it cannot be. I must remain discreet. Furthermore, wandering about in the Golden Core realm is likely to attract unnecessary troubles. It seems I must acquire a method to conceal my aura. He resolved firmly within his heart. Accompanied by Zheng Xiaobao, the two swiftly made their way once again to the bustling market. The night had deepened, and more than half of the stalls had closed. Yet a few cultivators remained, hoping for a stroke of luck. Zheng Yi's objective was clear. The technique for aura suppression, being of fundamental scripture, could not be found in establishments like Han and Moxian. With his formidable spiritual sense, he quickly pinpointed an old stall nestled in a corner. The stall owner, a cultivator at the 3rd level of Qi refining, nearly toppled his wares in fright upon seeing the profound presence of Zheng Yi approach, trembling as he stood. Do you have any aura suppression techniques? Zheng Yi inquired directly. Yes, yes. The stall owner, as if granted a reprieve, hurriedly rummaged through a pile of miscellaneous items and produced 2 thin booklets, Turtle Breathing Technique and Spirit Concealment Method. Both were rudimentary techniques, valued for their simplicity and ease of learning. I'll take both, Zheng Yi stated. Ah, senior, you may set the price, the stall owner stammered, too intimidated to name a figure. Zheng Yi casually tossed out 5 low-grade spirit stones, took the booklets, and turned to leave. The stall owner stared at the spirit stones in his hand, dazed for a moment before joy overwhelmed him, prompting a deep bow towards Zheng Yi's retreating figure. These 2 insignificant booklets could hardly fetch even a single spirit stone. Today, he had truly encountered a living deity. Chapter 17. Let me see how your practice is progressing. Having acquired what he sought, Zheng Yi felt quite pleased. He glanced at Zheng Xiaobao, who was curiously looking around, and smiled. Come, I'll show you around. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao cheered. For the next half hour, Zheng Yi completely relaxed as he strolled through the still lively market with Zheng Xiaobao. They sampled never-before-seen spirit fruit pastries, watched a duel between cultivators, and even purchased a wooden sword for Zheng Xiaobao, which, though lacking in spiritual energy, boasted an impressive design. The little fellow was overjoyed. His cheeks flushed as he hugged the sword closely. After their delightful excursion, the master and disciple ambled leisurely toward the cave dwelling of Yanhaiju. Just then, Zheng Yi's steps came to an abrupt halt. His spiritual sense quietly expanded. 100 meters ahead, in a more secluded alley, sounds of fists and shouts echoed. Fight! Beat him to a pulp. How dare this worthless scum compete with me? You dare to retort? You must be tired of living. Zheng Yi raised an eyebrow. He had no intention of meddling, but as he scanned the scene, something intriguing caught his attention. In the alley, a frail-looking youth was being surrounded and beaten by 3 or 4 well-dressed peers. Though the boy bore bruises and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth, his eyes remained fiercely fixed on the leader, filled with an indomitable spirit. All of them wore nearly identical garments, each adorned with an elegant character for linen on their chests. Internal strife within a clan. Zheng Yi instantly comprehended the situation. Accompanied by Zheng Xiaobao, he stealthily approached the mouth of the alley, concealing themselves within the shadows. The profound technique of qi observation quietly activated within him. In the next moment, the scene before his eyes transformed. The group of violent youths exhibited no remarkable vitality. They were utterly unremarkable. However, the frail boy, curled up on the ground yet still attempting to resist, harbored within him an extraordinary energy. This energy was sharp and domineering, yet bound by some unseen shackles, preventing its explosive release. What astonished Zheng Yi most was the boy's indomitable spirit. Despite the blows raining upon him, the unyielding fire in his heart not only remained lit, but blazed ever brighter. Tenacious and unbending, he was indeed a raw gem. At that moment, the dynamics within the alley shifted. Lin-Mo, you bastard, dare you glare at me? The leader of the well-dressed youth seemed enraged by Lin-Mo's defiant gaze. Delivering a kick to his chest, PFF, Lin-Mo spat out a mouthful of blood, yet his eyes remained fierce. If you have the ability, then kill me. Very well. Those are your words. A glimmer of murderous intent flashed in Lin Tao's eyes. Listen up. This waste dares to utter filthy words against me, a direct affront. Today, we shall cleanse the Lin family. He drew a glimmering dagger from his waist. The others, rather than intervening, displayed excited and sinister grins. Within the shadows, Zheng Yi's gaze turned cold. He turned to Zheng Xiaobao beside him, who had also witnessed the events unfolding in the alley, his small fists clenched tightly, his face aflame with anger. This scene reminded him of his own past, of a time when he was a small beggar, bullied by older children and robbed of food by stray dogs. Xiaobao, Zheng Yi spoke softly. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao immediately straightened his posture. You have made some progress in your training these past few days, Haven to you? Yes. Go on. Zheng Yi gestured toward the depths of the alley. Show me how much you have trained. Zheng Xiaobao's eyes instantly sparkled. He nodded vigorously, the fury within him transforming into boundless fighting spirit. Humph. With a cold snort, his tiny figure surged forward. A gust of wind swept through the alley. The youths, including Lin Tao, barely had time to react before they saw a smaller figure than Lin-Mo standing defiantly before them. Who are you? Get lost. One of the closest henchmen, growing impatient, kicked out. Zheng Xiaobao did not even glance. With a slight lean of his small body, he evaded the kick and unleashed a punch. There was no fluctuation of spiritual energy, only pure, unadulterated physical strength. Bang! A dull thud echoed. The anguished cries of the henchman were caught in his throat. He was struck as if by a raging bull, his body curling into a shrimp-like form, before he was sent hurtling backward. Thud! He crashed heavily against the wall, slowly sliding down, and lost consciousness. With a single blow, just one punch, The alley was instantly enveloped in an eerie silence. Lin Tao and his two remaining lackeys stared, wide-eyed, at the unexpectedly formidable little figure before them, their faces etched with disbelief. Even Lin Mo, lying on the ground, momentarily forgot his pain, gazing in astonishment at Zheng Xiaobao's diminutive silhouette. "Who are you to meddle in the affairs of the Lin family?" Lin Tao shouted, his bravado unconvincing. Zheng Xiaobao did not respond. He turned to glance at Lin Mo, who lay injured on the ground, his fury intensifying. The foundational body-refining technique had transformed him completely, endowing him with strength far surpassing that of an adult man. Dealing with these pampered young masters was akin to using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. "You all deserve to be punished." His youthful voice resonated with an undeniable fury. Before the words had fully escaped his lips, he sprang into action again. The small figure left a fleeting shadow in the narrow alley. "Altogether, bring him down." Lin Tao, both astonished and enraged, bellowed his command. The remaining two, summoning their courage, lunged forward with fists raised. Bang! Bang! Another two dull thuds echoed. The outcome was entirely predictable. The two men didn't even graze Zheng Xiaobao's clothing before they were effortlessly knocked down by a single punch each, clutching their stomachs and writhing in agony on the ground. In the blink of an eye, only Lin Tao, brandishing a dagger, remained standing. He looked at his groaning companions and then at the unscathed Zheng Xiaobao, his arrogance swiftly giving way to fear. "Do not come any closer," he stammered, brandishing the dagger and retreating continuously. "My father is an elder of the Lin family. If you dare to harm me, he will not let you off." Zheng Xiaobao paused, tilting his head slightly as if pondering the significance of a Lin family elder. After a moment of contemplation, he dismissed the thought. Regardless, his master was present, and he feared nothing. He advanced step by step toward Lin Tao. "Ah!" Lin Tao completely broke down, letting out a scream as he hurled the dagger with all his might and turned to flee. Zheng Xiaobao effortlessly dodged by tilting his head. He watched Lin Tao scramble away, smirking slightly, and chose not to pursue. The alley fell silent once more, save for the groans of a few individuals. Chapter 18, You Will Get Used to It. Lin Mo struggled to rise from the ground, gazing at this remarkably small, yet astonishingly powerful boy before him. His eyes filled with shock and gratitude. "Thank you so much for your timely intervention, young brother." He deeply bowed to Zheng Xiaobao. To everyone's surprise, the young boy scratched his head and smiled foolishly. He paid no heed to Lin Mo's gratitude, instead turning around and shouting loudly towards the empty alley. "Master." "How did Xiaobao perform?" "Master?" Lin Mo was taken aback. In the next moment, a figure slowly emerged from the shadows. It was Zheng Yi. He approached Zheng Xiaobao and, with satisfaction, patted his little head. "Well done. When dealing with such scum, it should be swift and decisive." He encouraged, however, "Do not become complacent. Upon returning, you must continue your diligent training." "Humph." Receiving praise from his master, Zheng Xiaobao puffed out his little chest proudly, nodding repeatedly. Disciple understands. Only then did he remember Lin Mo beside him, rushing over to help him up. "Big brother, are you seriously hurt?" Lin Mo gazed at Zheng Yi, struck by the imposing presence he exuded, and the natural authority he commanded when addressed as master by this young lad. It made Lin Mo's heart race. An immortal, he thought. This must be a reclusive celestial being. He recalled the exalted practitioners within his own family. Compared to this man, they were like fireflies to the bright moon. This was fate. It was my only chance to alter my destiny. He looked at Zheng Yi, then at his own injuries, and at the several family members still wailing on the ground. An unprecedented determination surged within him. Suddenly, Lin Mo's knees buckled, and he knelt heavily before Zheng Yi. "Immortal," he cried out with all his strength, "I beseech you to take me as your disciple. I am willing to serve you as a slave, devotedly for life." With no ulterior motives, Zheng Yi regarded the kneeling youth, whose eyes brimmed with desperate longing, and activated the insight technique once more. Steadfast in spirit, sincere in intent. A promising prospect indeed. "However, you are of the Lin family," Zheng Yi replied coolly. "If I take you on, it would mean interfering in your family's affairs. I wish to avoid trouble." Lin Mo's heart plummeted to the depths, yet he did not yield. He bowed his head forcefully, striking his forehead against the stone ground with a dull thud. "Immortal, the Lin family has no place for me," he implored. "If they could attempt to kill me today, they could surely do so tomorrow. If I return, death is certain. I beg you, grant me a chance at life." Witnessing the blood seeping from the boy's forehead and the resolute determination in his eyes, Zheng Yi felt a stir of emotion within. He was not afraid of trouble but preferred to avoid it, at least for now. After all, the star-picking tower was under the domain of his brother Xingqianzi. Having just accepted a gift from them, it would be rather inappropriate to then leverage his golden core cultivation to suppress the powerful Lin family in the city. Although Xingqianzi would certainly be willing to intervene, It felt somewhat unethical to reap benefits twice in one day. Yet, to witness such a gem meet its demise was indeed unbearable. He let out a soft sigh. Enough of the disciple matter for now. Your injuries must take precedence. With a wave of his hand, a gentle stream of spiritual energy manifested, lifting Zheng Xiaobao and Lin Mo with ease. In the next moment, the trio ascended into the air, transforming into a streak of light, soaring towards the eastern district of Yanshui City. Wow! In midair, Zheng Xiaobao could no longer contain his excitement, letting out a jubilant exclamation. Lin Mo, however, was utterly astonished. He lowered his gaze, watching the swiftly passing pavilions and towers beneath him, feeling the wind whistling past his ears. His heart raced as if it might leap from his chest. I'm flying. Is this the power of immortals? Clenching his fists, the desire to become Zheng Yi's disciple solidified into an unshakable resolve in that moment. With a flash of light, Zheng Yi, along with Zheng Xiaobao and Lin Mo, descended steadily before the entrance of the Tianzi cave. Before they could regain their footing, a figure approached with a broad smile, the steward of Sihai residence. Behind him stood a row of graceful, beautiful female cultivators in the Qi refinement stage, each with lowered eyes, holding platters of fruits and spirit wine, clearly having awaited their arrival for some time. Senior Zheng, the steward dashed forward, bowing deeply, his demeanor far more humble than that of the steward they had encountered at the star-picking tower. Congratulations on achieving the golden core. May your path to immortality flourish. His warm smile seemed capable of melting even the iciest of hearts. Yesterday, when the senior attained his golden core, it stirred a celestial phenomenon. We were blind to your greatness. I sincerely hope for your forgiveness for any disturbances caused. As he spoke, he carefully retrieved a pouch from his storage bag. The very 300 low-grade spirit stones Zheng Yi had previously provided. It is an immense honor for Sihai residents that the senior chose us as the site for your golden core formation. We cannot accept such a trifling sum of spirit stones. Please, I implore you to take them back. The steward insisted, raising the pouch high in offering. Zheng Yi chuckled inwardly, perceiving their intentions. Did they think of him as a mere living advertisement? The implications of this arrangement were evident even beyond Yanshui City. A cultivator achieving a breakthrough to the golden core within the Tianzi cave would surely make waves. Once this news circulated, Sihai residents would undoubtedly thrive, becoming the first choice for any cultivator seeking to break through their bottleneck. After all, this place was now a land of proven success. The promotional effect of this scenario far surpassed any discount or sale. Noticing Zheng Yi's silence, the steward grew increasingly anxious, swiftly producing a jade token inlaid with gold. Senior, this is our specially crafted VIP token. Whenever you visit Yanshui City, you may stay in any cave of our establishment for as long as you desire. At no cost. These are our meticulously selected maidens. If you, esteemed senior, do not mind, allow them to enter and attend to your needs. Zheng Yi cast a fleeting glance. Refusal? Why refuse? I accept this advertising fee with a clear conscience. However, I do not accept everything. He turned his gaze towards Zheng Xiaobao. Xiaobao accepted. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao stepped forward and eagerly received the heavy pouch of spirit stones. The steward's smile instantly brightened tenfold. Accepted. It is good that you have accepted. This indicates that the esteemed senior is not one to hold grudges. Yet, Zheng Yi's subsequent words left him momentarily stunned. Take the people back. Zheng Yi pointed at the group of female cultivators and reclaimed the token. His gaze ultimately settled on the steward. You, go fetch me some healing elixirs, the finest available. The steward was taken aback, but then elated. You do not desire beauties, but rather elixirs? This indicates that the esteemed senior is a dedicated practitioner, not one seeking trouble. Yes, of course. His excitement rendered him incoherent, his head nodding like a chick pecking at grains. Esteemed senior, please wait. I shall fetch them for you right away. Our Sihai residence has the finest wound-healing medicine and bone regrowth pills. With that, he bowed deeply to Zheng Yi, even offering a greeting to Xiaobao and Lin Mo, before hastily waving his hand at the group of female cultivators and leaving in a flurry. Zheng Yi paid no further attention, leading the two youths through the courtyard gate. Boom. The restrictions of the cave dwelling slowly closed, isolating them from all external clamor. Zheng Yi sat down at the stone table in the courtyard, his expression returning to tranquility. Lin Mo remained in a state of immense shock, standing awkwardly beside them, at a loss for what to do, not daring to even breathe. Conversely, Zheng Xiaobao had fully acclimated. He dashed to Zheng Yi's side, clutching the heavy pouch of spirit stones in his small hands. Master, why do I feel as though these past 2 days have been a dream? He looked up at Zheng Yi, his face earnest. Living in a grand house, savoring delectable food, and now they are even giving us money instead of taking it. It all feels too surreal. Zheng Yi chuckled upon hearing this. He tousled Zheng Xiaobao's hair. You will grow accustomed to it in due time. Chapter 19. The disciple is willing. Just then, a gentle disturbance resonated through the cave's restrictions. The steward's voice echoed from outside. Esteemed senior, the elixirs you requested have been delivered. Zheng Yi waved his hand, and a small opening formed in the restrictions. Several jade vials, enveloped in a gentle aura of spiritual energy, floated in from outside, landing steadily on the stone table. I shall not disturb your serene cultivation, esteemed senior. I take my leave. The steward's voice quickly faded into the distance. Zheng Yi picked up one of the jade vials and poured out a pill the size of a longan, exuding a fragrant aroma. Consume it. With a flick of his finger, the elixir transformed into a streak of luminous energy, precisely entering Lin Mo's mouth. The moment it touched his tongue, it dissolved into a warm current that surged through his limbs and bones. Lin Mo felt an enveloping warmth throughout his body, as a cool and soothing sensation emanated from his searing wounds, causing the pain to dissipate rapidly. In but a brief moment, he perceived that his injuries had nearly healed. As he flexed his limbs, aside from his tattered garments and a few bruises on his face, he found himself largely unscathed. The elixir. A profound reverence filled Lin Mo's heart. Zheng Yi regarded him with a serene expression, speaking in a calm tone. Now do tell, why were you subjected to such treachery by your own kin? Upon hearing this, Lin Mo's face, which had just regained a hint of color, paled once more. The light in his eyes dimmed, replaced by an abyss of bitterness and hatred. With a pained smile, he recounted his lineage in its entirety. It turned out that he was the illegitimate child of the Lin family patriarch from Yinshui City, born of a servant girl after a drunken escapade. His mother, as a result, was brought back to the Lin family, relegated to the status of the lowest servant, enduring disdain and scorn. As for Lin Mo, being a bastard, his status within the Lin family was even inferior to that of a mere dog. Had it been merely this, perhaps he could have survived a lifetime. However, the misfortune escalated when, at the tender age of 6, during a spiritual root assessment, he was found to possess a mid-grade with spiritual root. This revelation ignited the matriarch's jealousy and resentment. How could a lowly servant's offspring possess greater potential than her own sons? Thus, a malicious plot quietly unfolded. His mother was given a pretext and brutally beaten to death. As for him, the matriarch employed dark sorcery to cripple his spiritual roots and shatter his Dantian meridians. A prodigy was abruptly reduced to a mere cripple. Subsequently, he was falsely accused of stealing family treasures, stripped of his cultivation, and had his limbs broken. Discarded like a dead dog outside the Lin family gates. They termed it an expulsion, a lesson to others. Yet the matriarch remained unconvinced. She feared that this illegitimate child might one day return to avenge his wretched mother. Hence, the scene of this night was orchestrated. Lin Tao and others were merely carrying out the matriarch's orders, seeking a pretext to eliminate him completely. Had it not been for Zheng Yi and his disciple passing by, tonight would have certainly marked his demise. As he recounted his tale, the resilient youth, who had never bowed to physical might, could no longer contain his emotions. Tears streamed down his face like pearls from a broken string. My mother did nothing wrong. She was beaten to death simply for giving birth to me. He bit his lip fiercely, his nails digging into his palm, blood flowing freely, yet he remained oblivious to the pain. The overwhelming hatred threatened to consume him entirely. Beside him, Zheng Xiaobao's eyes glistened with unshed tears, his small nose quivering. He recalled the days of being homeless, bullied on the streets. He opened his mouth, intending to utter some comforting words, but upon glancing at his master, he was met with a serene countenance, as tranquil as water, as if he were listening to a tale completely unrelated to himself. Zheng Xiaobao immediately understood and pressed his lips together, falling silent. Though young, he grasped the wisdom of his master. He believed wholeheartedly in him. His master was the finest person in the world and would undoubtedly assist this pitiable elder brother. Lin Mo fiercely wiped away his tears with his sleeve, knowing that weeping was the most futile act in existence. He lifted his bloodshot eyes once more to Zheng Yi. Suddenly, he dropped to his knees, his forehead striking the cold ground with a dull thud. Immortal master, he cried out hoarsely, I beseech you to accept me as your disciple. My life, my very being, has been saved by you. From this day forth, I am willing to serve you as a beast of burden, as a slave or a servant. If I utter a single falsehood, let heaven strike me down, and may I never find rebirth. He poured all his hopes and resolute determination into these words, knowing this was his sole path to survival and revenge. The courtyard fell silent, save for Lin Mo's labored breaths. Zheng Yi remained silent, merely extending a finger to rhythmically tap on the cold stone table. Unbeknownst to him, at the moment he consumed the elixir, a flash of 5-colored light flickered in his eyes. In his vision, Lin Mo's form transformed into a transparent silhouette. revealing his blood vessels, meridians, and bones in stark clarity. The potency of the elixir surged through his body, indeed mending most of his physical injuries. But a portion of the energy seemed to spiral into a black hole at the center of his dantian, vanishing without a trace. Zheng Yi glanced at the eager Zheng Xiaobao beside him, then at the resolute Lin Mo. How intriguing, one without spiritual roots, and the other with useless roots? After a long pause, Zheng Yi's calm voice finally broke the stillness. I can offer you an opportunity. In an instant, disbelief ignited in Lin Mo's eyes. He held his breath, straining to listen intently, fearful of missing a single word. Zheng Yi regarded him, speaking slowly. You wish to become my disciple. That can be arranged. However, not at this moment. The journey from here to the Qingshi Mountain, the Tianyin Sect, spans 300 miles. Tomorrow at dawn, you must leave this place on your own accord. You are forbidden from seeking external assistance or relying on anyone else. Rely solely on your own abilities to reach the gates of the Tianyin Sect. If you can survive the journey, I shall accept you as the second disciple of the Tianyin Sect. If one fails to reach the destination or meets their demise along the way, it simply indicates that the bond between us as master and disciple is not meant to be. Zheng Yi spoke with a calm demeanor, yet his tone bore an undeniable authority. Do you accept? 300 miles. Alone. Upon hearing this, Zheng Xiaobao's heart raced, and his delicate brows knitted tightly together. This young man bore injuries and possessed no cultivation. Outside of Yinshui City, it was rumored that there were both monstrous beasts and wicked men. How could this possibly be accomplished? He considered it far too daunting and perilous. Yet, as he gazed upon his master's tranquil visage, he ultimately refrained from voicing his concerns. Instead, he regarded Lin Mo with sympathetic eyes. However, to his astonishment, Lin Mo, upon hearing the challenge, displayed neither fear nor hesitation. Rather, his eyes sparkled with elation. Willing? How could I not be willing? The immortal has not outright rejected me. The immortal has granted me an opportunity. That is sufficient. I am willing. Chapter 20. 300 miles. Such a distance. Lin Mo answered without hesitation, his voice resounding with conviction. I, the disciple, will surely reach the destination. He prostrated himself twice, each bow infused with determination and hope. Thud, thud. This time, he bowed willingly, filled with anticipation. Then, he sprang to his feet. Master, I can set off at once. He yearned to delay not a moment longer. Zheng Yi observed his disciple's eagerness, a flicker of approval shining in his eyes as he nodded in satisfaction. Go. Lin Mo bowed deeply once more to Zheng Yi, then turned to the worry-stricken Zheng Xiaobao. He bestowed a confident smile upon the one who had saved his life. In the next moment, he pivoted and strode purposefully towards the courtyard gate. Zheng Yi waved his hand, and the restrictions of the cave silently parted to reveal an opening. Without a moment's pause, Lin Mo stepped through, merging seamlessly into the night beyond. As Lin Mo departed, the cave's barriers gradually sealed once more, restoring tranquility to the courtyard. Zheng Xiaobao stared at the closed door, his small face a portrait of conflict and confusion. Unable to contain himself any longer, he approached Zheng Yi and quietly inquired, Master, do you truly believe Lin Mo brother can make it on his own? 300 miles is indeed a great distance. Zheng Yi reached out, gently ruffling his small head. Whether he reaches it or not, that lies in his own hands. But what if he encounters danger along the way? Zheng Xiaobao remained unconvinced. Zheng Yi smiled softly. Little Bao, remember this. Our Tianyin sect is destined to tread a path against the heavens. This journey requires more than mere reckless fervor. He withdrew his hand, his tone growing serious. The disciples I seek must possess not only innate talent, but also an indomitable spirit, a tenacity to emerge from the depths of despair, and a resolute determination to seize their destiny in their own hands. This journey of 300 miles serves as his inaugural trial. If he cannot surmount such a trivial challenge, what right does he have to be my disciple, Zheng Yi? What grounds does he have to be your junior brother? And how can he possibly seek vengeance for his mother? Zheng Yi's words left Zheng Xiaobao in a state of confusion. Yet, he grasped the essence of the final statement. Indeed, Brother Lin Mo seeks revenge. Revenge is undoubtedly a profoundly arduous endeavor. If he cannot endure this minor hardship, how can he hope to succeed? A flicker of understanding began to illuminate his mind. His master is testing him. With this realization, the worries etched on Zheng Xiaobao's face dissipated significantly, replaced by a newfound admiration akin to enlightenment. Very well. Zheng Yi rose to his feet. Your evening training session has commenced. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao immediately straightened his posture and responded exuberantly. He dashed to the open space in the courtyard, assumed his stance, and diligently began practicing the basic body refinement technique. The diminutive figure, bathed in moonlight, dripped with perspiration. Each punch and kick resonated with vigor. Compared to a few days prior, his movements were not only more precise but also imbued with greater strength. It was evident that the transformations of recent days had invigorated his training zeal. Zheng Yi nodded in satisfaction. He chose not to intervene with Zheng Xiaobao, but instead returned to sit at the stone table. From his storage bag, he retrieved 3 slender volumes, the turtle breathing technique, the spirit concealment method, and a time-worn introduction to herbal medicine. This medical tome had been an impulsive purchase, initially considered as a potential asset for the future influx of disciples in the sect. However, it now appeared it might serve unexpected purposes. He first opened the turtle breathing technique. This method aims to conceal one's aura, simulating a state of suspended animation or hibernation. Simple, yet remarkably practical. With his current comprehension at the golden core stage, he merely glanced at it and fully grasped its principles. In less than 15 minutes, the technique was firmly lodged in his mind. With a mere thought, the tumultuous energy of the golden core within him quieted, settling deep within his dantian. His entire aura began to visibly diminish at an astonishing pace. Golden core initial stage, foundation establishment consummate stage, foundation establishment mid-stage, chi refinement stage. Ultimately, his aura stabilized at the 4th level of chi refinement, identical to his state from a few days ago. Had one not witnessed it firsthand, no one could associate this unremarkable chi refinement cultivator with the golden core master who once commanded the forces of nature. Indeed, Zheng Yi was quite pleased with this outcome. Subtlety is the true path. He opened the spirit concealment technique. This method is slightly more intricate than the turtle breathing technique. Rather than suppressing one's cultivation, it employs a unique approach to form a layer of spiritual energy membrane on the body's surface, effectively isolating one's consciousness from probing. Similarly, Zheng Yi devoted merely half an hour to mastering it to perfection. With both techniques combined, as long as no ancient monster in the nascent soul stage scrutinizes him with their consciousness, it would be nearly impossible to discern his true level of cultivation. Having completed this, he picked up the introduction to herbal alchemy. As he turned the pages, a flood of information cascaded into his mind. From identifying herbs to understanding their pharmacological properties, followed by the intricate ratios of basic alchemical formulas. In the past, he would have found himself dizzy after just a few pages. Yet, after forming his golden core, his spiritual strength had undergone a remarkable transformation. His memory and comprehension had reached an astonishing level, allowing him to savor the book with great interest. Time slipped away unnoticed. After an hour, in the courtyard, Zheng Xiaobao was drenched in sweat, having completed his training for the day. Master, I'm done. Go to sleep. Yes, master. Zheng Xiaobao obediently returned to his room, falling asleep almost as soon as his head touched the pillow. In the courtyard, only Zheng Yi remained. He closed the medical tome and stored it in his spatial bag. Then, he resumed his meditation, his eyes gently closed, entering a state of cultivation. The golden core had been formed, but this was merely a new beginning. He needed to swiftly stabilize his realm and fully harness this newfound power. The moon hung high in the sky. The night deepened. Zheng Yi's mind grew increasingly tranquil as he waited, anticipating that familiar voice, akin to a celestial melody. The midnight hour approached. Ding! The midnight hour has arrived. The Sect Settlement System is commencing calculations. The clear electronic voice resonated in Zheng Yi's mind right on cue. It has come. Zheng Yi's spirit surged. Chapter 21. 10,000-fold Settlement. Mid-Golden Core. Settlement begins. Detected that the host has engaged in sect-related activities today. Testing prospective disciples. Activity evaluation. Screening individuals with steadfast Tao hearts for the sect. A vital step for the future foundation of the sect. Insightful, with far-reaching implications. Initiating 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for receiving. Discerning Eye, special fortune talent. Discerning Eye, passive talent. The host will find it easier to identify individuals with great fortune or exceptional constitutions. This reward momentarily took Zheng Yi by surprise. Not a direct cultivation or item reward, but a talent? However, it seemed quite practical. Wouldn't it be more convenient for him to scout for hidden gems in the future? Before he could ponder further, the next notification swiftly followed. Detected that the host is taking action for the sect today, preparing medical skills for the sect. Behavior evaluation, proactive and considerate for the safety of the sect's disciples. Embodying benevolence and moral integrity, displaying the responsibility befitting a leader. Conducting a 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the divine realm of medical arts. A tremendous torrent of information, exponentially more vast than when he comprehended the martial arts master, surged into his consciousness instantaneously. The Shinnong's classic of herbal medicine, the Huangdi's internal classic, the Bienkei's alchemical treatise, and the Hua Tuo's green bag technique. Countless sacred texts of medicine, once existing only in legends, transformed into pure insights, profoundly etched into the depths of his soul. From discerning herbs, pharmacology, acupuncture, elixirs, to alchemical techniques and intricate ailments, he traversed the realms from mundane medical practices to the celestial arts of alchemy. From the miraculous healer who could mend the gravest of wounds to the master of poisons capable of slaying a primordial spirit or cursing a divine soul. In that moment, he felt as if he had become the progenitor of medical arts, with the myriad pains and afflictions of the world laid bare before his eyes, devoid of any secrets. Zheng Yi was utterly astonished by this reward. This was not merely mastery of medical arts. It was as if an entire celestial hospital had been implanted directly into his mind. Yet, the astonishment had not reached its end. The notification tone sounded once more. Detected that the host is studying tortoise breathing technique and concealment technique. Behavior evaluation, meticulous and understanding of subtlety, laying the groundwork for future development. Conducting a 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the advanced concealment technique tortoise snake locking essence true method. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the advanced hiding technique 10,000 forms concealing divine method. Two profoundly esoteric techniques were inscribed directly into the depths of his soul. The rudimentary methods of tortoise breathing technique and concealment technique paled in comparison to these two advanced techniques. The tortoise snake locking essence true method, when cultivated to perfection, could seal away all of one's essence, spirit, and energy, rendering even a primordial infant into perceiving him as nothing more than a lifeless stone. Meanwhile, the 10,000 forms concealing divine method was even more astonishing. It not only could shield against spiritual probing, but also could effortlessly simulate any aura of existence. From mundane beings to those at the level of chi refinement, all the way to foundation establishment and even the consummate golden core. With a mere thought, he could become anyone. Zheng Yi concentrated his mind. The tortoise snake locking essence true method and the 10,000 forms concealing divine method operated simultaneously. The terrifying aura of his mid-golden core stage vanished without a trace. In its place emerged an utterly unremarkable, even somewhat ethereal aura of the fourth level of chi refinement, identical to what he was a decade prior. Perfection. Zheng Yi slowly opened his eyes, exhaling a long breath of stale air. In a single night, his cultivation had surged dramatically, and he had obtained master-level legacies in both martial and alchemical arts, along with 2 top-tier concealment techniques. The bounty was simply outrageous. The final settlement notification finally appeared. The host has been detected meditating for 3 hours today. Behavior evaluation, diligent and hardworking, remaining humble and composed after achieving the golden core, with a stable heart of Tao. Currently undergoing a 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for advancing to mid-golden core stage. Boom. A surge of energy, far purer and more formidable than all the spiritual power within him combined, exploded from the golden core in his dantian. The chaotic golden core, which had only recently taken shape and was still slowly rotating, trembled violently with the infusion of this power. Buzz. The speed of rotation of the golden core surged 100-fold in an instant. The 5 elemental colors of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth flowed wildly within, intertwining with one another. The size of the golden core did not increase, yet its hues grew deeper and more substantial. At this moment, the exquisite dynamic balance was elevated to a higher realm. A terrifying aura, far surpassing the early stage of the golden core, ascended frantically within him. From the initial stage of the golden core to its pinnacle, it transpired in the blink of an eye. That invisible barrier, which posed even the slightest obstruction, was shattered by the overwhelming force with ease. Pop. Mid-golden core stage. He had succeeded. Zheng Yi abruptly opened his eyes, and the air within the cave resonated with a heavy buzzing sound due to the surge in his aura. He could sense that he was now more than 10 times stronger than just moments ago. If in the early stage of the golden core he relied on the mysterious power of the 5 elements to barely contend with formidable golden core practitioners like Zheng Yi, now he felt confident enough to face them head-on. This was the terrifying aspect of the 10,000-fold settlement. After 10 years of arduous cultivation, he had been stuck at the 4th layer of chi refinement. With one system settlement, he had established his foundation. After another settlement, he successfully formed his golden core. Today, with yet another settlement, he directly ascended to the mid-golden core stage. Zheng Yi took a deep breath, forcing himself to suppress the overwhelming joy surging within. He slowly rose to his feet and once again activated the mystical art of infinite manifestations. The surging aura receded like a tide, repressed back to the level of the 4th layer of chi refinement. The next day, as dawn broke, Zheng Yi, feeling refreshed, pushed open the door. A night of consolidation had allowed him to fully master the power of the mid-golden core stage. Moreover, he had also gained profound medical skills, making it difficult to suppress his elation. He approached Zheng Xiaobao's room, where the little fellow was sleeping soundly, a smile gracing his lips, seemingly lost in delightful dreams. Xiaobao. Time to rise. Huh, master? Zheng Xiaobao, groggy, opened his eyes and sprang upright from the bed with a start. Good morning, master, he said, still dazed. As he bowed to Zheng Yi, quickly wash up. We are preparing to return to the sect. Yes, master, Zheng Xiaobao cheerfully replied, immediately rushing off to get ready. As the master and disciple stepped out of the courtyard, they were met outside by the steward of Sihai residence, accompanied by a group of maidservants, all awaiting with utmost respect. Upon seeing Zheng Yi, the steward's expression transformed into one of profound humility as he quickly approached and bowed deeply. Esteemed senior, have you rested well? I have prepared a spirit beast cart for you, ready to escort you out of the city at your convenience. His demeanor was 100 times more reverent than the day before. There's no need, Zheng Yi replied with a casual wave of his hand. Understood, the steward, not daring to utter more, bowed again, his face adorned with a humble smile. Safe travels, esteemed senior. You are always welcome to visit us at Sihai residence. Zheng Yi merely nodded slightly, choosing not to elaborate further. He then took Zheng Xiaobao's hand and strode away, leaving behind the awestruck gazes of those present. Only when their figures had vanished from sight did the steward dare to straighten his back and wipe the cold sweat from his forehead. Zheng Yi and Zheng Xiaobao walked leisurely along the streets of Yinshui City. At this moment, Zheng Yi's cultivation had progressed to the mid-stage of foundation establishment. Although the sky was still early, the streets were already bustling with pedestrians. Their journey was unobstructed, and they soon arrived at the city gates. The guards had long received instructions from the star-picking tower. Upon spotting Zheng Yi, the captain of the guards immediately jogged over, bowing respectfully and omitting the usual interrogation process. Farewell, esteemed senior. Upon exiting Yinshui City, Zheng Yi glanced at the curious Zheng Xiaobao beside him. Steady yourself. As soon as the words left his mouth, he waved his sleeve. A gentle surge of spiritual power enveloped Xiaobao, transforming into a streak of light that soared into the sky. The sudden sensation of weightlessness and terrifying speed elicited a piercing scream from Zheng Xiaobao. Instinctively, he shut his eyes, feeling the howling wind rush past his ears. When he mustered the courage to peek, he was utterly astonished. Below them, mountains and rivers receded at an astonishing pace, with clouds drifting alongside them. They were indeed flying, higher and faster than any bird. Master, we're flying. Zheng Xiaobao's scream morphed into an exclamation of excitement. Hee. Zheng Yi's calm laughter resonated. The spiritual power of the mid-stage golden core was immensely potent. For him, flying through the air was as commonplace as breathing. The 300-mile journey was but a fleeting moment. Approximately a stick of incense later, Zheng Yi gradually slowed his pace. He gently descended with Zheng Xiaobao, their feet once again touching solid ground. Still a bit dazed, Zheng Xiaobao stared at the familiar scenery before him, astonished. The dilapidated mountain gate, the overgrown stone steps, and the crumbling temple with a gaping hole in its roof, all signs that they had returned to Tianyun sect. From Yinshui City to this place, it astonishingly took merely the time of an incense stick to burn. Zheng Xiaobao's small mind felt somewhat inadequate. Is this the method of the master? It is remarkably swift. Zheng Yi stood before the mountain gate, gazing at the familiar yet dilapidated scene before him, his expression calm. Once upon a time, he was trapped here, watching the sect decline day by day, filled with a sense of helplessness and despair. But now, he was no longer the useless sect master who could not even sustain himself. He had returned with the cultivation of the mid-stage golden core. Zheng Yi turned his head and glanced at Zheng Xiaobao, who was beside him, utterly astonished. Xiaobao, disciple present. After completing the morning lessons, I will clean the sect. Yes, master. Chapter 22. What does a sect need most for development? Zheng Yi retrieved the stool that his master often sat upon from the grand hall. With a snap, he casually sat outside the dilapidated main hall of the sect. Then, he took out a newly purchased book from his storage bag, An Exploration of Formations. He intended to study formations. Currently, Tiangong sect had only him and one disciple, so safety issues were not pressing. However, as the sect master, he needed to think long-term. He couldn't possibly carry his disciple in his pocket every time he ventured out. One Xiaobao was manageable, but in the future, when he had dozens or even hundreds of disciples, each like fledglings ready to be fed, he had no interest in playing the game of eagle catching little chicks daily. It would be too exhausting. Therefore, a formidable protective mountain formation was the first and most crucial step in the reconstruction of Tiangong sect. It must be done. Zheng Yi took a deep breath, fully immersing himself in an exploration of formations. Creating formations involves drawing upon the energies of heaven and earth, connecting with the veins of the earth. This may seem to be an esoteric and profound subject to other cultivators, but for Zheng Yi, it appeared not so difficult. He possessed the earth elemental spirit within him, granting him an innate familiarity and keen insight into the flow of earth vein energies. The nodes and the flow of spiritual energy described in the book, which appeared mystifying to others, were, in his eyes, as clear as the patterns on his palm. Coupled with his current mid-stage golden core consciousness and the extraordinary comprehension brought by being a martial arts master, he had an unparalleled advantage in understanding all that required insight. Many foundational theories of formations, which seemed obscure and difficult to older cultivators, became orderly and straightforward in his eyes. So that is how it is. The gathering spirit formation creates an area of spiritual energy by utilizing specific rune nodes, allowing surrounding spiritual energy to flow in naturally. He nodded as he read. The misty formation, on the other hand, distorts the spiritual energy magnetic field within a small range to affect a person's five senses, inducing illusions. Quite intriguing. As for the defensive formation, it involves constructing a stable cycle of spiritual energy to form a shield, which is essentially an application of the law of energy conservation in its spiritual essence. The principles of each foundational formation swiftly unfolded and were thoroughly comprehended within his mind, leading to a profound synthesis of understanding. This sensation resembled that of a university graduate returning home to tutor elementary school students in arithmetic, specifically those below the third grade. It is not that the problems lack significance, but rather that his reservoir of knowledge and cognitive level have utterly surpassed these rudimentary inquiries. Time passed unnoticed. In the distance, Zheng Xiaobao had completed his morning practice. He grasped a broom and diligently began to clear the leaves and dust from both within and outside the sect. He exerted himself fervently, his small figure darting amidst the overgrown weeds of the sect, devoid of any trace of laziness. Occasionally, he would pause to wipe the sweat from his brow, staring vacantly at the dilapidated sect before him. Unbidden, images of the Yunhai residence in Yunshui City, where he had stayed just days prior, surfaced in his mind. The beautiful courtyard, the self-opening doors, and the cascading rock formations. He envisioned a day when his own sect, Tianyin Sect, would also transform into such a splendid place, or even better. With such thoughts, he was reinvigorated. In front of the great hall, Zheng Yi turned the final page and gently closed an exploration of formations. He closed his eyes, yet his fingers unconsciously traced delicate movements in the air before him. A series of faint golden lines, woven from spiritual energy, materialized at his fingertips. They intertwined swiftly, forming intricate and minuscule runes, mysterious and precise. However, these runes dissipated into the air like bubbles within less than half a second. Yet Zheng Yi remained unfazed, his fingers continuing their motions. He was engaged in deduction, learning, and enlightenment, transforming the knowledge from the book into his own understanding. Feeling that his grasp of formations was nearly complete, he did not halt, but retrieved several more books from his storage pouch, The Essentials of Rune Drawing, 100 Explanations of Spiritual Botany, and a detailed explanation of basic artifact refinement. He perused each one with care. These two were of paramount importance. What does the sect require for development? Talent? Techniques? No. It is spiritual stones. It is wealth. In the future, as the sect flourishes, numerous mouths will need feeding, and disciples will require cultivation. The expenses will all amount to substantial spiritual stones. He currently possessed a few hundred spiritual stones, yet that was merely a temporary state. To squander resources will inevitably lead to ruin. He had no desire to repeat the fate of his hapless master, who ended up impoverished, forced to sell the sect's assets, and met a desolate demise. Thus, Tianyin Sect must establish its own industries and secure a stable and reliable source of income from spiritual stones. The art of drawing talismans, alchemy, and artifact forging. These three pursuits constitute the steadfast foundation of the cultivation world. As long as one possesses skill, there will never be a lack of wealth. What? You suggest resorting to theft? Engaging in underhanded dealings? Zheng Yi scoffed at the notion. Indeed, such methods yield quick returns. He had heard that certain demonic sects, like that so-called sword pavilion, prospered through such means. Yet, he held them in disdain. The world of martial arts is not merely a realm of violence. It is a tapestry woven with human connections and social intricacies. Constantly embroiled in conflict brings incessant troubles and a multitude of enemies. Where is the tranquility of remaining within the sect, savoring life, and enjoying the bounty of the system's 10,000-fold rewards? With such a miraculous system at hand, why would one venture out to engage in life and death struggles? That would surely indicate a lack of reason. Embracing a laid-back approach is the true path to success. The few foundational texts posed no challenge to his mind, which functioned like a cheat code. Soon, he absorbed knowledge with remarkable swiftness. At noon, Zheng Yi called out, "Xiaobao, it's time for lunch." His voice interrupted the diligent efforts of Zheng Xiaobao, who was sweating profusely in the courtyard. "Coming, master." Zheng Xiaobao responded joyfully, rushing to wash his face before bounding over. Zheng Yi retrieved a piece of braised beef gifted by the butcher Zhang from the village below, along with several steamed buns. Although he had attained the golden core stage and could sustain himself with spirit-replenishing pills, such an existence would strip life of its joys. Cultivation is meant to enhance one's quality of life, not to transform into a lifeless stone that neither eats nor drinks. The master and disciple sat upon the stone steps before the grand hall, indulging in their meal. Once satiated, Zheng Xiaobao took a leisurely afternoon nap. Upon waking, he instinctively returned to the open space to continue practicing the basic body refinement technique. Meanwhile, Zheng Yi had already retreated into the grand hall. He sat cross-legged on a mat, re-entering his meditative state. Though the system offered a shortcut to success, personal diligence remained the essential trigger for the system's rewards. One's cultivation must also progress steadily. Time flowed gently onward, as the sun dipped below the horizon and night enveloped the land. The cold moonlight cascaded through the opening in the hall's ceiling. Yet, Zheng Yi's heart began to burn with fervor. A faint sense of anticipation arose within him. Today, he had diligently learned 4 crafts: array formation, talisman creation, alchemy, and artifact forging, each a positive contribution to the sect's development. He wondered what delightful surprise the system would unveil during tonight's settlement. As night deepened and the hour of midnight drew near, Zheng Yi's focus sharpened. At last, the familiar, crisp electronic tone resounded in his mind with impeccable timing. Ding! Midnight has arrived. The Sect Settlement System is commencing calculations. Chapter 23. Why does this 10,000-fold settlement feel less impactful than before? Settlement initiated. Detected hosts' actions today towards the sect. Studying an introduction to array techniques for the development of the sect. Action evaluation. Preparedness for future challenges. A vision for the sect's security, indicative of the sect leader's foresight. Conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for achieving mastery of array techniques at the Grandmaster level. Boom. Before Zheng Yi could fully grasp the significance of this first reward, the second notification seamlessly followed. Detected hosts' actions today towards the sect. Studying essentials of talismans for the development of the sect. Action evaluation. Acquiring an additional skill opens a new revenue stream. Demonstrating foresight in resource management for the sect. Conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for achieving mastery of talismans at the Grandmaster level. Another resounding boom. Detected hosts' actions today towards the sect. Studying a comprehensive guide to spiritual botany for the development of the sect. Action evaluation. Survival hinges on sustenance for cultivators. Elixirs are fundamental. This endeavor paves the way for the sect's alchemical pursuits, benefiting both the present and future. Conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for achieving mastery of spiritual botany at the Grandmaster level. Detected hosts' actions today towards the sect. Studying fundamentals of artifact refining for the development of the sect. Action evaluation. Possession of magical artifacts significantly enhances strength, fortifying the disciples of the sect and laying a solid foundation. Conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for achieving mastery of artifact refining at the Grandmaster level. A cascade of 4 notifications erupted in Zheng Yi's consciousness. In the next instant, a torrent of information, magnitudes greater than the cumulative insights from his previous studies in medicine and martial arts, surged into his mind like the Milky Way spilling into the abyss. The intricacies of arrays, the subtleties of talismans, the vitality of spiritual plants, the might of artifact forging, an abundance of knowledge, countless insights, and techniques hidden deep within ancient texts, all inundated him in an overwhelming manner. Zheng Yi's mind buzzed, blanketing him in a haze. It was overwhelming, truly overwhelming. The chaotic flow of information threatened to shatter his very essence. At that moment, he even experienced an illusion. He was no longer merely an individual. He had transformed into a collective entity composed of boundless information. He was the array. He was the talisman. He embodied the myriad spiritual plants and countless magical artifacts of the world. It feels as if I might overflow. Just as he sensed the brink of an explosion, the final and most crucial settlement notification finally arrived, albeit belatedly. Detected host meditated for 4 hours today. Action evaluation. Diligent and unwavering. Maintaining purity of purpose. Unshaken by external influences. Conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations to the host for advancing to late-stage golden core. The thunderous boom emanated not from his consciousness, but from his dantian. A torrent of pure spiritual energy, 100-fold in intensity, erupted explosively from the core of the five-colored golden elixir. The rotation speed of the golden elixir, already nearing its peak, surged once more. On the elixir, the five-colored radiance almost transformed into a chaotic array of colors. Its internal structure rapidly reorganizing, refining, and transcending under the onslaught of terrifying energy. Zheng Yi had now stepped into the late stage of the golden elixir. The surging aura intertwined with the four vast streams of information flooding his mind. Zheng Yi's tightly shut eyes suddenly snapped open, and two beams of nearly tangible five-colored light flashed from his depths. Within the grand hall, the air erupted with a thunderous roar, overwhelmed by the immense pressure. He floated in midair, his robes billowing without wind, rustling hauntingly. An overwhelming force, far surpassing that of the mid-golden elixir stage, surged uncontrollably outward. After a considerable time, Zheng Yi slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air and descended back onto the meditation mat. The rampant aura was once again suppressed to the mid-foundation stage using the mystical art of 10,000 phenomena. As he sensed the spiritual power within him, magnified beyond comprehension, his face bore no trace of the anticipated ecstasy. Instead, he furrowed his brow slightly. Is this it? The late stage of the golden elixir? He had assumed that after diligently cultivating for an entire afternoon, coupled with the myriad benefits of positive actions, he would surely reach the pinnacle of the golden elixir stage in one go. Only then could he begin contemplating the tribulations and the monumental leap to the infant soul stage. Yet, he found himself merely at the late stage of the golden elixir. The distance to perfection seemed substantial. Why does this 10,000-fold return feel less impressive than before? I have worked so hard in my cultivation. Zheng Yi opened his eyes and pondered. Could it be related to the concentration of spiritual energy in the sect? Or perhaps tied to my pseudo-spiritual root? The Tianyan sect, in this regard, had an abysmally thin concentration of spiritual energy, causing even the Earth's primordial spirits to appear somewhat lethargic. Could it truly be that the environment limited the system's potential? That seems improbable. Can the 10,000-fold return have discrepancies? However, after a moment of doubt, he dismissed the thought. So be it. Late stage of the golden elixir it is. In just a few days, he had ascended from the fourth layer of chi refining to the late stage of the golden elixir. If word of this spread, it would surely astonish the entire realm of cultivation. What more could he possibly desire? With this thought, Zheng Yi's spirits lifted once again. He gleefully perused the rewards from this endeavor. Master of array art, master of talismans, grandmaster of spiritual botany, grandmaster of artifact refining. He was now, single-handedly, an entire army. He even felt confident that, given sufficient materials, he could single-handedly support all logistical operations of a mid-tier sect. Talismans, elixirs, artifacts, formations. He was truly versatile. Zheng Yi was nearly overcome with joy, almost laughing aloud. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the Tianyan sect would undergo a complete transformation under his stewardship. When the Mountain Gate formation opens and the spirit gathering array is set, I shall refine several batches of elixirs and create a few spirit talismans for sale. With funds in hand, I can procure more architectural blueprints to renovate this dilapidated temple. Tall towers, pavilions, and flowing streams must all be arranged. At this thought, Zheng Yi smacked his forehead. Alas, he had forgotten to purchase books on civil engineering. He lamented quietly. However, upon a moment's reflection, he dismissed the concern. Civil engineering is far too laborious and does not align with his laid-back demeanor as a sect leader. At worst, he would spend a few more spirit stones to hire the finest construction team from his brother Zheng Yi. Alternatively, when he takes on new disciples, he could assign the task of sect construction to those with strong earth roots. Yes, that shall be the plan. He would only need to spare some time to draft the blueprints. With this in mind, Zheng Yi emptied his thoughts and once again entered a meditative state of cultivation. The pressing matter at hand is to elevate his cultivation to the pinnacle of the golden core stage. However, advancing to the nascent soul stage seems to require enduring a heavenly tribulation. At present, he lacks even a decent defensive magical artifact. If a bolt of lightning strikes, can his golden core body withstand it? Would he, after decades of hard work, find himself returned to square one, struck down by the heavenly tribulation? This thought sent a jolt through Zheng Yi's heart. It seemed quite plausible. After all, his experience of forming the golden core was just 2 days prior. Despite these concerns, Zheng Yi's brow soon relaxed. What is there to fear? The boat will find its way when it reaches the bridge. First, he must achieve the peak of the golden core stage. Tomorrow's troubles can be pondered tomorrow. He slowly closed his eyes, his mind sinking into his dantian, beginning to deeply comprehend the newly formed and powerful five-colored golden core. Chapter 24, From today on, my master will begin to transform the sect as the first ray of dawn filtered through the gaping hole in the hall's ceiling and fell upon Zheng Yi. The torrent of spiritual energy within him had completely subsided. After a night of quiet meditation, the immense power of the late golden core stage flowed through him with effortless grace, no longer hindered. The five-colored golden core hovered serenely in his dantian, emanating a profound and powerful aura. With each breath, he could feel the thin spiritual energy of the heavens and earth being drawn in, merging with his being. This sensation was truly extraordinary. Zheng Yi gradually rose, stretching his limbs. His joints emitted a series of crisp cracks. He could sense that his physical body had grown even stronger under the nourishment of the late golden core's spiritual energy. Now, relying solely on his physical strength, he could likely shatter a low-grade magical artifact with a single punch. This is the comprehensive enhancement brought about by his cultivation level. He stepped outside the dilapidated hall. The morning air was tinged with a slight chill. Looking around, he saw a scene of overgrown weeds and desolation. The stone steps were covered in moss, and the corners were piled with fallen leaves that Xiaobao had just swept. A gentle morning breeze swept through, lifting a few withered leaves into a dance before they settled at Zheng Yi's feet. Desolation, ruin, a sense of despondency, such is the current state of the Tianyan sect. As Zheng Yi surveyed the scene before him, his brow furrowed slightly. He suddenly realized that the hundredfold spiritual energy reward granted by the system 4 days prior seemed to have dissipated significantly. The entire sect had reverted to its previous state of thin spiritual energy and an atmosphere of lifelessness. Indeed, a one-time reward only addresses the symptoms, not the root cause. For some inexplicable reason, the resolute face of Lin Mo emerged in his mind. That young man must be traversing the arduous path of trials alone, covering 300 miles. For an unskilled, injured mortal boy, this journey is akin to a road to death. Beasts, malefactors, any misstep could lead to his demise. Zheng Yi was not worried. If an opportunity was offered, he had faith that Lin Mo would seize it. After all, he had long recognized the extraordinary fortune that resided within this youth. Truly, one cannot underestimate the Lin lineage. They possess remarkable tenacity. Yet, a shift in his thoughts soon led him to contemplate the future of the sect. Today, there is but one Lin Mo. Tomorrow, there may be 10, or even 100. As the sect develops, the number of disciples will inevitably increase. He cannot always carry them in his pocket, nor can he be present at the sect at all times. A sanctuary must be established, one that can shield them from the elements and provide a secure space for their cultivation. Not this dilapidated temple, riddled with drafts and lacking even a proper door. Safety is paramount. A formidable protective formation around the mountain is imperative. Furthermore, the cultivation environment needs attention. The spiritual veins of Tianyan sect have long since run dry, a significant flaw. However, Zheng Yi turned his focus inward, towards his dantian. Beneath the five-colored golden elixir, a luminous sphere, warm as jade and brimming with vitality, floated serenely. The earth spirit. This extraordinary treasure of heaven and earth had quietly nourished his golden elixir since he had absorbed it into his dantian, while simultaneously absorbing the dissipated spiritual energy to foster its own growth. Now, the energy it contained was more than tenfold that of its initial state. Yet, keeping it confined within his dantian was ultimately a waste of its potential. Its true value lies in enhancing the local spiritual veins, cultivating a blessed land. By releasing it to take root within the spiritual veins of Tianyan sect, not only could it fundamentally transform the spiritual environment here, but it would also provide a broader space for its own development. A dual benefit, with a protective formation ensuring safety and the earth spirit improving the environment. The foundation of Tianyan sect would finally be solidified. At that point, he could comfortably take a step back, enjoying leisurely tea, offering guidance to his disciples, and then reclining in anticipation of the system's rewards. A glimmer of longing flickered across Zheng Yi's face as he envisioned this idyllic life. He now bears the legacy of a master of array techniques. Setting up a protective formation for the mountain is, for him, a trivial endeavor. What he lacks is merely a meticulous investigation of the geological veins of this Qingstone mountain where the Tianyan sect resides, along with some materials for the formation. However, the materials are a minor concern. With his current mastery as a grand master of artifact refinement, he could forge a solid foundation for the array, even from mere scraps of metal. The pressing task at hand is to construct the overall framework of the sect. With this thought, Zheng Yi hesitated no longer. The reconstruction of the Tianyan sect begins today. Xiaobao, have you finished your morning exercises? His melodious voice resonated throughout the sect. In the distance, Zheng Xiaobao, diligently practicing his punches, immediately ceased his movements and straightened his posture. Master, I have completed my training. Good, come here. Yes, Master. Zheng Xiaobao swiftly trotted over, his face still flushed from his workout. Zheng Yi regarded him with satisfaction and nodded. From today onward, I shall commence the transformation of the sect. You will stay by my side and assist me." Upon hearing this, Zheng Xiaobao's eyes sparkled with excitement. Transforming the sect. He immediately recalled the exquisite sights of the Four Seas Pavilion in Yinshui City. Could it be that Master intends to make this place equally beautiful? Yes, Master. The young boy's voice brimmed with enthusiasm and anticipation. Zheng Yi chuckled, ruffling his hair. "Let us proceed." Zheng Yi led Zheng Xiaobao to a relatively flat area in front of the Grand Hall. This spot serves as the central point of the entire Qingstone Mountains terrain and was once the core hub of the Tianyun sect's spiritual veins. Though the spiritual veins have long since dried up, the unseen connection to the Earth's essence still lingers. It is most fitting to place the Earth elemental spirit here. Zheng Yi halted and instructed Zheng Xiaobao. "Xiaobao, take 10 paces back." "Yes, Master." Though perplexed, Zheng Xiaobao obediently stepped back, his bright eyes filled with curiosity. "What is Master about to do?" Zheng Yi spoke no further. He took a deep breath, focusing his thoughts. The Earth elemental spirit within his dantian emitted a soft humming sound, transforming into a stream of earthy yellow light that slowly emerged from his palm. It materialized into a sphere the size of a fist, radiating a warm, mellow yellow hue, resembling a fine piece of yellow jade. Inside the sphere, countless mysterious patterns seemed to flow gently, exuding a vibrant aura. As it appeared, the surrounding air felt noticeably thicker. The Earth elemental spirit, this treasure, capable of driving countless sects into a frenzy, floated unassumingly in Zheng Yi's palm. Initially, it seemed slightly unaccustomed to the external environment, its brilliance subdued. However, in the next moment, it appeared to sense something. Boom! An invisible wave suddenly radiated from the luminous orb. It sensed the vast depths of the azure stone mountain beneath its feet, where the essence of the earth, though depleted, still lingered. Chapter 25. My master is a celestial being. The earth's primal spirit instantly sprang to life. It throbbed with excitement in Zheng Yi's palm, its emitted brilliance growing ever more resplendent. Zheng Yi could distinctly perceive the warmth of its affection and yearning. "Go forth," he smiled gently, flicking his fingers. Whoosh! The earth's spirit transformed into a streak of light, soaring directly towards the ground. There was no cataclysmic roar, nor any extravagant light effects. It was akin to a droplet of water merging into the ocean. Silently and unobtrusively, it melded into the solid earth, vanishing from sight. All returned to tranquility. Zheng Xiaobao widened his eyes, gazing at the empty ground with a puzzled expression. Was that it? Where was the sparkling orb his master had just conjured? As he was about to voice his queries, suddenly, he inhaled sharply, his tiny nostrils flaring. Oh, he sensed that something felt different. The air seemed to have transformed into something far more fragrant. What filled his lungs was no longer the arid, dust-laden atmosphere, but a refreshing, sweet, and moist essence that invigorated his entire being. He could not resist taking several more deep breaths. "Master, what is this delightful fragrance? It's so pleasant." "It's reminiscent of the aroma within a cave dwelling." Zheng Yi stood with his hands clasped behind his back, savoring the jubilant energy emanating from the earth beneath him. A subtle smile gracing his lips. "This is spiritual energy." "Spiritual energy?" Zheng Xiaobao tilted his head, having heard Zheng Yi mention the term before, yet never experiencing such an immediate sensation. At that moment, his eyes widened in disbelief as he pointed to a patch of weeds beside his feet, exclaiming in astonishment, "Master, look at that grass." The once wilted and yellowing weeds now began to visibly sprout fresh, vibrant green shoots from their roots. It was akin to the scene he beheld that very morning upon awakening. But that was not all. From the very spot they stood, a faint circle of green was rapidly expanding outward. The withered grasses, upon encountering this invisible force, were rejuvenated with newfound vitality. Tender shoots emerged from the dead branches. Little flowers blossomed amidst the weeds. The entire dilapidated sect seemed, in that moment, to awaken slowly from a century-long slumber. The spiritual energy intensified, becoming increasingly rich. While it still paled in comparison to the abundance found in Yinshui City's Sihai residence, it was a far cry from the previously insipid state. Zheng Xiaobao was utterly astonished. He stood with his mouth agape, gazing in a daze at the miraculous scene before him, rendered speechless for a long moment. He was aware of his master's formidable prowess, but this was beyond comprehension. With a mere wave of his hand, the withered grass blossomed anew, filling the dilapidated temple with a fragrant, ethereal aura. Was this sorcery? No. This could only be the domain of the divine. My master is a deity. A profound sense of admiration and reverence welled up within his young heart. He looked towards Zheng Yi's silhouette, which, in that moment, appeared immensely tall and majestic. Zheng Yi paid no heed to his disciple's astonishment. He had his eyes closed. intently attuning himself to the process of the Earth's primordial spirit merging with the essence of the Qing Stone Mountain. Excellent. All was proceeding smoothly. Though the ascent of spiritual energy concentration was gradual, it marked a promising beginning. Over time, the Earth's primordial spirit would completely integrate with the mountain's energy veins. At that point, the Tianyan sect would truly become a paradise of hidden realms. Moreover, as the Earth's primordial spirit took root, he developed an unprecedented clarity regarding the orientation of the entire mountain's energy veins and spiritual nodes. This sensation was even more intuitive than that derived from employing the Nine Nether Cave Profound Sutra. It greatly facilitated the arrangement of the grand formation that was to follow. After a considerable time, Zheng Yi slowly opened his eyes. All right. He turned to the still-dazed Zheng Xiaobao and said gently, "Come back to yourself." "Huh. Yes, master." Zheng Xiaobao jolted upright, his gaze towards Zheng Yi sparkling with admiration. Zheng Yi chuckled inwardly at his disciple's adoring expression. Basic skills, do not neglect them. He gestured towards the rejuvenated weeds surrounding them. "Go, clear away these weeds, especially in the areas where I will tread." "Yes, master." Zheng Xiaobao promptly seized the scythe and broom from the corner, charging ahead with enthusiasm. Observing the industrious little figure, Zheng Yi nodded in satisfaction and set off towards the back mountain. He walked slowly upon the Qing Stone Mountain, though his pace was unhurried. Each step seemed imbued with a unique rhythm, resonating with the earth beneath him. As the Earth's primordial spirit took root, the entire Qing Stone Mountain transformed in his eyes from mere soil and rock into an intricate, expansive web, a network of energy woven from the essence of the Earth's veins. Open. With a flicker of thought, a flash of five-colored divine light shimmered in his eyes. The two secret arts of ocular technique activated simultaneously. Boom. The world before him instantly morphed. The forms of the stones and trees became illusory and transparent. In place of the former, there now flows a myriad of energy streams, both thick and thin, radiating with a spectrum of colors, intricately intertwining within the mountainous core. This is the essence of the earth. Most of these veins exhibit a dull, ashen hue, indicative of depleted spiritual energy. Yet amidst these somber channels, new, delicate threads, emitting a gentle, earthy yellow glow, are resolutely spreading and flourishing. They originate from the core before the grand hall atop the mountain. This signifies the power of the primordial spirit of the earth. It pulsates like a robust heart, diligently transporting fresh spiritual energy to every nook and cranny of this peak. Zheng Yi's gaze swiftly traversed these complex veins. The extensive knowledge reservoir of a formation master enabled him to instantly discern the pivotal nodes and predominant pathways. Here lies a critical juncture. He approached an ancient pine tree, so massive that it required 3 people to encircle its trunk, and gently touched the rough bark with his fingertip. This seemingly casual gesture precisely aligned with the intersection of several underground energy veins, serving as a foundational point for the Sun position. As he murmured to himself, he continued onward. Not far behind, Zheng Xiaobao was laboriously trailing after him, clutching a small broom, striving to clean the path his master had traversed. Though he could not fathom his master's actions, he meticulously committed every word spoken to memory. The Sun position? The foundational point? What could these terms mean? His mind was a whirlwind of inquiries. "Xiaobao, come here," Zheng Yi called out. "Coming, master." Zheng Xiaobao scampered over eagerly. Chapter 26. What great formation turns in nines? Zheng Yi pointed at a towering, azure stone before him, standing at half the height of a man. "Do you see this stone?" "I do, master." Zheng Xiaobao nodded vigorously. "Remember its location," Zheng Yi said nonchalantly, "for it shall become the entrance to our sect." The entrance? Zheng Xiaobao was even more perplexed. The 8 gates of formation: rest, life, injury, shut, view, death, alarm, open. The life gate, as the name implies, is where vitality resides and serves as the soul's safe passage during the operation of the grand formation. Zheng Yi offered an explanation, not expecting Zheng Xiaobao to fully grasp it. It was merely a form of preliminary rote teaching. With repeated exposure, he believed that later learning would yield better results. "Oh." Zheng Xiaobao nodded, half comprehending, then seriously took out his small charcoal pencil and wooden board, awkwardly sketching the outline of the stone, even annotating it with the words, "Life Gate." Zheng Yi observed the earnestness in his demeanor, a flicker of amusement gracing his eyes. A teachable child, he guided Zheng Xiaobao further into the mountain. "Here lies the Can position, the convergence of water element spiritual energy, where a gathering water formation can be established. There, at a distance, lies a place directly facing the noontime sun, where the fiery energies flourish, serving as the pivotal point for fire cultivation. Moreover, over yonder in the valley, the terrain descends, gathering the essence of darkness, making it the unequivocal choice for the entrance of death. As Zheng Yi walked, he spoke. At each stop, he would pause to point out an inconspicuous stone or an oddly shaped tree, imparting fundamental knowledge of array formations to Zheng Xiaobao. From the directions of the 8 trigrams to the attributes of the 5 elements, from the flow of spiritual energy to the nodes of the earth's veins, these arcane concepts, which could confound countless apprentices in the outside world, were conveyed to Zheng Xiaobao in the simplest and most straightforward terms. Zheng Xiaobao listened, utterly bewildered, his mind in a haze. Yet, he refrained from asking any questions, trusting that whatever his master said was worth noting down. His small wooden board quickly filled with an array of peculiar symbols and markings. The afternoon passed swiftly. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Zheng Yi had guided Zheng Xiaobao through every nook and cranny of Qingshi Mountain. In his heart, a vast and intricate formation diagram had taken shape. This diagram, with the grand hall at the summit as its core and the primordial spirit of the earth as its heart, would draw upon the depleted veins of Qingshi Mountain, gathering the celestial and earthly spiritual energy within 100 miles. It contained the transformations of the 8 doors and harmonized with the celestial forces of the cosmos. It unified 5 functions: attack, defense, spirit gathering, disappearance, and illusionary killing into one. This was a colossal composite formation. Once completed, not even a golden core cultivator, let alone an ancient nascent soul master, would easily breach it. Standing atop the mountain, gazing at the afterglow of the setting sun, Zheng Yi felt an overwhelming surge of ambition. He aimed to forge an indestructible fortress for the Tianyun sect. It was essential to bestow this grand array with a resounding name. He stroked his chin, deep in thought. The great formation of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams? Too cliché. The guardian array of the celestial bodies? That bore a hint of plagiarism. Eureka! Zheng Yi's eyes sparkled. It shall be called the 9 Transformations Spirit Gathering Mountain Guardian Array. 9 represents the ultimate number, and transformations signify change. It gathers spirits and protects the mountain. Perfect. Master, what is this 9 transformations array? Zheng Xiaobao, scribbling furiously, inquired with a slurred tongue. The 9 transformations Spirit Gathering Mountain Guardian Array, Zheng Yi enunciated deliberately, though a peculiar sense of familiarity lingered in his mind. Where had he heard of 9 transformations before? He massaged his temples, trying to recollect. With the name decided, the next step was action. Zheng Yi showed no signs of hesitation. He led Zheng Xiaobao back to the crucial array they had identified earlier that morning. This spot lay beneath a steep cliff on the back mountain, concealed and rich in energy, one of the vital energy hubs of the entire array. Xiaobao, pay close attention. Zheng Yi's tone turned grave. Zheng Xiaobao immediately straightened his back, focusing intently on him. Zheng Yi extended his right index finger, and a faint golden aura began to shimmer at its tip. Without employing any tools or making contact with tangible objects, he commenced to etch intricate designs into the void before him, as if the air were parchment and his spiritual energy the ink. His movements were ethereal, flowing like water, imbued with a rhythmic grace. Streams of golden lines cascaded from his fingertip, intertwining and swiftly forming complex and arcane runes. Each rune appeared to encapsulate the profound truths of the universe, radiating a pulse that sent shivers through the soul. Zheng Xiaobao was mesmerized, his eyes wide with astonishment. Though he did not comprehend the intricacies, he was profoundly moved. His master's fingers resembled a celestial artist's brush, creating something both luminous and beautiful. Enraptured, he instinctively extended his own little finger, awkwardly mimicking his master's gestures in the air. Though all he conjured was a formless halo of spiritual energy, he found immense joy in the attempt. Zheng Yi paid him no heed. His focus was entirely absorbed in the arrangement of the formation. One by one, the profound runic symbols took shape beneath his fingertip, and with a gentle push, they shot forth. The golden runes, seemingly animated, flew toward the rocky cliffs and the ground surrounding them. Silently, they merged into the earth, vanishing from sight. Yet, through Zheng Yi's breaking illusion's divine eye, he perceived the subtle and profound changes in the surrounding spiritual energy. An invisible net was slowly unfurling. This was merely the first of the formation's key points. The entire 9 turns gathering spirit mountain guarding formation required the establishment of 81 foundational nodes and 9 core hubs. A monumental task indeed. For another formation master, even a grandmaster, to complete such an extensive array alone would take no less than 3 to 5 years. Yet Zheng Yi was different. He possessed the experience of a master of formations, the cultivation of a late-stage golden core practitioner, and the assistance of the earth's primordial spirit. His speed in setting up the formation was 100-fold, even 1,000-fold, that of others. Time slipped by unnoticed. By the time the moon reached its zenith, Zheng Yi had established 7 nodes in succession, a light sheen of sweat appearing on his brow. This intense and meticulous operation demanded a tremendous expenditure of both consciousness and spiritual energy, and even he felt a twinge of fatigue. Upon completing the last node, he arrived at the location of the 8th predetermined key point. This was a small valley, with a sunken terrain that rarely saw sunlight. Suffused with a chilling aura, an ideal site for laying down the dead gate. Zheng Yi employed his previous technique once more, as the spiritual light at his fingertip ignited anew. He focused intently, beginning to delineate the core rune of the Death Gate. The runes of the Death Gate were imbued with an aura of extinction and slaughter, far more intricate than those of other formations. Zheng Yi was wholly absorbed, daring not to exhibit even a hint of negligence. Yet, at the very moment he was about to complete the final stroke, his movements abruptly halted. Chapter 27. The spirit veins are wailing him? His brow furrowed sharply, a flicker of astonishment crossing his face. Just moments ago, he had keenly sensed an exceedingly faint, yet distinctly unusual fluctuation emanating from the depths of the earth beneath his feet, fleeting like a wisp of smoke. It was imbued with a tinge of desolation, a silent resentment. This fluctuation stood in stark contrast to the vibrant life force birthed by the earth's spirit, appearing almost adversarial. What was happening? Zheng Yi ceased his actions. He activated the Eye of Illusions, peering deep into the ground. There, beneath the intricate network of ley lines, in the profound depths of the earth, there seemed to be a shroud of indistinct black mist. The aberrant fluctuation was emanating from this nebulous darkness. Something peculiar lurked beneath the Qingstone mountain. A sudden unease gripped Zheng Yi's heart. The depletion of the Tianyun sect's spirit veins was already a curious matter. His master had once sought the cause, but had found nothing, ultimately attributing it to the whims of fate. Yet, it appeared that the reality was far more complex. This ominous wave steeped in deathly energy was undoubtedly a harbinger of ill fortune. Perhaps this was the true reason behind the depletion of the Tianyun sect's spirit veins? A sense of vigilance arose within Zheng Yi. However, he did not immediately halt to investigate. The formation was at a critical juncture. The 81 foundational nodes must be established in a single, fluid motion to achieve perfect unity. Any interruption would undermine his prior efforts, potentially undoing all he had accomplished. He understood the weight of priorities. First, the formation. A spark of determination flickered in Zheng Yi's eyes as he resolved to proceed. No matter what malevolent entities lurked beneath, he would unearth them after completing the 9-turn gathering spirit protective mountain formation. By then, even if a great calamity lay in wait, the formation would provide him with ample confidence to confront it. With this thought, Zheng Yi's heart settled once more. He suppressed his doubts, allowing the spiritual light at his fingertips to flow forth with renewed stability and vigor. The final rune representing the Death Gate was executed with precision, completing the last stroke. Buzz. As the final stroke was inscribed, the profound rune of the Death Gate solidified instantaneously. It emanated an aura of extinction and foreboding, seamlessly merging with the valley's ominous atmosphere. Subsequently, it transformed into a streak of light, silently sinking into the earth. Thus, the 81 foundational nodes were completely established. An invisible, vast net has enveloped the entire Qingstone mountain. Zheng Yi let out a subtle sigh of relief, the sweat beading at his temples glimmering in the moonlight. Continuous high-intensity exertion, even with his late-stage golden core cultivation, left him feeling a twinge of mental fatigue. However, he did not pause for respite. The unusual fluctuations emanating from deep within the earth pricked at his heart like a thorn. Zheng Yi's expression grew grave once more. He stood at the heart of this deathly formation, a convergence of yin energy, the area closest to the source of the anomalous disturbance. With a flicker of thought, he activated the 9 Nether Cave profound scripture. Simultaneously, he unleashed the breaking illusion's divine eye. The two secret arts surged forth together. Boom. The world before Zheng Yi underwent a cataclysmic transformation anew. This time, his gaze did not linger on the surface of the rocks and trees, but penetrated the heavy earth and stone, rapidly extending into the unfathomable depths below. 100 zhong, 1,000 zhong, 5,000 zhong. The network of earth veins unfolded in his mind like an intricate map of meridians. Most of the veins remained in a state of desolate grayness. Yet among them, the newly birthed, earthen-colored veins, nurtured by the earth's primal spirit, thrived like resilient vines, exuding vibrant life. However, the deeper he ventured, the clearer the eerie stillness became. At last, at a depth of nearly 10,000 zhong from the surface, in the core area of Qingstone Mountain's main spiritual vein, Zheng Yi's gaze halted abruptly. His breath caught in that moment. What was that? He beheld a colossal crack, shocking to the eye, where the primary spiritual vein, which should have coiled like a great dragon as the source of the mountain's spiritual energy, lay. This fissure, resembling a grotesque scar, spanned across the vein. It plunged into the abyss, swirling with inky black mist. Threads of black lightning, thinner than a hair, flickered within the fog. It was greedily, incessantly devouring the essence of the spiritual vein, transforming it into a suffocating, vengeful black mist that tainted everything around it. The depletion of the main spiritual vein was not a result of natural decay. Rather, it had been drained dry by this enigmatic crack. Buzz. At that moment, the Earth's primal spirit, which had taken root at the mountain's summit and was intertwined with the Qingstone Mountain's veins, suddenly trembled violently within Zheng Yi's dantian. An amalgamation of pain, lamentation, and fury surged through the ethereal connection, violently impacting Zheng Yi's soul. The Earth's primal spirit and this severely injured main spiritual vein were of the same root and origin. It sensed the anguish and wails of the main spiritual vein. Zheng Yi's expression darkened instantly, nearly dripping with despair. He finally comprehended everything. It all became clear to him. The decline of the Heavenly Fate Sect, the Master's resentful demise, and the sect's transformation into a subject of ridicule. All these calamities stem from a singular source. This is no natural disaster. It is a man-made catastrophe. Someone has insidiously implanted a vile curse at the very core of the Heavenly Fate Sect's spiritual vein, severing its roots. Who could be responsible for such treachery? Why would anyone commit such an act? A multitude of questions flitted through Zheng Yi's mind. Yet, at this moment, his heart was predominantly filled with a chilling wrath. To obstruct a person's path is akin to slaying their parents. The means employed to sever the foundation of an entire sect are, indeed, heinously malicious. He slowly tightened his fists, the joints cracking with a sharp sound. Very well. Initially, he merely wished to peacefully rebuild the sect and enjoy a tranquil life. However, it now appeared that some troubles cannot simply be evaded. A grudge has been forged. Regardless of the perpetrator's identity, background, or intentions, anyone daring to cast such a shadow over the Heavenly Fate Sect must brace themselves for the tempest of his fury. Zheng Yi took a deep breath, forcefully suppressing the terrifying murderous intent that threatened to escape him. The pressing concern was not to seek out the culprit, but to address the immediate chaos at hand. The fissure in the spiritual vein must be dealt with. Otherwise, the power of the Earth's primal spirit would inevitably be consumed entirely. Standing in the valley, the moonlight elongated his shadow. His companion, the little treasure, had long since returned to the main hall for evening prayers. He remained still for a while, his mind racing with thoughts. What to do? Chapter 28. Defying fate to repair the vein. Restoration? The curse entwined with that fissure was exceedingly sinister. Given Zheng Yi's current cultivation level, eradicating it entirely would be no small feat. It would be a grueling tug of war, requiring an immense expenditure of time and spiritual energy. A single misstep could result in a backlash from that cursed power. The risks were substantial. Yet, if restoration was not an option, Zheng Yi slowly shook his head. That was even less feasible. This fissure was a thorn in the sect's eye. Until it was removed, he would find no peace. Even if the 9 turns gathering spirit protection array could draw in spiritual energy from the outside, it would merely be a rootless drift. The true foundation of a sect is eternally anchored in the spiritual vein beneath its feet. Without the flourishing of the spiritual vein, the sect shall not prosper. This is an immutable truth. Moreover, he could distinctly sense the increasingly intense wailing and pleading emanating from the Earth's primal spirit. It yearned to heal this primary spiritual vein, which shared its very essence. Very well. Zheng Yi suddenly uttered 2 words, his gaze transforming into one of unwavering determination. Evading challenges has never been his style. Since the problem now lay before him, it was time to resolve it. Moreover, a chilling smile curled at the corners of his lips. Who said one could only passively mend what is broken? Crisis often accompanies opportunity. This fissure, although a vicious curse, also laid bare the very heart of the primary spiritual vein before him. If handled adeptly, he could not only heal it, but also seize this chance to seamlessly integrate the power of the Earth's primordial spirit into the core of the primary spiritual vein. At that moment, it would not merely be a matter of restoration, but a profound transformation. He aspired to rejuvenate this withered spiritual vein, not just to breathe new life into it, but to elevate it to an extraordinary realm far beyond its former glory. Furthermore, if the Earth vein were restored, those who conspired against his sect would undoubtedly reveal themselves, and at that moment, a flash of murderous intent glimmered in Zheng Yi's eyes. This thought emerged, uncontainable. His heart ignited with fervor. Enough of hesitance. It was time to take bold action. What he sought was not a mere survival of the Tianyan sect, but an exalted celestial sect capable of standing atop the world. Thus, everything would commence from this very spiritual vein beneath his feet. Let me demonstrate the prowess of a master of array formation. Zheng Yi murmured to himself as the diagram of the nine-turn gathering spirit mountain protecting array, already taking shape in his mind, began to transform rapidly, restructuring itself. Originally, the design of this diagram centered around gathering spirit and protection. However, now he sought to augment it with a third, paramount function: purification and nourishment. He intended to harness the power of the stars from the heavens above, converging the spiritual energies from all directions. Through the operation of 81 foundational array eyes and 9 core array hubs, he would refine and compress these disparate spiritual energies through countless iterations. Then, he would precisely infuse the most refined primordial spiritual energy into the profound fissures of the primary spiritual vein deep beneath the earth. With pure celestial spiritual energy, he aimed to cleanse that malevolent curse. Simultaneously, with the earth's primordial spirit as the core, he would suppress the fissure, nourish the earth vein, and guide the spiritual energy to mend the wound. The array would serve as an auxiliary, while the primordial spirit would be the main force. He himself would be the central axis controlling everything. This was no longer merely setting up an array. It was an audacious transformation of the spiritual veins. Countless new and intricately complex rune structures continuously generated, deduced, and refined in the mind of this master of array formation. In a mere span of an incense stick's burn, a brand new array diagram, tenfold more complex than the previous one, had already taken shape. Zheng Yi exhaled a long breath of stale air. Excitement and confidence sparkled in his eyes. The nine-turn gathering spirit mountain protecting array? No, from this moment forth, it shall be known as the nine-turn revitalizing and demon-suppressing array, revitalizing the withered vein, suppressing the demons beneath the earth. The name was now far more fitting. With this thought, Zheng Yi hesitated no longer. He moved with a fluid grace, transforming into a streak of light and vanishing instantaneously within the valley. What followed was the arrangement of the 9 pivotal core formations, the final and most crucial step of the grand array. The night deepened, and throughout the Qingshe mountain, a figure flitted about like a specter. Zheng Yi's speed reached its zenith. At each designated formation point, he paused, wielding his finger like a quill and employing his profound spiritual energy from the late golden core stage as ink, intricately inscribing complex formation runes in the void. 100 times more intricate than before. These runes were no longer a mere golden hue. They shimmered in a kaleidoscope of colors according to the 8 trigrams and 5 elemental attributes. The runes at the can position glimmered in a water blue hue, while those at the li position shone in a fiery red. The 9 core formations corresponded to the 9 palaces, each fulfilling its designated role. They would serve as the pillars of the entire 9 transformation revitalization exorcism grand array, crucial nodes for channeling and transforming spiritual energy. This process demanded a terrifying expenditure of spiritual power and mental acuity. Each formation was composed of 999 major runes and 3,600 minor seals. A single mistake could lead to the array's dysfunction or even collapse. Yet, Zheng Yi remained as steadfast as a seasoned veteran. His mastery as a grand formation master allowed him to navigate this with ease, while his cultivation at the late golden core stage provided an inexhaustible source of energy. Time slipped by gradually, reaching the darkest moment before dawn. Zheng Yi arrived at the final core formation's location, before the dilapidated hall atop the mountain. Here lay the heart of the grand array, the central palace, the very root of the earth's primal spirit. Zheng Yi settled cross-legged, his complexion slightly pale. Yet his gaze shone with extraordinary brilliance. Rise. He formed a seal with his hands and called out with a commanding voice. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In an instant, all 81 foundational array eyes across Qingshe Mountain, along with the 8 core formations just completed, illuminated with a faint glow. Beams of spiritual energy in various colors surged skyward, intertwining in midair to weave a vast luminous net that enveloped the entire peak. At that moment, the spiritual energy of the heavens and earth seemed to be drawn by an unseen force, frantically converging towards Qingshe Mountain. But this was merely the beginning. Zheng Yi took a deep breath, forcefully pressing his palms downward. The earth's primal spirit asserts dominion over the underground palace. Boom. The earth's primal spirit, which had already begun to merge with the mountain's meridian, emitted a joyous hum. It then transformed into a torrent of earthen yellow, surging through the temporary passage Zheng Yi had forged, rushing towards the chasm of the main spiritual vein deep beneath the earth. Like divine soldiers descending from the heavens, it precisely landed atop the swirling black mist. Zing! The pure and pristine power of the earth's primal spirit clashed violently upon contact with the malevolent cursed black gas. Deep within that colossal fissure, a cacophony of eerie, inhuman shrieks echoed. The power of the curse began to surge back with unrestrained ferocity. Chapter 29. The earthly spirit, suppression. Zheng Yi let out a muffled groan, his complexion paling further. He sensed the chilling, malevolent force transmitted through the earthly spirit. Attempting to resist? Let me refine it. A glimmer of cold light flashed in Zheng Yi's eyes as he altered his hand seals once more. The 9 cycles of resurrection, the formation activated. Boom. Above the heavens. The vast web of spiritual energy abruptly contracted. An infinite expanse of earthly spiritual essence, at the expense of Zheng Yi's own energy, was voraciously absorbed, purified, and transformed by the 9 pivotal formations. Ultimately, it coalesced into a robust, multicolored column of spiritual energy, descending from the sky, striking the mountaintop with precision, and flooding into the passage leading to the depths below. The target was the very fissure of the primary spiritual vein. Zheng Yi positioned himself as a conduit, employing the tortoise-snake locking essence technique to secure his vital energies, preventing himself from being overwhelmed by the immense force. He cautiously guided this supremely pure torrent of spiritual energy, commencing the cleansing of the fissure. Meanwhile, the earthly spirit acted as a stabilizing anchor, firmly suppressing the core of the curse's power, continually releasing primal vitality to nurture and restore the eroded veins. This was an exceedingly arduous and intricate process. In his bedroom, the young Bao, just on the verge of slumber, suddenly felt a violent tremor beneath him. Startled, he rolled out of bed and rushed outside, looking up. He beheld the entire azure stone mountain enveloped in a vibrant, multicolored glow. Countless visible threads of spiritual energy surged from all directions, converging at the mountaintop. Within the mountain's core, deep rumbles echoed like distant thunder. Master. Zheng Xiaobao's small face was etched with concern, although he did not comprehend the unfolding events. He sensed that his master was engaged in a monumental endeavor. Helpless, he clenched his tiny fists and silently prayed for his master's success. Time passed agonizingly. As the midnight hour approached, the curse-laden black mist, entwined for countless years, was finally purified and obliterated under the dual assault of earthly spiritual essence and the earthly spirit. In that very instant, unite. Zheng Yi expended his final vestige of spiritual energy, releasing a low roar. The earthly spirit, now completely merged with the primary spiritual vein, radiated brilliant light. A surge of vitality instantaneously filled the once exhausted primary spiritual vein. The entire azure stone mountain trembled violently. In the next moment, an unimaginably thick column of multicolored spiritual light erupted from the dilapidated hall at the mountain's peak, soaring into the clouds. In that moment, the entirety of the Tianyun sect was enveloped in boundless spiritual radiance. The formation was finally complete. However, the soaring multicolored spiritual light did not endure for long. Just a few breaths later, it suddenly withdrew, receding entirely into the translucent light shield that enveloped the entire blue stone mountain. The light shield then faded from view. Disappearing entirely, everything returned to tranquility, as if the astonishing spectacle that had just transpired was but a fleeting illusion. However, the Heavenly Fate Sect was irrevocably transformed. Zheng Xiaobao stood on the stone steps, mouth agape, gazing blankly at the scene before him. A delicate, visible white mist pervaded the air, imbued with a refreshing fragrance that was invigorating to the senses. With a gentle inhalation, he felt a cool essence travel down his throat, permeating every fiber of his being. A profound sense of comfort enveloped him. The fatigue of a long day dissipated in an instant, revitalizing him entirely. Was this the spiritual energy that his master had spoken of? He rubbed his eyes vigorously, unable to believe it, his small face etched with astonishment. Zheng Xiaobao looked around. The weeds that had just been revitalized were now growing wildly. In mere moments, they had reached a height comparable to that of a person. With some tips adorned with glistening droplets of dew, spiritual liquid condensed from the abundant spiritual energy. Not far away, a few ancient trees that had been reduced to bare trunks were now sprouting tender green shoots at a visibly rapid pace. The new sprouts unfurled in the wind, quickly blossoming into lush green leaves. The entire dilapidated sect was enveloped in a vibrant green aura in such a short time, brimming with unprecedented vitality. Even the crumbling grand hall, with its gray walls and stone pillars, seemed to have been cleansed and imbued with a layer of luster as warm and smooth as jade, nourished by the rich spiritual energy. This was the handiwork of his master. Undoubtedly, it was a divine technique. Zheng Xiaobao's small face flushed with excitement. Suddenly recalling something, he quickly assumed a stance and began practicing the basic body refinement technique taught by his master. As he threw his first punch, a resounding boom echoed. The dense spiritual energy surged into him as if it had found an outlet, flooding his body. He didn't even need to consciously absorb it. The spiritual energy actively rushed into his pores, each stream of warmth flowing through him. He He sensed his strength rapidly escalating. The minuscule progress he had felt after an entire day of training was now palpable with just a single punch or kick. His efficiency had soared. Zheng Xiaobao was utterly astonished. He halted his movements, reveling in the unprecedented surge of power within him, nearly brought to tears by his excitement. Before the Grand Hall, Zheng Yi slowly rose to his feet. His complexion remained somewhat pale, yet his spirit was exceptionally invigorated. He felt the powerful pulse of the earth beneath his feet, akin to the rhythmic beating of a heart. The main spiritual vein was alive. Moreover, after merging with the elemental spirit of the earth, its quality had undergone a remarkable transformation. The current Tianyun sect, in terms of spiritual energy concentration, perhaps rivaled even those so-called second-rate or even first-rate sects. And all of this was merely the beginning. With the continuous operation of the 9 turns returning Yang demon suppression formation and the ongoing growth of the earth's elemental spirit, the spiritual energy here would only become denser. Zheng Yi introspected, finding his late-stage golden core spiritual power nearly depleted. Yet, the 5-colored golden core within his dantian was rapidly recovering, nourished by the surrounding abundant spiritual energy, even spinning faster than before. This consumption was, for him, a form of indirect tempering. He nodded in satisfaction. Transforming the sect's environment and solidifying its foundation, he gazed upon the vibrant scene of thriving life before him. A smile of contentment gracing his lips. This endeavor required immense investment, but the results far exceeded expectations. The sect finally resembled a true home. Zheng Yi stretched lazily, the joints in his body cracking in a series of pops. He raised his gaze to the sky. Less than a moment remained until the midnight settlement. His heart brimmed with unprecedented anticipation. Stabilizing his realm, arranging formations, teaching disciples, and restoring the main spiritual vein. These affirmative actions taken today were all for the development of the sect. Such achievements must surely warrant some recognition from the system. Chapter 30. This is the pinnacle of the golden core. He pondered what kind of reward tonight's settlement would bestow. Just as Zheng Yi lost himself in thought, he hadn't even settled into a proper meditative posture when suddenly, a clear electronic sound resonated in his mind, like celestial music from beyond. Ding! Midnight has arrived. The Sect Settlement System is commencing. It has begun. Zheng Yi jolted, neglecting his posture as he hastily focused his mind and anxiously awaited the outcome. Settlement begins. Detected hosts positive actions today, transforming the sect's environment, restoring the sect's spiritual veins, constructing protective formations. Action evaluation, insightful vision, immense investment. Thoroughly improved the sect's foundation, injecting boundless vitality into it. This act lays the foundation for an everlasting immortal sect, a contribution for the ages. A contribution for the ages. Upon reading those 4 words, Zheng Yi's heart raced. This evaluation was unprecedentedly high. He could even sense a hint of admiration within the system's cold electronic tone. Conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations, host has obtained mastery of formation grandmaster level comprehension. Boom. A vast torrent of knowledge regarding formations surged into his mind like a flood breaking through a dam. This time, it transcends mere knowledge impartation. It is a profound experience of countless formations, breaking formations, and evolving arrays. He seems to have transformed into an ancient being, steeped in the art of formations for hundreds of thousands of years, with the stars as his chess pieces and the cosmos as his board. The realms previously attained by array masters now appear somewhat superficial in the light of his current enlightenment. He can distinctly sense that he is but a mere veil away from the legendary realm of the array sage. With just a single opportunity, he could effortlessly pierce through. Zheng Yi had yet to recover from this terrifying epiphany when new notifications arrived in swift succession. Congratulations, host has obtained gathering spirit treasure Qianquan spirit Qi pot X1. As the words faded, a palm-sized, ancient-looking purple pot, intricately engraved with mysterious patterns, materialized before him, quietly hovering in the air. At the mouth of the pot, a tiny whirlpool seemed to slowly rotate, emanating an irresistible force that seemed to devour all. With just a glance, Zheng Yi comprehended its purpose. Once placed in a certain location, it would continuously absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, storing it within the pot, which could then be transformed into pure spiritual liquid. Whether for cultivation or nurturing spiritual plants, it was an unparalleled treasure. Is this a small, little green bottle, no pot? System. Are you truly this generous? Is this treasure even attainable? Zheng Yi's heart soared with joy as he hastily stored it in his spatial pouch. However, this was merely the beginning. The true boon was yet to arrive. Detected that the host has consumed all cultivation for the day, stabilizing the grand formation and repairing the ley lines from midnight until morning. Behavior evaluation, diligently devoted, sacrificing oneself for the future of the sect. conducting 10,000-fold settlement. Congratulations, host has obtained boundless cultivation. Boundless cultivation? Boom. This time, it was no gentle current but an infusion of the purest spiritual energy. An indescribably terrifying force erupted from the depths of his dantian. Before Zheng Yi could ponder, his body trembled violently. He scarcely had time to react before being forcefully drawn into a profound state of cultivation by this overwhelming power. His consciousness blanked out. The only sensation he could grasp was that of the five-colored golden elixir within him. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Under the torrential infusion of pure spiritual energy, the five-colored golden elixir began to spin wildly at an unprecedented speed. It greedily absorbed the ceaseless flow of spiritual energy. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. The five-colored radiance swirled rapidly across the surface of the golden elixir, its brilliance reaching an unprecedented zenith. The golden elixir, at a visibly accelerating pace, became more solid and rounded. The power contained within it surged with each passing moment. Late-stage golden elixir bottleneck? What bottleneck? In the face of this cataclysmic torrent of spiritual energy, the so-called bottleneck resembled nothing more than a fragile sheet of paper, incapable of presenting even the slightest obstruction. That force surged forth with a gentle push. A soft sound, almost imperceptible, resonated. The barrier of the late golden core stage shattered with a thunderous crash. Yet, this was merely the beginning. That overwhelming surge of spiritual energy still retained 99% of its potency, roaring and galloping forward, propelling Zheng Yi's cultivation toward a loftier realm with fervor. Zheng Yi could sense that he was but a breath away from the final and most formidable layer of the barrier signifying the consummate golden core. The torrential wave of spiritual energy did not relent for an instant. It coalesced into a more refined and domineering force, crashing vehemently against that last invisible barrier. Once, twice, Zheng Yi's body trembled violently. It felt as though his dantian might burst under the strain of this power. Yet, he steadfastly maintained his focus, exerting every ounce of his will to channel the energy for one final push. Time seemed to stretch indefinitely. It felt like a fleeting moment, yet also like an eternity. At the very instant that the force reached its zenith, a thunderous boom resonated deep within his dantian. The immensely sturdy barrier, embodying the pinnacle of the golden core, was utterly obliterated in that moment. Success. Zheng Yi's consciousness instantly returned. He immediately turned his gaze inward to his dantian. There, within the vast sea of spiritual energy, a golden core, the size of a fist, floated serenely. It was now transformed beyond recognition. It radiated an unparalleled brilliance, while simultaneously containing its spiritual power, with not a trace of it escaping. Its form was flawlessly rounded, resembling the most exquisite masterpiece sculpted by the hands of the cosmos itself. The five elemental glows of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth no longer merely circulated on the surface. They had thoroughly merged into the essence of the golden core, intertwining and cycling in perfect harmony, establishing a flawless equilibrium. This was the consummation of the golden core. With a mere thought, the golden core within his dantian quivered slightly. An overwhelming force, surpassing tenfold what he had previously known, surged through his limbs and bones. He could feel that every drop of his blood and every fiber of his being now harbored explosive power. With a mere gesture, he could summon the might of heaven and earth. This marked a comprehensive and qualitative metamorphosis. He slowly opened his eyes. The world appeared transformed. The spiritual energy drifting in the air became vividly apparent to his sight. The textures of distant stones and the veins of leaves were laid bare before his gaze. This was not a technique of the eyes. Rather, it was a heightened perception resulting from his ascended realm, rendering his awareness of the surrounding environment exquisitely sharp. The consummation of the golden core. Zheng Yi gently exhaled a breath of turbid air. In the fleeting moment that this foul breath escaped his lips, it transformed into a white arrow of vapor, soaring several yards away, effortlessly piercing a stone the size of a human head, reducing it to mere powder.